There once was a family more famous than the Joestar family, mysterious, sinister, and famous for alchemy, the Pelserad family, a group of psychos that wanted to understand the laws of the universe and tried to achieve immortality with insane human experiments. They also unleashed terrifying biomechanical disasters across the land, synthetic dragons that brought the plague on a whole village, a monster straight out of Stranger Things, slashing everything that got close, and a mind-sucking mosquito that would starve if it targeted me. However, 300 years ago, the whole family went into decline, and only one guy was left standing, Eso, the most talented descendant of the family and the so-called greatest alchemist of the century, who had sworn to create the perfect biological weapon to rival gods and restore his family's honor. And that's how Eso is standing in front of a vial of green light. He is trying to create the strongest biological weapon called Final Calamity that was promised to his family 3,000 years ago. It's almost completed. He turns his attention towards his assistant, an overgrown rat, telling him that the final steps are almost there. He continues to bark instructions so that Final Calamity can be completed. Mr. Splinter on rabies tells Eso not to call him a filthy rat. His name is Cheese, Eso's assistant. Cheese starts draining the fluid contained in the vial, noticing the subject's heartbeat, vital signs, and pumping it full of black sulfur, and all of the other materials needed to create the perfect little biological weapon. After the preparations are complete, Eso smiles. The final step is to drain the radioactive goo containing Final Calamity. Cheese pulls the lever, and mist envelops the entire experimental area. Eso laughs hysterically. Finally, his biological weapon is about to be completed. He can finally destroy the world and show everyone his family is the best. He looks at the blueprints of Final Calamity, a creature that looks like it stepped straight out of a nightmare, a spiny being that could kill anyone with a single flick of a wrist. Too bad he doesn't know that his experiment is going to be far from what he expected. Hesto is itching to see its terrifying form so that they can conquer the world together. The mist starts to clear away, and what steps out is not something out of a nightmare, but out of my wet dream. A 10 by 10 blonde babe with marshmallows bigger than Iso's head. I can't believe what he is seeing. Instead of Final Calamity, he has come face to face with Final Degeneracy. It looks like he accidentally used sugar, spice, and everything nice to create the perfect little calamity. Cheese tells Eso not to worry. They'll run tests to see if it is still in line with their biological safety protocols. Eso leans closer and strokes his chin suggestively. Maybe Final Calamity has used a female disguise, since women are the craziest beings out of them, and every woman is a calamity. He also reasons that maybe those big marshmallows are energy sacs that can store so much energy that they can raise the entire world. Of course, our boy decides to test it out by touching them, but the softness and gentleness make him lose his mind. No way is this an ordinary human. He decides to run a couple of other tests that include resting his head on her massive rack. He also looks at her eye, where the Emerald Empress's sad eye was supposed to be. She was also supposed to have a mechanical heart that could pump blood 24/7. All of a sudden, the air shifts, and Cheese tells Eso to be careful. Eso is immediately on high alert as he is pinned by Blondie. God damn it, it should have been me. I would sacrifice my life for our boy. Cheese apologizes, promising to inherit the legacy of their family. He has already prepared his speech in case Eso was killed by one of his own inventions, even claiming that he was a pitiful 15-year-old virgin who stayed evil till the bitter end. Eso yells at the filthy rat to mind his own business and not call him a virgin. Turns out Final Calamity is just resting her massive cake on her creator's lap. It's good that they had added his soul extract so that Final Calamity would never turn on him. Cheese scratches his chin. He is not too sure about that. He remembers Eso handing him the vial of soul extract to add it to Final Calamity's container, but due to a lack of brain cells, he mistook it for wine and drank it. Eso tells Final Calamity to get away, but Final Calamity looks at him with emerald eyes. Poor dude created Final Freakiness instead of Final Calamity, since she starts licking his face. Eso's face turns red, and he feels something rising, and it's not the shield hero. He quickly shoves her away and tries to get his urges under control. He goes for a purification spray and traps her in a container, ready to deal with her later. Eso is frantically spraying himself with disinfectant, and his mind also starts to connect a couple of dots. Even Master Splinter is curious about what Eso is looking for. Eso pulls through old records and looks at Finer Calamities, an experimental subject. There was a purple-haired girl who was used as a biological base to create the Final Calamity. Cheese remembers rescuing the girl a couple of years ago. The same girl who had no arms and legs was almost at that door, but she used to have purple hair. Why are they blonde now? Eso goes through his documents. Maybe blonde hair means that she is actually powerful like a Super Saiyan or Android 18. But personality is the main issue. He remembers pulling an epic heist 1 year ago, using a biological bomb to make everyone pass out. And as everyone was falling unconscious, they were busy pissing in urinals, ready to go get the door once everyone was knocked out. They put on their best and edgiest masks and walked through the bank in style, when a mother and her kid pleaded with Cheese not to kill them. Cheese just snatched candy from the kid and started licking it non-stop, causing the kid to cry. A true villain. He then blasted the vault's door with a molten lava gun and used an explosive to deal with the rest of the rubble. They then found themselves in front of a mountain of cash. Looks like they'll be eating good tonight. After fist bumping each other, they left the bank celebrating their epic victory. Eso stuffed his pockets and his bag full of banknotes while Cheese carried a boombox and licked the lollipop he stole from the little kid. The robbery was perfect and they could go to the bar and find some girls to celebrate and drink. Eso tells Cheese not to be a simp this time. When they visit the bar, he remembers how he ended up losing his cash and his clothes. They still have to use their funds to create the final calamity. As long as they can create a final calamity, the entire world will be their playground, and their family will finally gain its rightful place. Then Cheese can do whatever he wants. Turns out both of their biggest goals are to make the mayor personally pour them drinks and make the city heroes wear diapers and do a humiliating dance. All of a sudden, a gunshot pulls them out of their daze. They quickly take cover, wondering who is trying to take them down. By the sound of it, it looks like a large caliber revolver. The man who shot is a steampunk hero named Bullet. He is an investigator for the city bureau, and currently, he is chasing after a helpless girl with a massive bakery who is missing a leg and an arm. Izzer and Cheese spot her from afar. They wonder why Bullet is trying to go after a crippled girl when he should be after them for robbing a bank. Bullet calls out to the girl. She was a member of a Hellhound unit, a group of elites, but now she's been tracked down by the finest assassin in the guild. He tries to interrogate her for answers, but remembers that all members of the Hellhound Brigade have their vocal cords removed so that they can only communicate using special sign language. He brings out his cigarette and takes a puff before impaling her remaining hand. Even in such a serious situation, she's still trying to make a move. He notices a bloody little teddy next to her. He inspects the shabby teddy, asking what the deal is with it. This catches her attention, and he slams the butt of his rifle against her head, knocking her out and stomping on her. He even crushes the teddy and is about to give her a taste of lead, since taking her corpse back will help him earn a reward. Eso finally makes his entrance, calling out Bullet for being a money-hungry assassin instead of the selfless hero he wants everyone to believe he is. Bullet aims his rifle at Eso. Eso introduces himself as the greatest alchemist of the entire century, with the sole exception of Edward Elric from Full Metal Alchemist. Cheese clears his throat, waiting for a proper introduction. Eso introduces himself as his personal right-hand man, Crazy Mouse. Though it's better, Cheese still wanted to be called a criminal partner instead of a right-hand man, but he will still make do. They start quarreling about his name, whether it should be Crazy Rat or Crazy Mouse. While they are putting up a show by arguing, Bullet doesn't have time for this nonsense. He threatens to eliminate them if they keep interrupting him. Eso wonders if this old senile assassin is really underestimating them. All of a sudden, they throw 2 bags of money towards him. Bullet wasn't expecting them to just cough up the money they just stole. It turns out they are the ones who robbed White Queen Bank this evening. They smirk proudly, and Bullet reminds them that it's not wise to brag about their crimes in front of a guy with a blicky. Their need for validation screwed up their sense of security. Even though he doesn't like killing rookies, today he will make an exception. They should be honored to taste a bit of his leg. Eso just claps his hand, thanking him for an elegant performance, but he won't be shooting tonight. Bullet wonders why that is. He's about to pull the trigger, but for some reason he can't. His vision starts to blur, and his body feels weak and heavy all of a sudden. He looks at 2 canisters of gas lodged into the thick wad of cash in each bag. Eso just laughs. Both of the canisters are emitting muscle, nerve, and poison gas that can render any assassin powerless within a 300-meter radius. Bullet's face turns pale. Why is he trying to save the woman when they claim to be villains? Eso just laughs. It's not like they want to save her or anything. They just don't like heroes. He then hits Bullet with a plasma beam, turning him into a little slime. Cheese looks at the little slime bounce away. Those with the silver hero license are nothing but cannon fodder for them. He then decides to clean up the scene, head back to their place, and eat a bit of cheese crackers. He looks at the so-called Prince of Darkness and Evil who tends to the wounded girl. He is observing how much the woman can survive. Her left arm and leg are severed, wounds have an infection, her ribs are completely broken, and her right eye is nowhere to be seen. Her whole body shows signs of torture, and her heartbeat is all over the place. Borderline heart attack. At least 4 toxins are also circulating in her blood. It's a miracle she lasted this long. He is also curious about what makes her so special that she was treated this way. The Security Bureau wouldn't whip out its best torture on an ordinary person. Master Splinter tells Eso that she won't survive much longer. They should head back and party. That's the most important thing. Or is he thinking about saving her? Eso stutters that he is not here to save anyone. He is a villain to the damn core. As they turn to leave, he can't help but feel sorry for the girl trying to crawl despite her injuries. He tries to forget about her. She is one in a million people rotting in unknown alleys. Even the sky starts to weep for the girl's fate. They both turn to leave, leaving the girl behind. As she looks at the teddy, she passes out cold. Lyso walks up to the girl again, and that's how she landed in Nightmare's Nest operating room. Cheese was busy administering the anesthesia while our boy was handling the scalpel. Cheese still couldn't believe that they were saving a life instead of committing crimes. Did someone just use talk no jutsu on his boss? Iso reassures Cheese that that's not the case. He needs to create the best biological weapon possible to bring his family to greatness again. And what better use of a test subject than this girl, who survives so much torture? The host of Final Calamity needs all of the best negative emotions. Pain, anger, sorrow, despair. There shouldn't be a trace of goodness in the soul. So that's why this girl is the best test subject. They decide to conduct the experiment immediately, since she might pass out because of her injuries. They divide tasks. Cheese will get the transplant material, and he will prepare the cocoon of blood. The first part they got was a withered arm called Amber's Angel that could shoot plasma beams. Second was the Empress's sad right eye. Thirdly was an artificial heart that could keep beating forever. And lastly was a cocoon of fetal blood. They started working on the girl, ready to turn her into Final Calamity. He paints a picture of the girl used as an experiment subject in front of Final Calamity. The glass struggles to contain her massive marshmallows. Bra could become a billionaire if he started mass-producing and selling androids like Final Calamity. Master Splinter wonders what they should do now. Uzzle wants to observe her and test her out to see if she is a failure or if she really can pack a punch. Cheese wonders what they should do if she is a failure. Uzzle just cackles. They'll dispose of her. After all, there is no place for failure in his lab. Later, he quietly sleeps in his room but keeps replaying the moment he was licked by Final Calamity. That's the most action he has had in his 15 years of life. He keeps on tossing and turning and decides to take a look at Final Calamity, even though the tank she is held in is shockproof, bulletproof, and goonerproof. He looks at Final Calamity huddled in a corner, shivering like a leaf. He wonders what the hell is this? Why is Final Calamity the best biohazard out there? I'm afraid of sleeping in the dark. None of the other experimental subjects had human feelings. Before he can take a step away, he feels sorry for Final Calamity and lets her out. He promises to take her to a nice place to sleep. He leads her to his underground facility that holds the meanest and baddest of his experimental subjects. One of them is a dragon lord, and the other one is a tentacle monster. They both hate Iso's guts, but Iso doesn't care and places Final Calamity in the box between them. He tells her to take care and get along with each other. He then plops into his bed and gets ready to doze off. Dragon Lord, on the other hand, is looking down on Final Calamity. Why is a human girl here with S-rank monsters? Tentacle monsters wonder why the bastard kept on calling this girl Final Calamity. She should be called Final Thirst Trap with the way she is right now. No stronger than an ant. Tentacle monster even laughs. Esvo's Final Calamity experiment has failed 1,000 times, but this is his biggest L. They both look at Final Calamity banging against the glass door, desperate to get out. Dragon Lord tells her to put it to a rest. Even he can break out in his berserk form. If she can break out, he promises to become her mount. Tentacle Monster also tells Final Calamity that it will become her pet if she can break out. Otherwise, she is in for a night of ara fun time. Final Calamity feels something stare within her, and her arm starts to morph. Red energy glows around her palm, and the mirror under her palm starts to crack and fissure. They look at her in amazement as she blasts away the ultra-resistant glass. They immediately switch up their attitude. Dragon Lord even bows before Final Calamity, promising to be a good little dog if she frees him. Tentacle Monster also promises to be her pet. Iso is snoring soundly, calling out to his mom in his sleep. Just then, the alarm over his head blares off. He quickly rushes towards the containment facility. The alarm notifies them that a high-risk experimental area is under attack. Final Calamity tells them that at least 3 white crystal barriers have gone down and 3 subjects have broken free. They need to suppress them and contain the damage. Aso and Cheese quickly shoot towards the high containment route. Subject number 8 and subject number 15 are on the loose. Also, the Final Calamity is running rampant. Aso quickly takes the tablet and can't believe that the chalk blue glass was melted. Instead of being pissed, he celebrates that she has finally manifested the transplanted left arm of doom. Cheese, on the other hand, is interested in knowing how the Final Calamity was moved into the high-risk experiment zone. She was supposed to be in isolation. Back in the containment unit, Tentacool and Dragon Lord are going bonkers, lasering everything in sight. Aso is far from impressed. He talks to them as if they are naughty pets, telling them that the fun time is over and heads back to their cages. Dragon Lord refuses to live his life like a lab rat. He promises to tear him apart, but Cheese just shoots his gun off. Yellow smoke. The dragon yells, "What is it?" And Aso replies, "There are 200 dragon spider eggs. As a dragon, he must know what spiders will do to it." The Dragon Lord hears that parasites like these live on dragons and sub-dragons, feeding on them, and the host is practically doomed. While Cheese is distracted by the dragon, Tentacool wants to get rid of them with a sneak attack. Too bad Aso is playing checkers while they are trying to play chess. He throws a flashbang that instantly blinds the Tentacool monster. It writhes in pain. Aso asks if they are going to keep being naughty or if they will go and return to their cages and behave. The Dragon Lord yells that they have Big Sis on their side and they can't lose. Tentacool is also pinning his hopes on the Final Calamity. After all, she broke his toughest high-frequency glass in an instant. Aso is taken aback. Just who is this Big Sis they are talking about? They slowly step aside to reveal the Final Calamity, walking towards Aso. Even Aso is a little bit shaken. If she loses control in a bad way, this could get troublesome. The Dragon Lord smiles. Finally, they will see Aso covered in fear. After all, he locked them up like lab rats and experimented on them day in and day out. It's time for justice to be served. Final Calamity walks towards him slowly. Cheese asks if he has an emergency protocol to suppress the Final Calamity. Too bad I'm not there. The emergency protocol would be to unzip my zipper. Aso replies that no material can hold her and contain her power. She suddenly zooms towards Aso, displaying mind-blowing jiggle physics. She pins him to the ground and the Dragon Lord laughs. It is too late for mercy. He'd better clear the Dragon Lord of Spiders and lick his toenails if he wants to have a lick of mercy. He tells Big Sis to take his life and make him rue the day he was born. When he finds out that Big Sis is actually an OF model and a freak, the dragon's hopes shatter faster than my dream of getting a job after going to art school. She continues to lick Aso over and over again, and Aso has had enough of it. She still roars cutely, and he understands that she doesn't want to sleep here. He promises to move her to another better place if she stops acting like a dog. The Dragon Lord tells Big Sis to get her head in the game. She melted white crystal glass. Of course, she can melt this skinny white boy as well. Aso looks at them in fury, wondering all the creative ways they can be busy for the next couple of months. Later, they take the elevator. As for the fate of the monsters, the noble Dragon Lord is stuffed in a plushy caterpillar so that he has time to think about what he has done. But what Bro did to the tentacle monster is absolutely diabolical. It's been restrained, and a pile of onions is spread in front of it, and it is denied the luxury of blinking. Meanwhile, a small 9-headed Hydra is snoring soundly when it spots Calamity's face squished against its glass. Aso is out of his wits. Final Calamity refuses to sleep with the other test subjects. Where can she sleep? I'd be happy to provide a solution, but there won't be much sleeping involved. Cheese has the same idea in mind and tells Aso to let her sleep in his room. Aso grumbles that he can't let a dangerous monster. Our old CCTV footage talks about SFR 6082 trying to restart the camera, but an unknown medium is out in the hotel. Bloodstains cover every nook and cranny, and they wonder what the hell happened. The corpses are reduced to skeletons, and what kind of terrifying monster could have done that? Even the cameraman wasn't spared as a mysterious entity walked towards the cameraman. He, as a monster, an 11 by 10 goth baddie with 69 mental illnesses, walks towards the cameraman and the video cuts off. Cheese keeps on suggesting that Calamity sleep in his room, but he refuses. He'll be in danger with such a powerful being in his room. I'd be happy to offer my room to save Aso's life, but Cheese argues that Calamity feels closest to Aso. It's only natural that she'll sleep where she's most comfortable, or else she'll go berserk. Aso is still not worried though. After all, he added his soul extract during the cultivation process, so of course they're close to each other. Cheese finally reveals that his soul extract wasn't a part of the cultivation process, but more of a part of a fermentation process, since he drank it thinking it was wine. Aso yells at the rat, asking what the hell he did. Cheese argues that he should have known better than to give him a nice-smelling liquid when he was already drunk as hell. They continue to argue while Calamity is playing with the Hydra. 2 seconds later, she goes into the water tub with her cake out in the display. The Hydra quickly shies away as she continues to get drenched and everything turns see-through. Cheese quickly turns around and Aso grumbles that the Hydra is not a toy. He yells at her to get out right this moment. He grabs her leg and yanks her out of the aquarium. That's when our boy's luck maxes out, and he comes face to face with a ton of cake. He complains about how heavy Calamity is, and she needs to get off, and Cheese just laughs. For someone who was slammed in the face with a bakery door, our boy isn't happy, but pissed and even bruised. Cheese decides to turn in for the night, and Aso can take care of the sleeping situation. He reminds Aso that Disaster Girl is only a girl. Aso can erase a town in the blink of an eye. He needs to make sure that she doesn't go berserk. Aso scoffs, asking what he should do. Calamity starts sneezing because she is soaking wet from head to toe. Aso decides to let her bathe first. He gets the bath running and turns freaky on her armpits, but it's only a scanner, and there are no pathogens or germs on her. He doesn't want a test subject to use his bathtub, but he has no other choice. He commands Calamity to wash herself, but she just looks at him with puppy dog eyes. He explains that he will leave, and she will take a bath and take off her clothes. She nods and starts taking off her clothes before he leaves, something that his virgin loser brain can't handle. On the verge of getting a massive nosebleed, he looks away but tries to reason that, as a scientist, he must ignore the subject's gender. Too bad he gets a massive nosebleed and passes out. Aso puts on a pair of shades and clogs his nose before bathing her. He uses shampoo and gives her a bath, and they decide to head back. He turns off the shower and tells Calamity to wash and dry herself, but he accidentally slips on a toy and goes straight into the pool, scaring Calamity. Aso curses as he tumbles into the bathtub, right into the baddie's lap. He curses for not directing her straight to the sterilization room and blasting her through a car wash. Calamity, in her literal gremlin state, looks away as our boy's arm gets stuck between 2 godly marshmallows. That's when Cheese barges into the bathroom with a riot collar, just in case Calamity decides to attack him. When he sees young Master getting attacked in a completely different way, he smirks and tells the kids to go easy on each other. Aso curses. That is not what he thinks. Cheese smirks, reminding Aso that protection is everything, and he must have his battle-ready armor before exploring that bakery. In a fit of fury, Aso throws a bar of soap at Cheese, but the old rat is already gone, smiling to the heavens like a proud dad who finally saw his son touch grass. Too bad mine can't relate. He looks at the portrait of Aso's mom, the absolute god's mommy, telling her to rest assured because her son is perfectly normal and straight. Later, Aso dries Calamity's hair and reaches for a hairdryer, but the moment she sees it, flashes run through her mind. Someone firing a gun. A mysterious figure is pointing a gun at her head. Her eyes instantly darken. Aso tries to dry her hair, but she is already gone. He looks around and spots her quivering behind the shower curtain. Just what in the world is this girl doing? He's had enough of her games, but then he notices her trembling and turning pale. He wonders if he did something wrong. She wasn't even scared of the Dragon Lord or the evil eye tentacle monster, but somehow this thing terrified her. Then it clicks. The hairdryer looks like a gun. It must have reminded her of the night she was hunted by the bullet gentleman. He's fascinated that she still remembers fragments of her old personality before the experiments. He sighs and calls her over. Clementine slowly looks up and sees her master holding the hair gun like a handgun. She cowers in fear, but he pulls the trigger. Instead of a bullet, a gust of warm air blows through his hair. He even gives himself a goofy hairstyle, making her smile. Soon she starts using the hairdryer herself, and it immediately becomes her favorite toy. Aso instantly regrets helping her get over her fear. He snatches it away, telling her that it's bedtime. She looks at him with the same puppy dog eyes, but it doesn't work on our boy. He locks the hairdryer away, telling her to behave herself, and she can play with it later. But for now, it's off to bed. She looks away, dejected, but doesn't argue. Aso holds his head in frustration. He wanted a weapon of mass destruction and chaos, but instead he ended up with a giant marshmallow blondie with the IQ of a toaster. He can't let her sleep in his bed. Of course, it's off limits. That is an unbreakable rule for an alchemist. Too bad she is already in his bed before he even finishes the sentence. He immediately tries to yank her awake, telling her to get out. She quietly sits on the floor while Aso wonders what he is even supposed to do anymore. At this point, I'm about ready to offer my own bed too. He tells Clementine to listen carefully. Experimental subjects are forbidden from sleeping on their beds. That's a violation of regulations, so she gets to sleep on the nice hard floor. She is also forbidden from making noise in the middle of the night, and she is absolutely banned from sneaking into the bathroom to look for the hairdryer. Finally, he relaxes and turns off the light, but something still feels dangerous about letting her sleep on the floor. He quietly peeks over the edge of the bed and sees her curled up like a puppy. For some reason, he starts blushing. He tries to sleep, but she suddenly starts making noise again. Aso angrily grumbles, telling her to stay quiet, but she keeps shuffling around. He grits his teeth and yells that it's the middle of the night, so why is she still acting up? Then he realizes the poor girl is freezing. Her face has already turned pale from the cold. Meanwhile, Cheese is busy with his own suspicious activities. Judging from the magazine on his chest, the old rat was having a fantastic night. Aso looks at the magazine and the suspicious pool of baby batter on the cover. He tells the stupid rat to wake up. How dare this man sleep peacefully while his master is being tormented by calamity? He places a stink bug right next to Cheese's nose. Immediately, Cheese wakes up puking and gets ready to break Aso's arms for what he just did. Aso tells him it's payback for dumping Calamity on him. He is only here to ask for an extra blanket. Cheese instantly snickers, asking if it's for Calamity. He keeps complaining about her, but his little teenage V-card heart still can't get over her. Now isn't that right? Aso immediately denies it. He has to run tests on her tomorrow, and she needs to stay in top condition. That's why he needs a blanket for her. Cheese yells that there are 6 blankets and beddings inside his drawer already, so why doesn't he just use one of them? Aso tells Master Splinter that it is absolutely not happening. Each bedding is assigned to a specific day. For example, today is dedicated to alchemy research, so he uses the alchemy bedsheet. Thursday is for elixir studies, so he uses the solid purple bedding. He keeps rambling about all the different theme sheets he owns. Cheese immediately spots a loophole. Didn't he also create a Disaster Girl bedsheet? Aso pauses. Cheese grins. If it's the Disaster Girl, then naturally she should use the Disaster Girl bedding. It literally has her design on it. Aso can't even argue with that flawless logic. So our boy reluctantly gives in and brings out the Calamity bedsheet. It has the design of what she was originally supposed to look like. Suddenly, she rises from the bed and slowly hovers over Aso. Her eyes glow with amber light. Looks like our boy is either about to lose his life or his V-card. There is no in between. It's finally 8 a.m., and a raven throws away the clock into a skull's mouth and starts crowing over and over again. It is time for the greatest alchemist of the century to wake up. It continues to glaze our boy until he is woken from his deep sleep. He curses for not getting a full 8 hours of rest, but he'll have to do. He feels something soft around his arm and a gentle hand over his chest. He also feels a wave of breath warming up his ear. Our boy quivers. He feels something rising. And it's not the shield hero. He turns to look at Calamity lodged snugly next to him. Why the hell did she crawl into his bed? And why the hell is she lying here like that? Looking at her, he can hardly believe that she's supposed to be a walking calamity. Cheese barges into the room, asking Iso how he slept last night. Iso quickly gets up and hides Calamity under the sheets. He tells Cheese he's not sure where she is, and Cheese panics. What if she turned berserk? What if she's in the experimental zone? It can become a huge disaster. Aso tells Cheese to go to the monitoring room. He'll freshen up and join him. As Cheese is about to leave in a hurry, he sees Aso's bedsheet squirm. He yells that his blanket is moving. Either all those years of gooning have turned it sentient, or something is hiding under it. Calamity emerges from the sheets, gasping for air and sweaty as hell. Liso tries to explain that she snuck into his bed last night, but Cheese tells him it's okay. It's normal for a 13-something-year-old teenager who is going through puberty to want to lay the pipe on his own creation. Then he's happy for him. Our boy couldn't handle the embarrassing conversation and sprays Cheese with a mouthful of stink bug essence. Cheese starts rolling around in anger. There's 300% concentrated stink bug juice, something they developed to deal with city heroes. Iso still insists that she climbed into his bed. He didn't do anything. Now they need to start testing Calamity. They move to the experimental zone to collect personal basic data. First up is her height. She turns out to be almost taller than Iso, and Cheese teases him that if they want to catch him, he'll be the one stepping on his tiptoes. Iso hears that he's still growing. Next, they measure her weight. She's way too light for the massive heat she's packing around her bosom. She should have been at least 800 kilograms with all the ingredients he used. Cheese laughs and starts measuring her marshmallows, and tells Iso that he's lucky that she ranks in the D class. Later, they turn to measure her lung capacity. It's basically how much she can hold her breath and blow into a tube to make the bat on the scale move. She shows her how to do it and hands her the breathalyzer. She takes a deep breath and holds it. Iso tells her to blow, and she grabs his face, moves closer and is about to exhale in his mouth. They lock lips, and Iso is pinned against a table. Cheese arrives once again at the worst time possible, and looks at Iso wriggling under Calamity. She finally pulls back and wipes the drool over her mouth, and looks at the bat, but it hasn't moved. Iso quickly rinses his mouth, and Cheese laughs that he wouldn't have thought the last member of the alchemist family would end up being violated by his own creation. Iso hears that he's talking way too much, and sprays him with water. They've already tested her multiple times, and she doesn't have any dangerous pathogens, but Iso still insists on wearing the hazmat mask. Either he's afraid of pathogens or a surprise kiss attack. The rest of the tests move along smoothly. It's a flexibility test, then lower body power, and grip strength. Based on the physical stats, she is no different than an ordinary human. Cheese wonders if things will be different if she turns into combat mode. Maybe she needs a high-intensity test to awaken the parts lying dormant in her. Aikoshi thinks that's a good idea. They must find the most bloodthirsty experimental subject they have, and lock them in a room together. Meanwhile, the absolute freaky goth mommy is in a cell making dolls shaped like Iso and asking him to visit. Cheese gasped in surprise, asking if he was referring to high-risk subject patient 0 as the test subject. Cheese wants to gradually increase the intensity. Maybe she should start with a genetic rabbit. Iso wonders if there is a weaker monster, maybe a lab rat. Cheese quickly snatches the rat and yells at Iso. They've talked about this. No rats will be harmed in the experiments. Rat lives matter. Iso laughs. Even though he's a sewer rat and they're lab mice, he says he's not afraid of rats. They still have a soft spot for them. He looks at the cute bunny and wonders if Calamity will take it seriously. He lets go of the bunny and Calamity immediately crouches and starts doing something to the bunny that makes it wriggle. Cheese laughs. Looks like she's finally awakened her bloodthirsty nature, and Iso grins. She's finally on her way to becoming the Calamity she was supposed to be. He shudders, thinking what she would do in a crowded room. However, they've got the wrong idea. She just snuggles next to the bunny and doesn't harm it. They're just trying to get her to go. Seo's had enough of this girl. He brings a wild coronavirus and injects it into the bunny. This is the newly upgraded frenzy solution that can mutate 29 times. The bunny's eyes grow larger, its fangs grow sharper, and its whole body morphs until it turns into a huge beast. Iso laughs. This should be enough to awaken Calamity's survival flight or fight instinct. He even gives the bunny a new cool name, Savage Bunny No. 1. The bunny bashes its fist together, challenging Calamity Girl. It's finally as strong as Cheese Rabbit. Iso tells the bunny to fight, and the bunny rushes towards Calamity. They both start placing bets on who will win. Cheese bets that she'll dodge, and Iso bets that she'll tank the blow. The bunny smashes it, but all of a sudden, Calamity Girl vanishes. The bunny feels something is wrong, and something is crawling around its fur. Calamity emerges from its white fur and starts tickling it and snuggling it. They both lost the bet, and this girl has zero fight or flight response. Iso and Cheese move to the high-intensity experimental room. Cheese asks what will happen if she dies, and Iso replies that if she dies, it proves that he failed, and he'll just start again. They arrive at a huge galvanized steel gate. They both put on their masks, and Iso even has a leash around Calamity's neck. This is looking less like a fight to the death and more like a pre-cough. Cheese reminds Iso that they've used the best transplants they have in Calamity Girl. If she loses everything, it goes to waste. But Iso still wants to see if she can kill. She'll never transform into the final disaster if she plays it safe and stays on the sidelines. They fail too many times, and he's had enough. Calamity senses that her master is feeling low and pats him on the head. Iso has had enough of this. He grabs her head and tells her not to pity him. If she doesn't unleash her full power, she'll be killed. She was only created to become the ultimate bioweapon and help him conquer the world, not conquer the sheets. She still thinks that it's great to have her as a mascot for our organization. Meanwhile, that goth mommy is playing with little Enzo dolls. She is one of Iso's experimental subjects, Lucille. Looking at her is enough to evidence that our boy has a certain type when it comes to experimentation. Iso walks up to Lucille, and she presses her face next to the iron bars, telling him it's been 1,000 days since he last visited. He tells Lucille that he's finally created the final disaster, and she is no longer the strongest. She yells that it's impossible. She's supposed to be the strongest experimental subject, with the sole exception of Satoru Gojo. Iso tells Cheese to bring Calamity in. Calamity rushes and wraps her arms around Iso. This is enough to infuriate Lucille and activate her overdrive. She calls Blondie a bastard for laying hands on Aso. Energy and lightning crackle around them. Aso tells Calamity that she needs to take this seriously. He also tells Lucille that this is the strongest test subject he has ever created, and if she wants to reclaim her title as the strongest, she needs to defeat her and prove it. Lucille bites her lip until it bleeds. She then tries to negotiate for better terms. She wants to spend an entire day together with Aso if she wins. Aso accepts and she tries to ask if they could cuddle while they sleep, but Aso refuses, saying that's pushing it way too much. Lucille smiles, promising to destroy her test subject and make sure that she is the strongest. Looking at her energy storage devices on her chest, she really is on par with Calamity. Aso turns to Lee, and Calamity tries to follow him. He tells Calamity that this is the end of the road for them. If Lucille kills her, then she is nothing but a failure, and he won't step in to save her. He lets go of the leash, and the door closes. Blondie raises her eyebrow and scratches the door in panic. She bangs against the door, repeatedly asking for Aso, but Aso just laughs. As the last descendant of the family, it's his duty to create the best bioweapon possible, and this is the way he should treat his experimental subjects. Finally, everything is back to normal. Aso and Cheese move to the monitoring room, ready to see the play. Cheese asks if he reassured Calamity, and Aso tells her to stop being so soft and release Lucille. Cheese warns Aso that if Blondie ends up dying, he shouldn't cry later. He punches a big red button, and the cage and restraints surrounding Lucille start to lift. Lucille stretches her arms. She's finally free. A camera is rolling and showing her good side. She looks at the camera and tells Aso to get ready for a spectacular battle. The strongest test subject in history versus the strongest test subject of today. Their battle will be legendary. Cheese even stocked up on chips, but Aso tells Cheese to stop it. He doesn't like the cheese flavor. Cheese tells Aso to stop worrying about it. Lucille has a suppression collar. If she goes berserk, all they need to do is press a button and trigger her virus. He even wants to bet again. He wants to bet that Lucille will win, and if he wins, he wants to control the TV remote for the entire week. Aso bets on Calamity, because if she doesn't win, she'll die. Lucille tells Calamity to stop banging against the door. It's impossible to open. It looks like she doesn't have the slightest will to fight. Lucille laughs sadistically. It doesn't matter. All she needs to do is break her down so that she can be together with Aso. Cheese yells that Lucille is making a move while Disaster Girl is just banging against the door. Lucille raises her hand and a dark shape emerges behind her. She calls Calamity a piece of trash, but Calamity grabs her wrist out of the blue. Lucille starts to panic, and Aso's eyes widen. Is she really about to throw hands and enter combat mode? Aso and Cheese start celebrating that Calamity is finally getting serious. Too bad they are far from the truth. In reality, Calamity is leading Lucille around the room, haunting at the big door that's blocking her path. It turns out she's trying to ask Lucille to open the door for her. Even Lucille is at a loss for what she should do. Does she really want help opening the door? Like a giant golden retriever, Calamity shakes her head and nods. Lucille starts laughing hysterically, telling Aso that his so-called ultimate weapon is nothing more than an idiot. He shouldn't have chosen a blonde test subject. She's proving the stereotypes right. She grabs her wrist and injects her with the dark plague virus. She tells Calamity she can leave once she has a pile of bones. That way she will be dumped into non-recyclable trash. Lucille looks at her body, which has turned pale and purple. She smiles. The ultimate bioweapon just got poisoned, and she had better remember that Lucille will be the strongest, no matter what. The virus starts spreading around Lucille's body. Lucille laughs because she's immune, and Calamity Girl is turning paler by the minute. She had better remember that Lucille is the strongest bioweapon Aso ever created. The chart showing Calamity's body starts beeping. Cheese yells that the dark plague virus has spread through the girl's system. The organs are about to shut off. Aso yells that the cocoon's blood cells should kill any pathogens that try to infect them. How the hell is this girl getting sick when she is supposed to have an immune system that adapts like Maharaga? Lucille can't believe that she won so easily. Cheese yells that Disaster Girl is about to collapse, but Aso tells him to cool his jets. Data shows there is only infected 30% of her cells, nowhere near fatal. Although she can die if the cocoon blood truly activates, then she'll die. Lucille starts stomping on her head and tells Aso that his so-called ultimate creation isn't perfect at all. She didn't have any fun. Lucille looks at Calamity and her breathing is labored, and Lucille laughs at the girl for thinking she would help Calamity open the door. The virus has already spread to 70% of her cells. If they don't pull her from the experiment, she'll die. But Aso still doesn't care. The dark tentacles wrap around her body. It continues to wrap around her and she starts enjoying it and even licks her cheek. She wonders why Calamity tastes amazing even though she is supposed to be garbage. The dark shape around her chomps onto her body. The virus has already infected 90% of her cells. Cheese wants to pull the plug on the experiment, but Aso grabs his wrist. He's not done observing. Cheese insists that they can't just stand by and watch Lucille devour Calamity. Aso tells the rat to shut the hell up. Why is he being so soft on an experimental subject? Has he forgotten their ultimate goal? To make the world bow at their family name? And Final Disaster and Lucille are merely tools for his ambition. A voice crackles through the monitor. Calamity calls out to her master. Cheese can't believe that Calamity just spoke. Did he really teach her? Isai says that he has given her a quick lesson. Last night, when she was begging to join him on his bed, he decided to deflect the matter at hand by asking her to call him master. She can sleep in the bed for 30 minutes if she manages to call him master. Although her vocal cords were burned in the past, he has used cutting-edge technology to heal her. But if she doesn't speak, it would mean that she's forgotten how to speak. He tried to show her the mouth movements for every word, but she still just grunted. Iso had had enough and just rolled around and slept. But she kept on practicing the entire night, and that's how she's presently calling her master. Lucille just laughs. Iso won't pull the plug on the project just because she called him master. It's time for a feast. But all of a sudden, the shock collar activates on Lucille, and her strength fades away. She yells at Iso as he is finally ready to stop the experiment. Iso finally pushes the red button, and Lucille freezes, grabbing the collar in pain and calling out Iso's name. Iso comes up with a feeble excuse that the implants are priceless. He can't let Lucille eat them. Keys laughs. He understands his friend and master well. He goes on to say that he's the evilest guy in the city, so of course he would save the implants. Iso agrees and goes to retrieve Blondie. Meanwhile, Calamity is still in bad shape. Her breathing is labored, but she still recognizes her master. Iso tells her not to call him master until she deserves it. He picks her up and she keeps calling him master. They're about to go back, and Lucille snaps, asking why the hell is he intervening. He never batted an eye when she defeated past subjects. Why treat Calamity differently, even though she's inferior to her in skills, marshmallow size, and combat abilities? Just because she's blonde isn't a valid reason. Iso claps back that she has important organs transplanted into her body. It would be a waste to let them be destroyed. Cheese immediately pulls up his dirty magazine and starts gooning, wondering why Iso had to go through the experiment if he cared about Calamity. All of a sudden, Lucille's body temperature starts skyrocketing. Cheese realizes this is bad and yells at Iso to get out of the confinement room immediately. Things are going wrong. The shock collar is not working anymore. Iso freezes and turns to look at Lucille, a few inches from his face, smirking and tapping at the collar. The collar isn't broken, it's just that she adapted to it. It was supposed to lower her body temperature and keep her locked up. But after triggering it repeatedly for 1,000 days, she has finally gained cold resistance. Her plague cells can survive through extreme freeze. Iso closes his eyes and tells Lucille she's won. He will honor the terms of their arrangement. Iso tries to stay calm. He needs to get out of the situation in one piece. Lucille just grins. Spending a day with her is not enough anymore. She brushes against his arm and caresses his cheek. Purple pathogen spreads from her touch, invading his cells and causing a high fever. Lucille laughs hysterically. Now that her cells are in his body, she can feel him pulsate. Cheese yells at Iso that his body has been affected and infected by the dark plague virus. She just laughs, telling them not to worry. The virus in his body is under her control and will remain dormant. After all, how can she harm her dear little Iso? Iso didn't expect that this would be how he would meet his end. At the hands of a goth baddie with 69 mental illnesses and daddy issues, Lucille realizes that some salivary cells belonging to Calamity are also in his mind. She snaps as if she caught Iso cheating. How dare that blondie throw around her cells? And how dare she kiss her master? Cheese realizes that this has turned into a whole situation, and this is getting really bad and out of control. She yells at Iso, asking why his cells have the failures of salivary cells. She also yells at Blondie, calling her a freaky little prostitute. Cheese covers his eyes. He can't look at it anymore. All of a sudden, dark tentacles wrap around her body, holding her hostage in a cocoon of darkness. She yells, there's time for some tentacle fun time, and she'll invade every cell of her body and make her feel agony rather than death. Viral pathogens enter her bloodstream and start attacking her cells. Lucille has the strongest virus Iso has ever created in her body, and can control it as an extension. Spider toxin is worthless in front of it. The only thing that can stop Lucille right now is the collar's loose setting, but she's grown accustomed to it. Plan B was to use a black hole he created, but it is still unstable and can destroy the whole base. He looks at Lucille devouring Blondie with the wave of dark tentacles. Cheese yells that Iso needs to use Lucille's obsession with him as his weapon. Lucille, on the other hand, doesn't know why she can't infect Calamity's heart cells and brain cells, but she decides to erode everything else. Iso tells her to stop it. He holds the gun to his head, saying that this is his final warning. Lucille freezes, asking why he is going to unalive himself for an idiot. Iso repeats the reason. She's not that important, but her body is a goldmine of S-tier organs. He needs those organs to rule over the world, and without those organs, he can't fulfill his vision of restoring his family honor, and there will be no point in living. Cheese wants to give him an Oscar for his acting skills, and Lucille bows her head. Iso wonders if he's out of hot water. Is this a new beginning to manipulate her? She just turns her attention back to Calamity, promising to deal with her and help him rebuild the family one child at a time and conquer the world herself. Iso yells that she is not listening to him. Calamity is in real bad shape. Her body is bruised, battered, and purple all over. Iso realizes he'll have to use his trump card, and Cheese yells at him for not using it and waiting for so long. Iso didn't want to use it because it's way too embarrassing. He yells at Lucille, promising to cuddle with her every night from now on, non-stop. She freezes and turns her attention towards Iso. Her eyes are turning a hue. She imagines giving her a taste of her melons. Iso wonders if she'll agree. She promises to spare the trash bag with 2 additional conditions. First up, she wants to be the one who stays with Iso day in and day out. Then Calamity will be locked up in this cell instead. Iso realizes that she is too obsessed with him, but he needs to get out of the situation and agrees. The second condition is that she tells Blondie to wake up and watch closely. Iso wonders what the hell is going on, as he finds his face buried in those marshmallows. Lucille tells them that since the little homewrecker stole Iso's first kiss, it's only right that she returns the favor. She locks lips with Iso, and Blondie's eyes burn with fury. Something pulsates in her heart. Lucille turns into a freak and forces and uses her tongue as well. Iso's eyes widen. How dare she use tongue? Keys, on the other hand, looks like a proud father who saw his son hit his first home run. He's still conflicted if he should be happy or sad for his boy. Lucille finally pulls back and smiles lovingly. She tells Iso that he's delicious and that boiling toothpaste is adding flavor. He quarters Lucille's sprays, sterilizing agents into his mouth. But it's not enough. Something burns in Calamity's chest. The pathogens in her body start vaporizing and golden flames erupt around her. Lucille yells that it's impossible, but Calamity grabs her throat and hoists her up. Her arms crack and turn red with magma flowing around them. Iso and Cheese yell in unison that the left hand of the Ash Angel has appeared. Calamity slowly whispers that she hates her. A huge explosion envelops Lucille. It remains to be seen if this is the end of her freaky, obsessive life. A man looks at the skies, cursing the molten phoenix for drenching the valley in flames and crimson blood, and still there is not a scratch on its body. The phoenix looks down on the man and starts charging its ultimate attack. A burst of flames shoots out of its beak, and the man sighs, as long as his love is safe. That's enough. That's when an 11 by 10 beauty with massive bonkers yells at him for being a self-sacrificing prick. How dare he die without her permission? A wave of frost clashes against a sea of flames, while the man looks at a view straight out of heaven. He's shielded by the beauty's icy defense. She caresses his cheek, telling him he's not alone from now on. They have each other. He puckers up his lip, ready for a kiss, but gets a foot in the face instead. She yells at him for trying to kiss her out of sync. Who gave him permission to stick out his lips? The director tells them to cut, and the phoenix cackles, looking at the duo. The director hands it a large tray of muffins, a feast for the phoenix, to regain its energy so that it can start shooting again. This is Golden City White Queen Films, a temporary shooting base near an artificial volcano. The White Queen is the city's #2 hero, and an actress at that. She drinks a smoothie while the male actor is brought in chains. He's someone she hired on the spot, but turned out he's just as trashy as all the other men on set. Only his resemblance to a certain man is saving him. The guy doesn't have a shred of her father's aura, and his acting is as terrible as a South Indian movie actor. She's decided to replace him, and the director smiles. Her father was the one who created this great studio, so of course they're going to change whoever she wants. But they've gone through 2,000 people for interviews and replacements, and their budget is over the top. She doesn't care and casually tells him to pull out another $200 million for the budget. Some whispers in her ear, and she yells in anger. Who robbed her bank? The attendant explains that the 2 robbers pulled a heist. One was a human, and the other was a stinky rodent. They used a poison device to smoke the ventilation and paralyze everyone before carrying out the robbery. The actress is shown the machine, and she's intrigued. She looks at the crest, and her eyes widen in surprise. The district chief of the lighthouse area, Bullet Gentleman, has also been hit by an unknown weapon, and is now a disgusting slime. She shows him the slime. The lighthouse area is in complete chaos. The actress doesn't care about all this useless info. All she wants to know is what happened to the bank. The attendant reminds the actress that the lighthouse area is her hero execution zone. Her hair starts to turn into ice. Scales emerge on her body, and her eyes shine with different hues. She tells the attendant that it doesn't matter if it's a hero execution zone or not. The robbers need to answer a question she has wanted to know for a long time. She tells the attendant to dispatch everyone she can. They need to find the robbers at all costs. The director also asks the chairman about the filming. She tells the chairman to suspend it. She has more important things to deal with. But during suspension, everyone will get paid as well. The director is glad that even though she is a 10 by 10 baddie with anger issues, she is still an amazing employer. He then turns her attention towards the guy who tried to kiss her. He looks at her icy beauty and apologizes. That's not enough. She creates a shard of extremely cold ice and plugs it into his mouth, asking him to suck on it and melt it so that he can regain his freedom. If not for the fact that his face resembled her father's, she would have torn off his mouth for trying something so bold. The man gasps in surprise as she turns to leave, saying that no one can touch her with his mouth, except for her father. Aidstye pause. Someone called the FBI. Several years ago, a little girl was quivering while holding a bunny. A cruel woman asked her, "Why is the floor dirty?" She snatched her teddy bear, threw it into the puddle, and started stomping on it while calling the girl a good-for-nothing baggage. She apologized to her auntie, asking her not to step on her plushie. She was slapped in return. A man held her while calling her a heartless witch for raising her hand against a child. The auntie laughs, asking why they are putting on a daughter and father affectionate show. She tells Mailer that she was the one who lifted him from a garbage bag to the top of the theater as a playwright. Mailer looks away, and a mysterious figure appears behind our team, asking if she is here to provide the children's soldier. She smiles and points at the little girl. He belongs to the Ming clan, a group of criminals that turn children into soldiers. Mailer looks at Jai-man, asking what she plans to do with the little girl. She just smirks. She is going to find her a good home. After all, that's too much for a bastard. The Ming clan trains children from a young age and turns them into exceptional soldiers. And even though she is small, she can go without food for 3 days and still talk at the end. The guy from Ming took a liking to her and grabbed her, while Mailer could only watch. Calamity opens her eyes and looks at her tiny plushie by her side. Meanwhile, Cheese Rabbit number 1 is still under examination and is losing a lot of its fur around its chest. They wonder if it's sick or something. They also wonder why Calamity has been unconscious for 3 days ever since she defeated Lucille. Her vitals are stable. They are still investigating why the rabbit is losing its fur around its chest. Hopefully, like all of his other test subjects, it's not growing a pair of marshmallows. Speaking of Calamity, she is stable for now. Years ago, a mysterious man was hooked up to several vials and drips, while an elf who was too poor to afford clothes was working on his treatment. That's when the man who abducted the girl arrived and told him about the Doberman's assassination operation. Rottweiler and the others were all killed by the city heroes while infiltrating the Golden Zone. The man sighed. Even the strongest hounds couldn't break into the Golden Zone and eliminate the traitors who betrayed the Latoma dynasty. The man explained that only Yorkshire survived, but it is currently missing. This infuriates the man and he tells his underling to go find her. Presently, Iso is pacing around the living room and gets an amazing idea. Cheese tells him to stop being so loud. He wants to see the game. He has decided to name Calamity. Her code name from now on will be Cole. He turns to Cheese, waiting for him to ask why he chose that name. In reality, it was his mother's favorite flower. Even though it was frail, it only bloomed in storms, and its poison pollen was carried by the strong winds. Since Cheese is as rude as a ball of cabbage, Iso decides to keep the reason to himself. Cheese wonders if Kala is the second strongest after Lucille. Iso agrees. Her greatest advantage is her docile personality compared to Lucille, who is a loose cannon. Her abilities fluctuate wildly, and she has no desire to attack whatsoever. He tries to think about all the ways he can get her to attack and unleash the angel arm. The first time she used it was in the extreme danger zone. Maybe she hated sleeping there, that's why she used it to melt the glass. Cheese smirks, saying that she wanted to sleep with Iso, and that's why she threw a hissy fit. Iso tells him to shut up, and the second time she used it was when she fought Lucille. When he was using disinfectant spray in his mouth, she thought Lucille had attacked him. The boiling blood cocoon in her blood took care of all the pathogens and the germs, while she used a thermal pressure vaporization cannon. Cheese raises his eyebrows, wondering what kind of ridiculous name that is. Even though he's a genius, Iso still has the naming sense of a 14-year-old. He still thinks that it's cool, but the temperature of the cannon fluctuates wildly, and when she attacked Lucille, it was the same temperature as a solar flare. If not for the freezing collar on Lucille's neck, she would have died. Right now, she's in rehab. All of a sudden, Cole's stomach growls, and she starts rubbing it over and over again and points at her mouth. Cheese can't believe that he never took her out to eat. Iso says that it's a waste for something so perfect to need to rely on food, but he knows the exact thing she needs to fill up her belly and regain her energy. Both of them freeze, wondering if this is what he had in mind as Cole's lunch. They look at the Dragon Lord still in his caterpillar onesie. Cheese yells that he's crazy as hell. The dragon opens its eyes and sees the trio standing before them. He eagerly greets Iso as the greatest alchemy master of the century, and wonders if he can get out of the suit now. Iso laughs, saying that it's time for him to redeem himself. All he has to do is become Cole's lunch. The news shatters the Dragon Lord's hopes and dreams. Cheese reminds Iso that the Dragon Lord's hopes and dreams. Cheese reminds Iso that the Dragon Lord is the only true dragon in their collection. He's too valuable to end up on a plate, but Iso doesn't care. As a valuable test subject, it's only natural for him to become a premium Wagyu steak. Who knows? Maybe Cool might evolve into her ultimate form. He smiles, telling Cool to go get a taste, and Cool immediately complies and jumps on top of the Dragon Lord. The Dragon Lord starts crying like a kid, promising never to be naughty again. Iso laughs, saying it's too late, as Cool bites hard on its horn, but surprisingly, her teeth don't go through, and a bruise forms around her mouth. She starts wailing, and Iso calls her a disappointment. Later, he makes her a cup of ramen. She looks at it in amazement, and her mouth immediately waters. Iso hands her chopsticks, but she eats them with her bare hands, gobbling them up and making a mess while crying her eyes out. She smiles, telling Iso that it's delicious. Ku quickly inhales her ramen and starts crying with delight. Iso feels bad, it's only a cup of noodles. It's nothing serious like that. Cheese understands that she hasn't had a decent meal in her life. No wonder she is gobbling it up. Iso starts laughing and teasing Cheese about being the same way when he was a sewer rat running around his room and stealing cheese. Back then, he almost shot him. Cheese claps back that he was just like Homelander and begged his mom for being breastfed until he was 3. Iso chucks a wooden wrench, yelling that it's a lie. He stopped drinking milk when he was 6 months old, but his mommy still forced him. They continue throwing stuff at each other, and it turns into a whole scene straight out of Tom and Jerry. Meanwhile, Ku enjoys her cup of ramen, slurps her broth, and gulps the last bit before handing the empty bowl to Iso and thanking him. Iso wipes her face, asking her to mind her table manners, but her stomach still growls. 1 hour later, the table is full of empty noodle cups, and she is still eating like crazy, wanting more and more. Cheese nervously tells Isso that this is their last cup of noodles. Another hour later, Isso is running around for his life, pleading with Cool not to come any closer. He hugs his last box of chocolate wafers close to his chest and holds the gun in the other hand. He's about to body his hot bioweapon over a box of wafers. It turns out one piece of chocolate has made her lose her mind. She crawls closer in a sussy pose, asking for more. Isso grunts, tearing open the packet and stuffing all the wafers in his mouth. Bad idea. She pins him to the ground and locks lips, using her tongue to fish out all of the wafers in his mouth. She might be innocent on the street, but she's a freak under the sheets. She continues to suck all the wafers out of his body, and Isso can't even fight back. He can't even breathe at this moment and passes out. Someone tell Cool that I've got wafers in my pants and my mouth as well. Cheese, on the other hand, is ready for the duel of his lifetime. He's going to die trying to protect his cheese stock. It holds the best cheese from around the world, and he hopes that Cool doesn't find it. Kukla sniffs around and finds the secret hatch and blows it apart with her angel arm. The galvanized steel frame turns into magma and she jumps through it and stands in front of Cheese. Cheese yells that taking Isso's snacks was a good idea, but taking this cheese will be her last action. She just leans closer, grabs his gun, and turns it into a pile of smoking metal. It also burns his paw and he yells at Q not to take a step closer. She just tears open the closest cheese and starts eating. She eats through the entire pile while Cheese curses the heavens for his rotten luck. He calls her the ultimate gluten instead of the ultimate disaster. Later in the experimental area, Tentacool is talking to Dragonlord. He heard that Dragonlord was going to be fed to their big sister. Dragonlord just coughs, saying that the dragon's body is the hardest thing in the universe, and his horns are the hardest things to ever come into existence. He taps his horn, and ironically, it shatters. He starts cursing that his strong and majestic horns are gone and he'll never lay the pipe on lady dragons ever again. Isso and Cheese have finally managed to contain Ku. Ku slaps her hands against the glass door and Isso holds his head in frustration. For someone who didn't even bring out her arm when faced in a death or life in that situation, she was ready to blast everything in her path for a piece of chocolate. A piece of chocolate and sugar triggers a rush that makes her use even her special powers. There's not a single granola bar left in the kitchen. He turns to look at Cheese, wondering why he is not saying anything. Cheese grunts that he had 400 blocks of the world's most expensive cheese. He had been saving it for years, and this wicked little girl just ate all of them. He whips out a chainsaw, ready to give her a fitting punishment. Isso reminds Cheese that she is a cute girl. He then whips out a canister of acid and a can of digestive fluid. Isso once again reminds her that she's a cute girl. He then whips out a brain-sucking mosquito, and Isso tells Cheese that it will starve if it tries to attack Kun. And besides, she's a cute girl. Cheese holds his head in pain, telling Isso to do whatever he wants and punish her. Isso laughs, realizing that his friend really has a soft spot for Ku, but she does need to be punished, or else they will never have desserts in the base ever again. That's how our boy ended up with Ku lying across his lap, cluelessly looking around. As she has the mind of a kid, an old spanking should be the most effective punishment. Isso has decided to toast her buns, and the first slap lands and immediately brings Ku to tears. The room echoes with slaps, 1 for being greedy, 2 for stealing chocolate wafers, 3 for using her powers recklessly. As the punishment goes on, her peaches have turned into strawberries, and her face is a blubbering mess. She's sobbing her eyes out, and Isso has decided that this is enough. Cheese says that the real problem is that their base has no food left. Isso curses that he won't even get dinner and slaps her over and over again, making her regret the day she used her powers for evil. Cheese reminds her that they have a bigger issue. They need to go on a grocery run, and they can't leave Cool alone at the base. Who knows what she will do if she's alone? Isso looks at Cool, trying to keep a straight face and looking at her teddy. He decides to bring her back to the surface. Isso then puts on his sharpest suit while Cheese puts on a majestic cape. They're armed to the teeth and ready to roll out in style in their new threads. They also tell Cool how to aura farm. She needs to hit a cool pose and wait for her allies to be beaten half to death before coming to save them. It's all written in Piccolo's Bible. He then activates the transportation beacon. They step into a large purple area. Cool is scared and grabs Isso's hand for reassurance. Isso sighs and tells everyone to get ready and close their eyes. He covers Cool's eyes with his own hand as a purple light blazes around them. He arrives at the criminal paradise of Golden City. Right now, they're at the top of the tower, and the beacon is his favorite. According to Mr. Piccolo, it makes aura farming easier by standing on a tall building and looking down on the city. Cook gasps in surprise. Cheese wonders if they should head straight to Megamart, but Isso disagrees. Her clothes are way too suspicious. They need to get her dressed in suitable clothes. Maybe they should head to the mall. Cheese reminds Isso that all of the stolen cash is already gone, but Isso just laughs. This is the perfect opportunity to look for another venue to steal from. He reaches out for Cook, telling her to grab his hand. They're going shopping. He leaves the building while holding Cool in his arms, bridal style. Isso reaches out his hand, telling Cool to get ready. They're going to go. He leaps from the rooftop and activates his anti-gravity boots. The crust on his cloak glows faintly, and they float slowly towards the ground. Next stop is going to be the mall, but Cheese wants a hot dog first. So of course they make a pit stop at the park. A giant statue overlooks the city. Isso is waiting for Cheese to get his glizzy, and a child looks at the statue, wondering why Big Sister is climbing it. So what kind of idiot would climb the symbol of peace? It would be a major federal crime. Just who is so brain dead? That's when he realizes that he knows exactly who is that brain dead. He looks around and sure enough, Kula's climbing the statue for God knows what reason. She sits on top of the statue and waves at Isso like a proud little kid. Cheese, on the other hand, is having his glizzy. The shopmaster is tied up, and Cheese is helping himself to all the herbs and spices. He then looks at the cops running towards the plaza. He wonders what in the world is going on. That's when he realizes that his own idiot squad is to blame for that. The cops yell at Cool to get down. Climbing is strictly forbidden and they will use force if necessary. It's a good thing Cool is blonde, or else the cops would have shot first and asked questions later. She looks around in panic. Cheese realizes that this is a serious crime. Even if she's innocent, she could be sentenced to a year in prison. He needs to act quickly. He immediately puts on his shades and walks away with his glizzy in hand. He is ready to blend into the crowd. After all, sneaking away and selling out his teammates is the standard villain protocol. But someone throws a flashbang in the air that blinds everyone and knocks them down. Isso swears that he is never going to bring her out again. Cheese tears through the enemy lines with a dagger clamped to his tail. He tries to act heroically so that he will never leave his teammates behind. He is a strong believer in the power of friendship. Isso tells him to cut the bullfish. He saw him sneaking away. The cops try to move, but their pants are already slashed. They quickly arrive at a luxury boutique. Isso is breathless and is glad that they got to keep their heads. The manager yells at them to get their dirty hands off the display window. The Golden Legacy store caters only to the highest paying customers. How dare they dirty the glass? Isso smiles, telling Cheese that the glass gets dirty really easily. What should they do? Cheese decides to lick it. A stream of spit clings to the glass, and the manager is about to blow a fuse. How dare a dirty sewer rat lick their glass? But Cheese starts plastering a $1,000 note on top of the saliva. He does it again and again until a series of notes hangs from the spit line. The manager is about to blow a fuse. How dare a dirty sewer rat lick their glass? But Cheese starts plastering a $100 note on top of the saliva. Isso apologizes and tells them that they are free to pick out as many banknotes as they want. It's their tip for dirtying their glass. The manager switched his attitude faster than my dad's when I told him that I failed math. He doesn't care about the dirty glass. Of course it's going to get dirty. It's on the outside. They should help themselves to the inside of the store. He then carefully picks the banknotes and stuffs them into his pocket while Isso waves from the inside. The manager then greets Isso courteously, asking what he is looking for. A trench coat, a suit, or a cape, just like Piccolo's. Isso tells the manager that he is not here for threads today. He is here to dress up Cole. The manager quickly runs towards Cole, asking what kind of outfit she would like. She looks at him cluelessly and just smiles. That smile is enough to melt his frozen heart. He has never seen a face so beautiful and skin so flawless. He didn't notice while outside since he was too busy with the rat and the boy. The manager is a stunning beauty. He pities her for having to walk around and be enslaved by a short king with a big ego. Isso tells the manager to bring out all the finest evening gowns they have on hand. A tenant immediately brings out a series of gowns, and they drag her towards the fitting room while she calls out to the master. Isso tells them to be gentle and tells Cool not to make a fuss. He sighs and starts waiting for her to change. The manager pours Isso a cup of tea and tells him to wait. Being the spoiled rich kid he is, he tells the manager that he doesn't like tea since it's bitter. He looks at Cheese trying on a couple of hats. He knows that he has a can of Black Blast soda, so he wants it. Cheese chucks the can and tells Isso to leave him alone. He wants to pick out the perfect hat to match his club. 20 minutes later, the manager comes back to her and tells her to leave him alone. The tenant nervously tells Isso that Kush refuses to undress, and maybe he can help her out. Isso storms towards the fitting room and sees Kush trembling in a corner. He tells her to stop making a scene and just take off her clothes. He'll be outside if something happens. This reassures her, and she keeps calling him master, and Isso confirms that he is here. She keeps calling him every 3 seconds, and Isso replies that he is here. She finally comes out in a stunning red dress. Isso looks at her, and the manager starts glazing the dress. There is an exclusive piece created by a designer, and his girlfriend will look absolutely stunning. Isso grumbles that she is not his girlfriend but a maid. The manager doesn't buy it. Who brings a maid to buy such an expensive dress? Isso tells the manager that it doesn't meet his standards, and he needs to have something better. The manager rubs his hands apologetically, promising better dresses. If they can't satisfy his taste, then no one in the boulevard can. This piece is only the start. Next up, she wears an elegant green dress that makes her look like a leaf. Isso finds the design intriguing, but it's still missing something. The next dress is something that leaves nothing to our imagination. She looks so stunning that Isso is rendered speechless, and the manager realizes that this is it. This is their best dress, modeled after the dress of the Empress of the Golden Empire herself. Suddenly, a black limo pulls up in front of the mall, and 2 attendants roll a black carpet in front of the limo. The manager starts tweaking. He completely forgot that Lady Renee was supposed to visit tonight. Isso wonders who this Lady Renee of the Black Palace is. The manager apologetically pushes the trio into a fitting room. They need to hide in it right now and not come out until she is left. If she sees them, everyone will be punished with 1,000 lashes, and they'll be in danger. A beauty emerges from the limo, a raven hair, porcelain skin, and a cold attitude. This is Lady Renee. She walks barefoot on the carpet and whispers that she is cold. The manager whips out her sword and creates a curtain of flames to warm her up. She ushers her to the mall. Just who is this mysterious figure that can casually command demons and ice yokai? The demoness creates a wall of flames to help her master walk safely and comfortably to the store. She is greeted by the manager. She's been waiting for the dark goth Lolita dress by a designer and hopes that the store has it. The manager laughs. Of course they have it. He's been turning away any customer who dares to look at the dress. Iso and the trio look at the manager skillfully sucking up to Renai. They recognize her as a member of the Kuroya family. Iso knows that the family is one of the world's noble families, and Cole just grunts, trying to be part of the conversation. The world nobles live in the Golden City and their paradise, and their plaything is this city, so why the hell is one of them here? Iso answers that paradise can get boring real quick. They need commoners to have fun. The attendants continue to roll out the black carpet under her feet, and the manager tells her that they're almost there. He points at a shape covered by a red curtain, but Renai stops a few meters short. The attendant nervously explains that the black gold carpet has run out. The demoness yells at them for being pathetic, even though they knew that Her Majesty would be coming to the local shop. They didn't stock up on black carpet. Now what do they want? What should the noble walk barefoot on this dirty floor? They both bow and plead for mercy, but for such a grave mistake. Mercy is not an option, and they know what to do. They both realize what they have to do and bring out daggers. It's time to perform the blade heart ritual. A nice way of saying seppuku, but before the blade can pierce their chest, it shatters. Shinku, the Buddhist by Renai's side, has decided to give them mercy, but before one of them can thank him, he gets bodied by her. Both of the guards are lying on the floor, and Shinkai reaches for Renai. She grabs his hand and walks over the unconscious attendant, resolving the issue with the red and black carpet. The trio wonders if all the nobles are so arrogant. Iso has a new idea. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to kidnap someone as powerful and important as Renai, and get enough dough that they cannot eat well for life. Cheese reminds him that they are not talking about robbing banks, defying safety protocol, or fighting heroes. They are talking about kidnapping one of the world's nobles. Their lives will become harder. Iso doesn't care. They really need to do something outrageous to create bigger news. Cheese retorts that each of the world's nobles has an unimaginable amount of influence and power, and they are as rich as Richie Rich. They also single-handedly created Garden City, which is their playground. Renai stands on top of her attendant and looks at the shape. The manager unveils it with pride. It's their best piece in the entire store. The duo is still quarreling about whether they should kidnap the noble girl or mind their own business. All of a sudden, a scream catches their attention. The dress on the mannequin has been destroyed, and now it's showing everything that was supposed to be covered. The marriage trembles, and Renai asks if this is the dress that was reserved for her. The demoness and Shinkai both brandish their weapon, ready to put an end to the sorry excuse of a store. Iso immediately recognizes that Cheese must have done this to the dress. Cheese agrees. He was bored and wanted to try out his new dagger to annoy the manager. They didn't know that they would be provoking one of the world's nobles. Kawful stutters. She wants to see too, but accidentally trips and pushes Iso out of the fitting room. Meanwhile, Renai is asking the manager for an explanation. As soon as the manager spots Iso stumbling out of the fitting room, he pins the blame on him. Cheese slaps his head. No way is this happening. The demoness grabs his collar and picks him up as if he weighs as much as a quinton. Iso still slips out a can of poison, provoking the demoness. The manager looks away in shame. It's only natural he would try to save his neck. The demoness just laughs, calling him a prankster, and promising to poke his eyes out. Renai, all of a sudden, tells her to stop. Turns out she likes the dress. It's different and exciting from anything she's ever worn. All the men in the store gasp collectively. The trio gasp. They can't believe that she actually likes the shredded dress. The demoness still wants to teach Iso a lesson, but Renai tells her to knock it off. She immediately lets go of Iso, telling him to behave. Iso is glad that tomorrow's headlines will run the news about Renai being kidnapped by the great villain Iso. He can't decide whether he should use the dragon spider toxin or the power burst grenade. Meanwhile, Renai tells Iso that she's not sure what he's talking about. The moment she saw him, she knew that he was extremely dangerous. Iso freezes. This was not part of the plan. Cheese is still covering Kowal's mouth. Renai walks to the edge of her attendant's cloak and asks if he is not content with being a comrade. Renai is wondering if Iso put on all of this show just so he could work for her family and wanted to get her attention. She smiles kindly, telling him to run and climb the ranks in their family. She's the president. He was willing to die to get her attention, and if he kneels and kisses her feet, she might make an exception and let him be a servant. The demoness is losing her mind. Why can a man kiss her feet when she hasn't? The girl just smiles warmly. This is the first time she is letting a guy kiss her feet. She also wonders if she should step on his head when he kisses her toes, but Iso would rather die than be a simp. He tells Renai that her feet smell, and he is not going to kiss those bad boys. Everyone gasps in surprise. Iso tells Renai that she must be rich as hell, so why not wear shoes? Iso tells Renai that if her family is loaded, why doesn't she buy a pair of Gucci shoes? Why does she insist on walking barefoot? You could get a world of infections from walking barefoot. Instead of getting angry, Renai holds back tears. She throws a tantrum because her feet are sprayed with perfume every day, so they are not stinky. She raises her hand and Iso smiles. This is the moment he was waiting for. She is about to strike him, but all of a sudden Kure arrives and grabs her wrist. Cheese couldn't even take care of a murder machine with the intellect of a 3-year-old. The demoness brandishes her sword and tells her to get off, young mistress. She still holds on, and Renai tells her demoness to sheath her sword. Renai still thinks highly of Cold for standing up to bullies. She wants both the girl and Iso to return to her estate and work under favorable conditions. The demoness and the manager can't believe what's happening, and even Iso doesn't have the answer. She even asks how much he's willing to pay to part ways. He just smiles. Family name or not, he's not going to hand over Koroya, and she won't be able to make any deals in the foreseeable future because he's about to kidnap her as the #1 villain of Golden City. The demoness tries to defuse the situation, but it's too late. Iso throws a grenade that covers the area with purple smoke. Shinkai feels his strength fading, and the demoness tries to grab Renai, but she is already gone. The moon shines beautifully as Iso and Cheese make their escape, each one with a beauty in their arms. Iso tells his bro not to worry. He used the best 3rd-generation powerless grenade he had. It will make them so confused that they won't even remember their names. Sure enough, Shinkai yells that a white-haired boy with a stickman build kidnapped their master, and the demoness yells that a chubby blonde kid with freckles took their master. They can't even get up, and they are more confused than Goku when he was told marriage is not something he can eat. Back at Renai, she is tied up in their place, and Iso welcomes her to the Golden City's top villain base, introducing himself as the greatest alchemist and descendant of the ancient family. Cheese tells them that she is hostage to the ultimate villains, and Cool also joins the fun by laughing loudly and scaring the duo out of their pants. Iso yells, why did he tell her not to leave the room if she is just going to do it anyway? Cheese complains about her ruining the evil atmosphere. Renai smiles and takes off the gag. She taunts them for being the top villains when they can't even tie the gag properly. Cheese whispers that their evil professionalism is at stake. Iso complains that he was responsible for tying the gag. Cheese claps back that he was responsible for tying her hands and feet, and here she is completely free of the restraints. They both start arguing with each other, and Renai completely vanishes. She opens a bag of crisps and takes one while Kuri helps herself to her snacks. Iso holds a gun to her head, telling her not to create problems. She is a hostage, and if she doesn't go back to the chair, she will get horrors beyond imagination. Renai just smiles, asking if it is scarier than the punishments used at her household. Iso wonders what. She explains that there is a crushing pit of layers. The one who is punished is shoved into a small place, and iron plates are stacked on top of them until they are turned into spaghetti. The next one is having their head shaved into a low tipper fade and having a molten helmet put on their head. That one was inspired by Khal Drogo, their ancestor. The third one is having centipedes burrow through their body by drilling holes inside of them. This one was inspired by Diddy and Kaneki Ken. The victim watches their body become a breeding nest for centipedes. Cheese feels that he is about to lose his lunch. He asks if they send her back unharmed, maybe they won't get punished. Iso yells at the rat. Are they a charity organization to just hand her back? Cheese yells that he doesn't want holes drilled into his body. He is happy with the ones he has. Renai tells them not to worry. Those punishments won't be used on them. After all, for someone who has kidnapped an heir of the family, those punishments are only child's play. The punishments they would face would make them curse their creator for letting them be born into this world. Cheese is petrified, and Renai just laughs. She won't let the family use torture on them and even pardon them for the kidnapping and give them a huge sum of money if they agree to one condition. Cheese nervously asks what, and Renai replies that she wants to join their gang and become a criminal. They both look at the girl as if she has lost her mind. She wants to live a life of luxury, to live like a budget criminal. Just why? Renai tells them that she is bored as hell, and maybe they can commit crimes and have fun together. She also has an American Black Express card. They will have unimaginable funding to create more weapons. Cheese immediately wants to take the deal, but Iso asks if there are other conditions. Renai laughs, saying there is another condition. They have to listen to her 100%. She gets to veto every vote. Iso swats the card away. He would rather die than give up his autonomy, but he spoke so soon as Cheese shoves him out of the way, telling them that he will obey her. Whatever she wants is their new mission, as long as she can transfer the money. Iso calls him a filthy rat. Where is his dignity? Why is he losing his dignity for money? Cheese yells that they need a funder for the ultimate earth-shattering crime. Iso tells the girl that he is the current head of their family, but he does not agree. They will never accept orders or charity from anyone. He tells Cheese to give her a dose of spider toxin, tie her up, and send a note to the family. Renai tells Iso that they won't get a single penny from kidnapping her. According to the family tradition, if someone is kidnapped, they will automatically become an outcast, and the whole family will hunt down the criminals, brutally kill them, and display their corpses like treasures. She has decided to change the conditions. They will receive a massive sum, and she won't give them orders. She just wants one thing in return. She wants them to help her kill the current head of the family, her father. Iso freezes, wondering if he is about to bite more than he can chew. The entire gang is having a feast: buttery lobster, ribeye steak, and a Big Mac. A waiter stands a few meters away from them. Cheese can't believe that Iso actually accepted the offer. Iso replies that for that kind of money he would kill anyone's dad. Cheese laughs. What if she asked him to kill his own dad, even going as far as to tell him that it would be impossible since he doesn't know who his dad is? Iso looks away. His mom always told him that once he revived the clan and took control of the Golden City, he would find out who his daddy is. Cheese just laughs. Their master loved keeping secrets, so he should forget about his daddy and let him enjoy his milk run. They need to focus on the feast and then think about how they will need to take out the target. After all, they have been paid 20 million gold pounds in advance, something they can't make even by robbing 10 banks. Even while in the estate, Shinkai and the demoness are stripped of their armor and plunged into a cold bath, while a mysterious man stirs a goblet full of leeches. The man tells them that compared to centipedes, these leeches can burrow into human holes much more smoothly to lay eggs, and they can create hundreds of eggs in a single sitting. He's thinking about improving the centipede torture. He looks at the demoness. For someone who can make a demoness tremble and piss her pants, he really is bad news. He tells them that they should be honored to be test subjects for his latest torture. The demoness cries that she's going to rescue the young lady, but he just laughs. They can't even remember what the kid looked like, and they want to talk about rescue. He's about to spill the leeches into the body, and the demoness yells that she'll atone with the Blade Heart's ritual. Renai arrives and tells her father to stop. She immediately smashes the goblet and runs towards Renai, hugging her in relief. Renai later looks at the sky and the beautiful moon. The demoness thanks her for saving them. She whips out a bag of crisps from her robe and tells the demoness to try some. The demoness is unsure. After all, this type of food is banned in their household. Renai tells her to stop yapping and just taste it. She's amazed by how delicious it is and asks what happened and how she escaped. Renai tells her that it's a secret. On the other hand, Cheese has stuffed himself full of lobster and cheese. I'm wondering why the famous noble bloodline is so strict on their families, and they have to train in martial arts and assassination techniques from the age of 5. They even have 36 blades and 13 needles in their sleeves in case of emergencies. If Renai really wanted to escape, she would have slit their heads open. But instead, she wanted to have Iso as her pet. Cheese tells him that it's a good thing for a guy his age to get a sugar mama. Iso yells that he should stop with the banter. He's just here for our mission, and then they'll part ways. Cheese reminds Iso that if they manage to take out the current head of the family and make Renai the new head, he'll never have to worry about money again. After all, he also got revenge for his embarrassment now, didn't he? In terms of revenge, our boy used a freaky method to make her uncomfortable. He used a genetically modified feather to tickle her feet. The itching sensation was intense, and for someone who hated touching anything with her feet, it was pure torture. But judging from the look on her face, she enjoyed it. Currently, she is looking at her feet and developing a massive crush on someone. Meanwhile, the manager is answering some questions for the police. He claims that a giant bunny and a man with an eye patch robbed the store, but the cop doesn't buy it. That's when another baddie barges into the room. The cop yells that this isn't her place. Girls like her can come around. She then shows him her ID. She is the new chief of police. The cop looks at her massive assets, asking if she really is the new chief of police. She even has Hello Kitty boots. She just laughs. Does she have to be an old man in a blue suit to look her part? She really is. The cop refuses to believe it, and she tries to sweeten the deal by showing off her assets even better, and telling him that since he is cute, he can grab one of the marshmallows for a second, but he'll have to become an obedient dog. The cop feels something stirring, and he quickly goes to cool himself and gone. This is ridiculous. He needs to ask the gatekeeper why they have a girl like that acting as chief. That's when a huge minotaur walks up to Mark, asking if he's greeted the new chief of staff. This is Blackhorn, captain of Investigation Team 1. Mark tells Blackhorn that the new chief of the branch is a little too distracting, but Blackhorn and the other cops are stoked to have her. One of them feels that she even gave him a lollipop. Of course, he's going to back her. One of them wants to be her personal water delivery guy so that he gets to see her every day. Blackhorn tells them to stop acting like simps, and they had better not underestimate the new chief as well. The last chief was turned into a slime by a mysterious gang, and the position has been covered by the other branches. The headquarters has sent this new girl over here. Her name is Baba Palia. Blackhorn tried to run her background check, but there's no record of her previous employment. It looks like she was downloaded straight from her account. Baba Palia walks up to them, asking what's going on. They gasp in surprise and stand in line, and Baba Palia tells them to relax. The next morning, the new chief of staff arrives. Blackhorn and the other cops are stoked to have her. With a chief of staff walking around like that, not much work would be getting done that day. She tells everyone she's not like the others. She just wants them to have fun, run with passion, and solve cases unconventionally. One of them tells her that's a little too much. Baba Palia points at him, telling him he did well to speak his mind. She wraps her arm around, and the guy with the afro wonders if he's going to get lucky tonight. Is he going to get a kiss, but instead he gets a frog sticker on his face. The guy sighs, realizing the new chief is a huge tease. She's decided to declare that the bank robbery case and the kidnapping case are related, and they will be investigated together. Whoever finds clues for the cases will have the right to go on a date with her. That's enough to motivate every male in a 10-mile radius. Even Blackhorn rushes like a rampaging bull, ready to solve the case. She just smiles and looks at a picture of Aso soaring through the air with Ko. If she hadn't been in the town square, she would have never gotten that picture. Back at Golden City Grand Theater, the butlers are talking about whether they've heard about the new picture, and the great playwright Milo's coming in today. Also, the assassin squad hellhounds are roaming around the continent. Things are really shaking you because someone tried to assassinate world nobles and the hellhounds are here to eliminate the killers. That's when the butler is distracted by a mop of golden hair. Iso strides through with cool gracefully. They both look like a couple straight out of Hollywood. Cheese tells the butler that he'll lose his eyes if he keeps looking at their mistress's bakery. He apologizes profusely. The other guy wonders why he didn't check their ticket. The nervous one tells him that she looked like a noble, and he doesn't want problems. Later, Iso pats her on the head for an Oscar-winning performance, and she gets so excited as she's about to lick his face like a golden retriever. She quickly gives her something to suck to save his dignity and V-card. They need to memorize the internal structure of the theater. Next Friday's performance, the head of the family and a crowd of nobles will attend, and that will be when they strike. They look at the movie posters as they walk through the theater. A poster shows Mahil, the dramatic genius. Memories of her childhood flood into Kolpa's mind, how her father tried to protect her, and how she was taken away. 2 hours later, they're finally finished drawing the map, but they realize that Cal is nowhere to be seen. She's wandered off somewhere, and hopefully she's safe. 2 hours later, they're still nowhere close to finding Cal. Cal, on the other hand, is frozen in place, looking at the poster of her father. She gently caresses it, and a voice asks her if she's a fan. Her father walks up with a smile on his face, gazing at himself for being the greatest writer in history. J.K. Rowling has nothing on him because he's created better magical worlds and beautiful stories. They then ask Kodul her name, and Kodul looks away shyly. She's about to call her father, but a little girl runs up to him and calls him daddy. Her aunt also arrives, telling Mihail not to wander off by himself. The little girl laughs that her father is the world-famous playwright. Kodul runs away looking at the heartbreaking scene. Even the sky feels sorry for her and starts weeping. She runs towards the attendants into the streets, her mind racing and her feet moving on their own. The streets are full of bad girls, too poor to afford clothing. Some of them even help others by giving them crystals to sell. Others help give back to the community in the form of potions. I seriously need the location of this street for research purposes, and to buy them new clothes. Lucille accidentally bumps into an old man and keeps going. Everyone notices how beautiful she is, but she just crouches on a corner and wonders who she is. A beauty asks her if she's lost her way home. A silvery-haired angel with blue eyes asks if she wants to join the Thousand-Bird crew. She leans closer, telling Kalt that as a member, she won't be allowed to have personal belongings, so she'll have to hand over her dress. She's about to rip it off, but Kal grabs her arm. Genderbend Gojo tells Kal to get her stinky paws off her hand. Cool stutters that her master gave her this dress. She can't take it off. The girl smiles. She doesn't have any idea what she's getting into. She slaps Cool senseless, but she still refuses to take it off. The girl smiles and creates blade-like feathers. If she can't have the suit, she'll tear it. The blades move in surgical precision, grazing her over and over again. Iso and Cheese are desperately trying to find her based on their strength. They arrive in an alley, and Cheese says that most of the scent is washed up, but his notes can still pick up a faint trace of calamity. This is the Dark Star Street. The Filthy has the most chaotic gutter beneath the city. If someone gets lost there, they won't come back. This is the stronghold of the Thousand-Bird Gang. All the girls are troublemakers, and even the security bureau can't keep them under control. They help guys lay the pipe for money, gamble, and give them drugs. The gang will do anything for money, even going as far as assassination, smuggling, theft, and tax fraud. The main members are Silver Phoenix, Lawyer Bird, Falcon, and Raven, and for some reason they all hate men. The Dark Side Corner is the worst part of town, where all of the baddies get guys drunk, rob them, and leave them on the street with a stupid smile on their face. Iso doesn't care. They are only low-time criminals. Cheese disagrees. The girls are no joke. Meanwhile, at the warehouse, all the girls are talking about what an amazing outfit Kal has and how suspicious she is. They need to interrogate her. Everyone is looking at Kal as she is lying unconscious. Silver Phoenix smiles. It looks like their little sister needs some training. One of them laughs while smoking from a tobacco pipe, and the muscles of the group laugh, saying that men are only as good as dogs. The men lining up behind her agree, and with a muscle mummy like that, even I would agree. Silver asks Raven to use her soul search ability and dig into her mind. Big mistake, and she can't imagine what's going to happen. She leans closer and gently pats Kulko on her head. The first scene she looks into her mind is Kulko on her head. The first scene she looks into her mind is Kulko getting her peaches toasted by Iso. Memories of Iso are then quickly replaced by her father, her abused childhood, her induction into the Hellhounds, and how she had to fight for scraps. And anyone who got a scrap was beaten, and only the strongest could survive. A girl even told her not to get in her way, and the leader of the Hellhound told her that dogs who don't fight won't get fed. She was indoctrinated to be a Hellhound straight from the abyss, with the sole purpose of obeying her master, not to even die without her command, and to complete her mission as long as she breathes. Raven gasps in surprise, realizing that they've bitten much more than they could chew. This might be the end of Snow White and the Seven Witches. Meanwhile, Iso is interrogating anyone he can get his hands on with a brain-sucking mosquito. He tells the guy he's caught that he's in a bad mood since his test subject is missing, and he'll end up like his little friend over here. The guy looks at his friend and a fat mosquito is draining his brain. Cheese doesn't know how to act. Iso never used this mosquito until today. The man cries that Silver Phoenix and the other witches are in the warehouse training. Iso asks the guy to lead him. They arrive in a bloody bloodbath scene. Everyone has been slashed from head to toe, and this doesn't look like something Culp would do, since she would use a heat cannon. So why? Silver Phoenix is also gasping for breath. Iso is glad he finally found a survivor, but she's in rough shape, missing her dress and covered in blood. Cheese gasps, looking at the tattoo. She's the leader of the Phoenix Force. But why the hell is she completely bare? Iso tells him not to mess around and stabilize her so that they can get a lead. He uses instant regeneration serum on her, and her wounds immediately disappear. But she's still too traumatized to talk. Iso tells her to stop with the PTSD bullfish. He needs information about the girl in the golden dress. 1 hour ago, Raven had her wrist snapped by Cole. Everyone looked at Kellevar as her hair changed to purple and her eyes to amber. It was as if she were a whole different person. In her new form, she was unstoppable. Even Silver Phoenix's feather blades were no match for her. She just grabbed them. Silver lost her confidence when she saw her Phoenix blades being tossed around like sticks. The other girls tried to act tough, but Raven yelled that she was a member of Hellhound. She was the one who infiltrated the Golden District to assassinate the world's nobles. Silver Phoenix tried to defuse the situation by asking Kuel for a price to let Raven go. The others refused her approach because they had numbers on their side, but Silver Phoenix was smarter than all of them combined. If she's from Hellhound, it won't matter if they have an army on their side. As payment, Kuel asked Silver Phoenix to have a taste of her own medicine, to take off her dress. That's how she ended up as naked as the day she was born. The other girls had mixed views and wanted to take down Cole, but Silver Phoenix told them to hurry up and get her some clothes. They still couldn't think why a member of the Hellhound was running at large. That's when a mysterious winger told them that they're right. Hellhounds are not supposed to walk in the open. They turned their attention towards Doberman. In a single strike, Muscle Mommy was slashed apart. Next up was Smoky Girl, then Raven. Doberman told her that killing them is easier than squishing a rat. Cheese realizes that a Hellhound is responsible for all the carnage, but Iso is surprised that her hair turned back to purple. The Cocoon of Despair experiment never had this happen before. Silver Phoenix begs them to save the others, and the whole gang will belong to them. Cheese smiles and reconsiders, but the others are not in good shape. If they're really going to save them, they'll have to use some forbidden technology. But Iso doesn't have the time to mess around with bimbos. He tells Cheese to forget about them. They need to find Kuel and recover her fast. They can't throw away their most important experiment through the date. He still wants to leave a preservation kit for the others, but Iso doesn't have the time or patience for that. Cheese yells and throws Silver a kit of preservatives, telling her that the bodies won't rot beyond. Meanwhile, Kallus was walking around the rooftop in her new form. Surprisingly, her left arm, right eye, and heart are completely repaired, but she doesn't have memories of what happened. Doberman arrives, asking Kall where she has been. She was supposed to assassinate the Black Palace leader. Why did she fail and disappear? Kuel nervously says that she was successful in infiltrating it, but was poisoned and ambushed by a man dressed as a priest, a swordman calling himself Don Duskblade. He cut off her left arm and left leg. Doberman recognizes that man is the strongest swordman. No wonder they call him the living weapon. It's no surprise that she lost, but she's interested in how she has her left arm and left leg if they were surveilled. Kuel's not sure because she was unconscious. Doberman doesn't want to go into details and tells her to continue with the mission, but a mysterious figure leaps on the rooftop, telling Kuel that she must be mistaken. He is the only master she'll have for the rest of her life. They look at Iso standing majestically on the rooftop with a mask on his face. Doberman asks if she knows who this is. Kall replies that she's the one who saved her. Doberman comments on how she can talk. Looks like he even repaired her vocal cords and has treated her well. But is she thinking about betraying her original master for a new one? Kall says she'll never do that, and Doberman is glad, telling her to go kill the imposter. Once he's dead, they can move on to important matters. Kall closes her eyes in acceptance and walks towards Iso. He shouldn't have followed her. She whispers, but Iso just laughs. From the moment he saved her, she became part of his family, and he's not going to let her go. If she doesn't behave like a good bird, she's going to get her buns toasted again. Her hand instinctively goes for her bottom, and she remembers the disciplining act that she went through. She rushes towards Iso trying to take her down, but a purple hand grabs her wrist. Lucille is also here. She calls Kall a useless brat. It's time to settle the score for the last time. Iso tells Lucille not to use the plague virus on her. If she goes berserk, no one knows what will happen. She just laughs, telling Iso not to overthink it. All she needs to do is keep the final calamity in check, and they'll get to sleep tonight. Our boy rushes off in embarrassment, but what's really embarrassing is that they're really just going to sleep tonight. Nothing more, nothing less, because that's not code for anything. Then comes face to face with a Doberman. Looks like they'll have to settle the dispute over who's the master the old-fashioned way. Doberman reminds Iso to stay outside of 5 meters, or else he'll get slashed into ribbons. Kall asks Doberman to stop, but it's already too late. He moves like a phantom and slashes Iso's throat. Blood gushes everywhere, and Doberman calls him another brat who is out of his debt. Kall rushes towards Doberman, but he stops her blade a few inches from his eye. He asked her for an explanation, but she was just crying. Lucille was just holding her arm a minute ago, but her arm is already slashed off. She realizes just how terrifying Kall is. Kall grunts, didn't she tell him to wait? Her eyes sparkle with different auroras. Doberman asks if she's going to repay them by treason. Iso laughs and slowly gets up. The wound on his throat completely healed. He had reacted to her with a self-actor. He was just faking his death to see if Call still cared about him. He's the current head of the family and chairman of the Purity Research Association. He can't be killed by stabbing. He then asks Call to come back to his true master, but instead of an embrace and a lick like she used to, she punches him in the gut. This infuriates Lucille, who is about to kill herself. Call tells Iso to keep that in mind. He's not talking with the blonde girl, and if he keeps pushing her, she won't hold back. Iso thinks differently. He pulls out her teddy bear and knows what she thinks about the world. Instead of letting Hellhound remain a mindless killing machine, maybe it's better to join his cause and reshape the world with alchemy, a world where she can keep the one she loves by her side forever. Doberman has decided to eliminate both of them on the spot. The entire squad pulls up ready to take down Iso and the crew. The assassins zoom towards them at breakneck speed, but instead of panicking, Iso smiles. It's the modern world, and he doesn't care if they have numbers on their side if he has bigger firepower. He shoots a gun in the air, and a crystal shatters. The Dragon Lord appears on top of the building, making everyone in a 10-mile radius piss their pants. An hour ago, they had realized that Cull's personality had reset to her Hellhound days. They were trying to track her down. What if her personality had overpowered her present one? And if she learned how to control the Ash Angel arm and the Empress Eye, then there's no telling what would happen to the world. She's told Iso to stop with all of the overthinking. Iso decided that the only way they could save the test subject was to release Lucille. Only a higher-risk test subject can restrain another one. That's how he ended up going to Lucille's regeneration tank. Cheese tells Iso that she's still in a coma. Iso knows that she can regenerate as long as a single cell survives. She's just pretending to be weak to avoid returning to her cage. Her entire information has been injected into each of her cells. As long as one of them remains, she'll never truly die and regenerate. He even glows, telling how brilliant he is. Cheese laughs, telling Iso that he's more brilliant than Dr. Giro. But the same genius lost control of his own experiment subject and had to use his charm to get her to stop. This tricks the nerve, and he tells the rat to go back to sniffing cheese. He then tells Lucille to wake up to reality. It's time to stretch her legs. She was immediately gamed. Meanwhile, the cops are running a stakeout in a donut van. The chief is eating donuts while the cop is looking at her donuts. She's completely turned their cop van into a donut food truck, but she argues that no one will suspect a donut truck pulling up and arresting them. This will be her office from now on. He tries to disagree, but she stuffs a donut in his face, telling her she needs to take care of public safety. She can't be a lazy desk jockey or a jockey all day long. An emergency report blares on the siren, and she immediately puts on her boots and puts the pedal to the metal. The car screeches, leaving all the other cops behind. Meanwhile, somewhere in the White Queen's residence, an icy figure stands in the middle of the room. The attendant tells the other party that the chairwoman is currently resting, but the party guests think that a diagram has appeared on the bridge. Everyone is panicking, and they need the chairwoman's intervention. She is a Hero Association member. The attendant argues that there is a protocol for a situation like this. The security patrol will handle it, and if they fail, low-ranking heroes step in. If they fail, then the chairwoman will intervene. They can disturb the chairwoman for every little villain that the cops can't handle. The other party argues that it's not a low-time villain but a true dragon that destroyed the Empire 10 years ago. If the White Queen doesn't act, the entire valley will be a crater. The attendant refuses to let her disturb the chairwoman, who is currently sleeping with an ice statue. The Dragon Lord, on the other hand, is chomping on assassins left and right, and Doberman realizes that Iso belongs to the legendary alchemist family from 4 centuries ago. Dark dragon-like shadows wrap around Doberman as Lucille asks how he would like to die. Malaria, smallpox, syphilis, or HIV. She flicks her tongue, telling him that rabies would be the best choice since they are hellhounds. Iso tells Call she has 2 options. Take her teddy bear, accept that she belongs to their family, and use his alchemy to help recover what she cherishes. Take back her weapon and work for the hellhounds. It's her choice, and he won't bother her. She looks at the objects and slowly reaches out for the teddy. Iso smiles, of course it's her emotional anchor, but surprisingly, she goes for the blade and tells Iso to hold onto the teddy. She has some business to take care of. Lucille smiles and unleashes a wave of diseased dragons on the assassins, asking Doberman if he's all bark and no bite. Maybe they should be called the Hell Puppies instead. Iso tells Lucille to stop being such a hot-headed Latina. He realizes Doberman is trying to lure her away so the other hellhounds can jump him, and by the looks of it, the plan actually worked. Iso immediately tells Lucille to protect herself, and a plague dragon instantly crashes into the assassins. She smiles proudly. She won't let a pack of mutts lay a finger on her precious little Iso. Iso closes his eyes and tells her not to run off like that again. She laughs, and the next thing our boy knows, his head is getting squished between 2 gigantic melons. She promises to make this his permanent resting place so he'll always stay safe. Meanwhile, Doberman faces Call and asks if she's finally ready to fight. He already knows every technique she has, so if she wants to reconsider, now is the time. If not for the hellhounds, she would have been killed by her stepmother long ago. Suddenly, Call stabs her own hand. Iso immediately yells, wondering what the hell she is doing. Call calmly explains that this is the 13 Fang strikes: eyes, throat, arms, hands, stomach, and legs. Every trainer delivers 1 strike to their disciple if they wish to leave the organization. It's the only way out. She's already completed the first strike herself, and now she wants Doberman to perform the remaining 12. Doberman can't believe she would rather mutilate herself than stay with the Hellhounds. Iso immediately snaps, yelling that her body is his property now, and nobody gets to damage it without his permission. Call looks over her shoulder in annoyance, telling him that if he keeps being so irritating, he'll only end up carrying her corpse home. Iso has officially had enough of this edgy Hellhound personality. He just wants Call to go back to being Blondie already. Our boy is so locked in that he doesn't even realize the heavenly place his head is currently resting in. Doberman finally reveals the truth about Call's mother. Turns out she was once the strongest Hellhound and his own teacher, but she fell for some second-rate actor and ended up pregnant. The master spared her life, but she kept trying to run away with Call's father. Eventually, the master ordered Doberman to personally execute her. Before dying, she begged him to let her finish stitching a teddy bear for her daughter, the exact same teddy bear Iso is holding right now. Call's eyes darken. She finally snaps and vows to kill this bastard. Doberman only smiles. He unleashes his Wolverine claws, ready for a true Hellhound versus Hellhound fight to the death. The two clash instantly, sparks exploding everywhere. Call gets shredded apart while Doberman calls her soft and weak, but then he suddenly coughs blood and clutches his chest. How did she learn the heart shatter technique? Call remembers Doberman once saying that this was the only technique capable of killing him. He starts laughing bitterly. Call's mother taught him that technique, and he used it to kill her. Now Call has used the exact same move to kill him. Talk about karma hitting harder than a truck. Doberman drops a key before collapsing. Iso sighs in relief. Finally, they can go home so he can eat his snacks in peace. Too bad he spoke too soon. Call suddenly jumps off the bridge. Iso and Lucille stare at the empty air, wondering what the hell just happened. Then Iso spots a bomb attached beneath the bridge. A mysterious old man prepares to detonate it. He used every last bit of his anti-gravity energy just to get here, and now there is no time left to escape. The old man grabs his remote and detonates the bomb. Meanwhile, Cheese has blocked off traffic to buy Iso enough time to save Call. He tells everyone there's an unknown biohazard ahead, and nobody can cross the bridge. The real police officer is currently unconscious inside a crater without his uniform. The chief arrives and immediately orders Cheese to move aside. They have ice cream deliveries crossing the bridge, and if they don't hurry, everything will melt. She even offers him some sweet treats in exchange. Cheese looks at the two massive treats being offered, plus the ice cream, and immediately folds. The chief smiles sweetly before reaching for her gun. Cheese raises an eyebrow. She explains that she reviewed every officer in the district, and not a single one of them was a rodent demi-human. On top of that, witnesses from the bank robbery all reported seeing a giant rat. Before Cheese can react, the entire village bridge suddenly collapses. The Dragon Lord unleashes a breath of darkness across the sky. Iso looks at the incoming blast and realizes that even if Lucille tanks it, he still won't reach Call in time. Call grabs his arm and smirks, asking if he's finally realized she's the strongest one there. The next second, the entire bridge explodes into smoke and flames. Far away, the old man watches everything through a telescope, while an elf baddie adjusts his IV drip. The old man quietly mutters that Doberman held on until the very end, but couldn't bring himself to kill the daughter of the woman he loved. The elf agrees. The moment Doberman met Call again, he became useless. He even started secretly investigating the world nobility behind their backs. The old man orders the Black Palace family to be informed of Call's location. A third party has officially entered the game. Meanwhile, Cheese desperately tries to contact Iso, but the signal is gone. He rushes away, leaving the chief and the rest of the officers behind. The chief groans in frustration. She was so close to catching the giant rat. The old man coughs violently, terrified of dying before reaching the golden zone. If he doesn't become part of the New World nobility soon, his body won't survive much longer. The elf coldly asks if he truly believes the golden zone has immortality technology. The old man snaps back that she's an elf who has lived for thousands of years, so she could never understand the fear of growing weaker with age. She leans closer, her top fighting for its life against her massive marshmallows, and promises that if he dies, she'll follow him into death herself. Suddenly, a voice interrupts them. Iso bursts out laughing. If immortality were all he wanted, he should have just asked. Bro is out here handing immortality around like a shady salesman, pushing knockoff Labubis. The old man immediately asks who the hell is there. Iso proudly introduces himself as the greatest alchemy master of the century. The old man can't believe it. 200 kilograms of TNT should have blown him sky high. There shouldn't even be ashes left. Iso laughs while brushing soot off his ruined coat. Turns out Lucille noticed the bomb beforehand and shielded him with her shadow wings before plunging both of them into the river. Lucille smiles proudly. She was touched that Iso still tried saving Call, even though she was technically a monster. The old man panics and asks where all his guards are. Lucille casually explains that she already turned them into dragon snacks. The old man grits his teeth. Even if Iso survived, how did he track them down? Iso tells him it was easy. Since the bomb was remotely controlled, the person detonating it had to be nearby, observing everything. Iso slowly cracks his knuckles and promises to torture the old man within an inch of his life, take over the Hellhound assets, and finally settle the score for one of his experimental kids. Iso shrugs his shoulders. The bombs gave his position away, and after the explosion from the bridge, he managed to find the leader of the Hellhounds' headquarters. The leader asks Iso what he wants. Iso tells him it's simple. First, he is going to torture him, then take over the Hellhound assets, and lastly get revenge for his experimental subject. The leader calls him arrogant, a brat who shouldn't have survived that explosion. But no matter, his body is about to be sliced into 8,000 pieces. The leader tries to press a button on his throne, but his hand refuses to budge. Aso laughs, looks like he's been using that hand way too much. The leader yells, why can't he use his body? Turns out our boy has smoked the room with dragon spider venom, and now no one except for Aso can turn. He also knows that 18 tiles on the floor were rigged with traps. When asked how he knew, Aso replies that Lucille has the ability to sense everything on a molecular level. So of course he knew which tiles were rigged and which were fine to walk on. The 18 tiles also form a path straight to the center of the hall, where he was not sure if there were traps next to the seat. He asks Lucille to go fetch the old man and give him a hand. 2 dragons made out of poison zoom towards the old man and wrap around his wrist, hauling him away while his elf buddy cries out his name. The old man pleads for his safety. He is the dog keeper, the real menace behind the empire. He created hellhounds to assassinate anyone who disobeyed his orders, and even infiltrated every imperial branch. Even the emperor has to do what he says, and he trained the assassins to eliminate top officials in every hostile nation across the West. His organization has dunked the continent in a shadow, and here he is, a man sitting on a pile of mountains begging for his life. He calls the old man pathetic, and asks what the deal is with the world nobility. The old man coughs violently and feels his vision blurring. He really doesn't want to die. He feels something pierce his neck, and in the next moment, his gray hair turns brown and the wrinkles disappear. He looks at his hand and realizes he's young again. Aso congratulates him on eternal youth and shows him his reflection. The man is taken aback. How can he have immortality already? Aso laughs. He plans to wipe out the world nobility and take over the city, and if the old man doesn't want to die, he needs to spill everything. He knows about the government. The leader hesitates. Meanwhile, a redhead baddie is tied up in a questionable position. Another turquoise head is tied up. Either someone is having a freak-off, or this dimension has its own version of Epstein Island. Their sweat and fluids drop into a pot of steaming water, as a man lies in the middle of the room with the girls hanging from a doorway on each end. He calls it boring and looks at a picture of Cole, wondering why no one has come to kill him. Presently, the leader explains that the whole assassination game is really just a game designed by the world nobles for amusement. They want the Hellhound assassins to at least wand one of them, either draw a single drop of blood, and then they would acknowledge him as a fellow noble. Aso can't believe that they're hiring assassins to kill themselves. Are they bored out of their mind or something? The old man agrees. They keep repeating the word boring. Maybe that's the side effect of immortality. Aso knows that Kuhl is going on a suicide mission. She's going to get someone's rich kid's adrenaline rushing. Kuhl clutches the key in her hand and remembers Doberman telling her that if things turn south, he will leave the most important thing he owns in container C428. He gives her the coordinates and tells her to retrieve whatever is in it. That's what she's trying to do, but all of a sudden, her hair starts to glow. Her footsteps slow down, and she forgets everything as she returns to her blonde form. She looks around and wonders where the master is. She curves on the curb and her footsteps approach her. Someone calls her a problem child for always running around. It's time to go back home. Aso reaches out for Cole, and she smiles. They happily jog away. 1 hour ago, the leader kept begging Aso to spare his life, and now that Cole is alive and well, they should call it Even Steven. Aso asked if he was mistaken. Cole belongs to him. The old man immediately agrees and starts sucking up to him. Aso asks if he thinks he still believes the Hellhound is where she belongs. The leader frantically disagrees. She belongs to their alchemist family, and that was his mistake. The Hellhound organization will also serve Aso. He even offers keys to his vault. Half of his treasure is in it. Aso accepts it, but it's not enough. The leader promises to have all of his assets delivered to him, but Aso's not talking about money. He's talking about something way more valuable. He points at the elf by his side. The leader hesitates and trembles. He takes a deep breath and tells Garcia that from this day onward she will belong to Aso. Garcia collapses. She didn't expect the love of her life to be the stinkiest trash bag of the century. Aso feels bad for the elf trying to become immortal with a ball of cat bitch like him. She doesn't need to worry. He puts a slave collar on her throat. The leader says their Hellhound has submitted everything to them. Even if it breaks his heart, he will do whatever he says. Internally, he vows that one day when he has the secret of immortality in his hands, he will kill every last one of this wretched family and the world nobles. Their last battle will be legendary. Squashed earth, broken bones. Until then, he will sacrifice everything he can. Aso smiles and tells the leader to use his new body to reclaim his throne. He nervously walks up to the throne and sits in it. He feels nothing can touch him now. Immortality and Compound V1 have given him new hope in the future of the Hellhounds. Aso smiles, telling the leader to give his body a spin. The old man is so excited that he gets a massive nosebleed. But the blood doesn't stop and it starts flowing from his eyes as well. Aso laughs, telling the peasant that he was injected with a top-secret alchemy elixir compound V1, which can heal all injuries and reverse aging in humans. But his body is falling apart because the compound can only be handled by pure-blooded alchemist family descendants. Normal people will fall apart after a couple of minutes, And besides, he doesn't need traitors who would sell out their closest allies when things turn south. The leader dies, and Garcia puts her head on his lap, trembling. Aso tells Cheese to handle everything. The assets, the body, and the corpse. And be careful with Garcia, because she's an emerald elf, a real rare beauty. Right now, he needs to track the idiot who is running around on a revenge spree. The dagger she has a tracking chip, and that's how he managed to find Cole. And presently, he is facing one of the worst situations possible. Both of his shoulders are buried under the weight of the heavens. Lucille and Cool are refusing to compromise on who gets to sleep with Aso. Aso fears that he'll be torn apart, while Shees wonders if he should pity his boy or envy him. Aso finally lies still as both of the baddies lie on each side, and he regrets making the test subjects so clingy. They're both fighting their heads off to get Aso to sleep with them while Shees is busy looking at TV and feeling bad for himself. Aso regrets making these test subjects. That's like saying that my lobster is too buttery and my steak is too juicy. Finally had enough and tells them to stop. Do they really think that they can fight over him and he won't say anything? If this keeps going, they'll both end up spending the night next to Dragonlord. They both feel sorry, and Lucille reminds Aso that this was part of the deal. Aso knows that he promised this to Lucille, and if he goes back on his word, she'll never listen to him again. She really did help him out this time around. She finally gets to stay for the night, and Kolj is told to go sleep on the couch since she disobeyed him earlier. Lucille looks like a wounded puppy, but Aso won't change his mind, no matter how pitiful she acts. Even her marshmallows are depressed, and she turns to leave, looking at Cole and Lucille teasing her. Aso tells her to stop with the stunts or she'll be spending the night on the couch as well. She just laughs and snuggles next to Aso. Aso tells her to stop rubbing him, and he really needs to go to the bathroom. She goes to the bathroom, takes out his weenie, and starts peeing. That's when Lucille rises and calls his little twig, shrieking adorable. That's enough to shatter a grown man's pride. And for Aso, he completely loses control over his dream, and a drop falls on Lucille's mouth. She licks it up and starts breaking down all the electrolytes it has. Aso has had enough, and his face turns as red as a tomato. He grabs a bucket of sanitizer and chugs it into her mouth, asking what the hell is wrong with her. Why is she so freaky? She then brushes her teeth over and over again until they are sparkling whiter than pearls. He leans closer, and she loses control and locks lips. Our boy is fighting for his life and his V-card, and she pulls back. Aso yells that the deal only included sleeping together. Anything else is off the table. Lucille just laughs, and she couldn't resist, and he shouldn't worry, her pull-out game is strong. He tells her to quit it and go to sleep. Later, he starts writing a journal while Lucille is waiting for him in bed. How could she not have realized that he is a huge loser for missing out on an opportunity like that? She asks how long he plans on writing, and he tells her to go to sleep. He'll wrap it up and join her. Lucille is hurt. She tells Aso that if he hates her so much, she can sleep on the couch. He doesn't need to force himself. She is about to leave with tears in her eyes, and Aso feels bad. He apologizes, but he is really busy. He decides to hit the hay if she stops crying. After all, she is the undefeated brat that always gets her way, not pitiful like Kotal. Lucille finally wipes the tears, and they lie together, but she is as frozen as a rock. Aso wonders why he is traveling when she was acting like a menace just a few seconds ago. In truth, Cole is out on the couch, and Lucille is nervous when it's finally time to sleep together. Aso looks at Lucille, wondering why she is not coming closer. She is nervous. After all, for the 1300 days she was locked up, she fantasized about this moment, holding his hand, locking lips, and sleeping together. She only had a plushie to keep her company in those 5 years, and now everything feels so slow. She starts crying her eyes out because she can't control it. Her affection for Aso runs too deep. Aso apologizes for being too harsh on her, and promises never to lock her again. She smiles and closes her eyes. Meanwhile, Cheese is up to no good. He is looking at furries bashing into each other in an epic display of marshmallows and cake. That's when Lucille arrives in a horrible mood. She looks dejected, and Cheese quickly changes the channel. He wipes the sweat from his forehead and tells Lucille not to be mad and to watch TV with her. They start watching a cartoon, and Cheese desperately wants to go back to seeing that questionable sports channel. He really doesn't want to sacrifice his TV time. He starts filling her head with ideas about Aso being too soft, and she shouldn't listen to his commands. Only then will he cave in. And she is also caving in and giving Lucille her upper hand, so she needs to show everyone she is the strongest and reclaim her rightful spot. After sowing the seeds of discord, he returns to the room and quietly puts a canister of sleeping gas to knock them out. Later, Cheese takes his leave, and Cool gives him a salute before barging into the room like a super spy. Cheese smiles. Tonight is going to be interesting, and he can finally sleep in peace. Cool is cuddling around the bed. She freezes when she sees Lucille cradling next to Aso. Lucille smiles, telling Call that the sleep gas won't put a dent in her. She turns into a freak again and licks Aso's throat. There is infuriated Call, and she grabs her hand. They both face off against each other, and she yells at Lucille that it's not okay to eat their master. Lucille raises her eyebrow, wondering where she was when God was giving everyone their wisdom. She wasn't eating him, she was just licking him. Her hand starts to morph into the Ash Angel. Lucille remembers the last time she was almost barbecued to death. If she does it here, she won't survive. and she also can't afford to mess up her relationship with Aso. She tells Cool to cool her head. If she uses that attack right now, she'll hurt Aso as well. She immediately stops the attack, and Lucille smirks since they are the top mercenaries at the joint. It's only right that they should split Aso's love 50-50. They look at Aso snoring soundly, probably dreaming about calculus or some other useless stuff. They finally make a deal to work as sisters in arms, but what Kawi doesn't know is that Lucille is only biding her time. The entire city is in fear as a gigantic spaceship floats on top of it. A huge barrier surrounds the city, and Iso laughs that the Golden City is under his control. Next up, he'll reshape the world in his own image. Cole arrives wearing an army uniform. She tells Iso he'll catch a cold and needs to put on his robe. Iso smiles. She's finally starting to behave. She puts his robe on, but he can't even move because the robe is too heavy. He suddenly wakes up and turns out it was a dream. But something worse waits for him in reality. He's squished between the two plus-size baddies. He wonders why Cole is in the bed and why it is damp under the blanket. Hopefully, he didn't have a bad dream. He realizes that Cole has peed the bed, and that is not okay. He scolds her head off, but it turns out Lucille had used her magic to make Cole's bladder fail. Cole shuddered and wet her pants in the bed. Iso tells Cole that she'll be sleeping in her own room from now on, that his experimental subject wet the bed. Lucille gloats. Iso tells her she'll be getting her own room as well. She nervously says she didn't wet the bed, but Iso tells her she's way too heavy and rolls around in her sleep. She stutters that she's not that heavy. A clear lie. Each of her melons is bigger than my head, so of course she's heavy. In a good way, and Iso has realized that she's behind the whole bed-wetting accident. Subjects living in the quarters, so they need to become independent and have proper schedules. Lucille begs Iso that she can't sleep alone, and Cole does the same. They start crying, and Cheese tells them it's enough. Iso is the cat of the family and president of the association. Not a toy they can fight over. Everyone freezes, and Iso smiles. His bro has his back, but turns out Cheese made things much worse by making a sleeping schedule with 6 days divided between the two. And whoever flips the coin will get Sunday as well. Iso has had enough of this treachery. He shoots his gun at Cheese, and Cheese laughs gleefully. Later, all the days are wiped out. Both of the girls will get 1 day each. Iso then wants to see how the Hellhound asset distribution is going. He tells the girls to stay in the room and not to fight until he gets back. They smile, promising to behave while they wait. Meanwhile, the chief wants every record on the ship. A bald man with a face card that only his mom could love brings the file to the chief. He also asks the chief out for dinner. Bro really needs a reality check. She politely declines because she doesn't have time for dates, but he insists and brings out a black pearl ring worth 20,000 gold pounds. It was meant for his wife's 50th anniversary, but he wants to give it to her. On top of being ugly, he is also a scumbag. A fellow cop tells him to act dignified so he can't give an anniversary gift away. The fact is that he can give it to whoever he wants to. The chief just laughs, telling him to find out why the ship disappeared. If he can do that or find a witness, she will go to dinner with him. The baldy promises to find it even if he has to travel to the ends of the earth. The chief laughs and tells him that she doesn't like jewelry and he needs to give it back to her wife. Back at the base, a pool hides the assets they compensated from hellhounds. Electricity crackles around the water and a ship emerges from its depths. Aso smiles. The Black Palace, the security patrol, and the city heroes are probably losing their minds trying to figure out where the ship went. They would never imagine it's been warped by an alchemist matrix. He walks up to the ship and Cheese tells Aso about all the assets he found in it. 4,200 tons of gold, a lot of precious ores, and files of foreign currency. The total gold must be around 200 million. Aso smiles. Now he can finally get back to building alchemy projects or maybe even develop the Philosopher's Stone. With their own reserves almost dry, this is a godsend. There are also 5 injured assassins on board. Aso wants to brainwash them and send them back to the Empire to retake control over the organization and be puppets. Only a few containers haven't been opened yet. Probably jewelry meant for the nobles. Aso tells Cheese to crack it open. Cheese whips out a blowtorch and makes a hole in the container, but something feels off. A strange screech echoes through the container, and red eyes emerge from its depths. Aso tells Cheese to get out of the way, but it's too late. A tentacle monster emerges, something straight out of a nightmare. Aso hears that they have no idea what it is, but judging from the emblem on its shackle, it's clear that it is a high-risk bioweapon made by his own family. Cheese tells him that it doesn't matter, they need to restrain it. He throws a can of spider venom towards the monster, but it just inhales the smoke as if it were from a vape. Cheese can't believe that the smoke didn't work. The monster flicks its tentacles towards Aso. He manages to hit one of them with a dissolving agent. The tentacle dissolves, and Cheese starts to fully gloat, but the monster just chomps off its tentacle, preventing full-body corrosion. The slime gun is not working, so they'd better call Cole and Lucille. Speaking of Cole and Lucille, Lucille is up to her usual freaky shit. She is inhaling the life out of Aso's boxers and making sussy sounds. As she is up to her no-good ways, Cole tells her not to take something that belongs to the master. If she is hungry, she should eat an orange. Lucille tells her she doesn't want it, but Cole still force-feeds her. She just smiles, telling Lucille that they are best friends. Kurun realizes that they are friends, and Lucille realizes that she actually believes what she said before. Aso, on the other hand, wants to see if the monster is really an ultra-high risk. She is off to meet with Garcia and tells Cheese to take care of the monster. Garcia is restrained with electrocollars and spider toxin. Aso turns off the collars and hands her the antidote so she can move. The first thing she does when she can move is bring out a beautiful dagger and try to stab her heart. Aso refuses to let her do that since she belongs to him now. Now every breath she takes must be authorized by Aso, and she can't unalive herself just like that. While Garcia was about to unalive herself, Aso stopped her in the nick of time, telling her that every breath she takes owes to him now. Presently, the octopus is giving Cheese a hard time. He's going full Blade Runner on its arthropod ass. The creature is adapted to the extreme heat and is even drawing in heat from the surroundings. He curses because he'll have to grab something stronger from the armory if he wants to get rid of this slimy bastard. Aso smiles, telling his bro there's no need. They have their weapon right here. He takes off the blindfold from Garcia, and her eyes vibrate with energy, resonating with the creature's eyes and making it stop thrashing around. Cheese wonders what the hell happened here. Aso explains that it's just snoozing. That's because it's drawn into the eyes of a rare emerald elf. Garcia begs for death, but Aso tells her not to throw away her life because of a scumbag who didn't even love her. She should keep on living no matter what. They manage to restrain the octopus and keep it between Tentacle and Dragonlord. Dragonlord teases Tentacle for resembling the bastard. Tentacle argues he's a noble life form, and this one is a Tree Timo knockoff. Cheese confirms that every container on the ship had one of these things inside. They were in cryo-C and in chillers. The reason it woke up was because of the extreme heat of the cutting gun. Aso still can't believe why it was marked by this family's ultra-high-risk symbol. The tag was developed by his mom, and as far as he knows, only Lucille received the tag at a questionable price. Cheese asks if Aso has read every book in the archives. He must know about the symbol. Aso tells his bro that there are more than 220 million entries in the archives, so of course he must have missed a few. But he remembers the symbol. It belonged to the Supreme Sect. They were obsessed with becoming gods themselves and transformed their own souls and bodies into monsters. According to the family records, his mom wiped out most of them, and a few escaped by opening a dimension and vanishing into space. Cheese can believe there are rogue supreme alchemists out there, but Aso doesn't care. He still curses for not keeping a dog keeper around. Cheese tells his bro that all they have to do is get his corpse, use a soul guide, or resurrect Raven and use her technique to find out whatever they want. Aso tells Cheese that he is going to go interrogate Garcia. Maybe she knows where the containers came from. Cheese tells him to wait up. He wants in on the action. Aso asks the elf where she got the containers from, but she is too shaken. She still begs for death. Cheese can't believe what kind of charm the dog keeper had to keep such a beautiful girl around and make her want to die for him. Aso tells Master Splinter to inject her with truth serum. He immediately complies, and he tells Cheese to use the mist injector, not a needle. Mineral elves and emerald elves have an allergy to any type of metal. All of a sudden, the phone starts ringing. He picks it up and tells Aso it's for him. A voice asks Aso if he is hitting on another girl, and if she will have to clean up his mess. They realize that it says Renee, who is talking to them while taking a bath and using her bunny microphone. Aso asks what the emergency is, and Renee wonders why he is giving her the cold shoulder. Cheese smirks mysteriously as Aso tells the girl that the bunny is only for emergencies, not for casual girl talk or whatever this is. All of a sudden, a probe hits Garcia, and she moans, questionably making Renai lose her mind, and asks Aso what the hell is going on. Has he turned into a good womanizer? She demands answers, but Aso is in no mood to be accountable. He is too busy strangling Cheese like Homer Simpson strangles Bart. Cheese laughs, asking if he did something wrong by interrupting his call with his sugar mommy. Aso tells Renai that the rat is pulling a prank and it's nothing more, and he has a lot of experiments to do. Renai tells Aso that she'll be attending a play with her father at the theater. She'll give him the details, and he can proceed. Later, Garcia stares blankly at the duo. She's already been given 3 doses of truth serum, and claims she doesn't know where the container came from. Emerald elves are supposed to have unique genjutsu and hypnosis magic. They've been hunted to extinction. Even the queen was imprisoned and had her eyes removed. Although over the years they did manage to catch a couple of elves, they never managed to restrain them. That is, until now. She keeps trying to off herself, but Aso just smiles. Looks like he's forgotten about Cole's right eye. It belongs to the Emerald Queen, and with that eye they can dominate Garcia. Cheese smirks. This sounds like fun, and they bring their friends to the play. And they bring their glorified golden retriever to hypnotize Garcia to obey Aso. He even promises her a chocolate wafer as a reward. Cole grabs Garcia's face and stares into her eyes, but 2 hours later, there's no progress. Just an awkward staring contest. Aso and Cheese don't know how to trigger the eye. She used the angel arm on her own. Maybe the Emerald Queen eye also needs a similar condition. He leans closer and asks Cole where her mother is. Her eye immediately shows a sign, and it resonates with the eye of the other Emerald Elf. They both stare intensely into each other, and something has shifted. It remains to be seen if it's a good thing or a bad thing. Garcia stutters. Why does she have the Queen's majestic eye? Aso smiles. Everything is going according to plan. He asks Cole to give the order. Cole doesn't say a word, and all of a sudden starts remembering her mother and her master. Her eyes turn red, and something snaps inside of Garcia. She smiles understandingly, walks up to Aso, and stops. Aso smiles. Looks like he will have another reliable experimental subject. He tells Garcia to kneel and refer to him as master, but instead, she pats his head and asks him to call her mommy. Aso wonders what in the world is going on. Sure, she looks like an elf mommy, but he's not into that. He yells at Cole, asking what kind of command she gave her. Garcia grabs his shoulder and hugs him closely, saying she knows she left him alone, but she swears she'll make it up to him. Cheese wonders what the hell is going on. Since when did the experiment turn into a full-on roleplay and foreplay? Aso grunts that his mother was the most brilliant alchemist the house had ever seen, and she's nothing more than an experimental subject. Garcia shies away, and Aso imagines his own mother shying away the same way. He starts losing control of reality and wipes his eyes, telling the damn rat not to drop his shades and not to look at her eyes. Cheese starts to panic that Cole is knocked out cold. Aso remembers hearing that a host like Cole would often fall into a deep sleep after using a queen's organ. He yells at Cheese to keep his glasses on and restrain Garcia. As he's about to do it, Garcia kindly takes off his glasses, nearly falls under her genjutsu, and she smiles. They can finally have a family reunion. Aso curses and holds his gun, telling her not to move a muscle. She still steps forward until the gun is right at her head. She looks at him with tearful eyes, and for a moment Aso hallucinates that it's his mother standing before him, asking him to pull the trigger if he wants. That's too much for Aso, and he's finally under the genjutsu. Will his future mother be like a mommy's pet, or will he be able to break free? He still struggles weakly, but she shuts him up by stuffing his face into her marshmallows. He acts up tightly, and she calls him a good boy. She'll always protect him. Lucille, on the other hand, wonders why the blonde idiot is still not back. She was the first successful project and is way more stable, so why is she not dealing with the matter? All of a sudden, she looks at Aso, leading Garcia away. Lucille yells, "What the hell is he doing? Bringing that woman into their quarters." Aso swats her hand away, telling her not to talk to his mother like that. Garcia gently caresses her face, asking if she loves her little boy. Lucille yells that only she calls Aso little, not because of his twig. Her hand starts to corrode, but she uses her hypnotic eyes to put her in a deep sleep. All of a sudden, she collapses. Aso quickly brings out an antidote for the virus, but since the virus is spreading too quickly, he'll need to inject it down under rather than on her arm. Elf Mommy was waiting for the moment and quickly spread those cheeks. Aso starts hyperventilating. As she whispers that she's afraid of needles, he needs to be gentle. The needle hovers over Garcia's peaches. Our boy blushes, redder than a tomato, as he stabs that flawless skin where the needle, and she moans questionably. He just looks away in embarrassment, saying one dose might not be enough, and she'll need another shot. She looks over her shoulder and calls him sweetheart, telling him to be gentle. Aso's real mother must be rolling in a cave, crying her eyes out. He's finally done with the shots, and she covers her face, telling him job well done. All of a sudden, the emblem on his neck starts vibrating. It detects contamination in Aso's mind and starts to create a shield to get him back to normal. The metal shield snaps him back to reality, and he looks at the needle and the questionable scene in front of him and wonders what the hell he was doing. Did he accidentally develop a new kink? To make matters worse, she tells Aso that her dress is dripping with hot stock. Aso hears what the hell is she doing. He realizes that he must have messed up the command when he tried to activate the Empress Eye in Cole. She must have mixed up the words wife and mom. He needs to snap everyone back to reality and use the Queen's Eye to reset her sword. He tells Garcia to stay over here and not move. The play is over. He also wonders why his emblem didn't vibrate and save him immediately. Garcia, all of a sudden, grabs his hand and asks if he doesn't want mommy anymore. The insidious Aso doesn't want this elf bimbo to act like his mom, but the hallucinations are still strong, and he pictures his mom instead of Garcia, even though the emblem has already purified his psyche. His ears burn, and he tells Garcia to promise to listen to him, and he won't leave. She promises. He tells her that he is a grown man and will be in charge from now on, and when others are around, she can't call herself mommy anymore, and can't call him sweetheart as well. She has to use his full name. Garcia asks if she can be his mommy when they are alone. Aso agrees, but if she breaks any rules, he'll disappear, and she can't forget about negotiating. She understands and is glad, promising to behave now that he is all grown up. She spreads her arms. Since no one is here, she wants to tuck him in and cuddle him to Steve. Aso gulps audibly. He tries to validate going with the flow. He takes off his coat and whispers unconsciously that he misses his mom. And when she's coming back, Garcia smiles, promising never to leave again. And that's how the bedtime schedule had a new contestant. Lucille protested like hell. She had to work her way into the bedtime schedule, and this elf just gets to be here on her first day. Aso tells Lucille that his nerves are already fried with this whole mommy issue. Cheese reminds Aso that they still have to recover the 1,000 bird unit. Aso wonders why he is hell-bent on saving those idiots, but Cheese tells Aso that they have a top-tier rogue psychic. Aso is thinking about the living situation. Meanwhile, at nightfall in the demon realm, a baddie is showing her guest a good time by showing off her skills with a pole. Everyone is having a good time, while the drug lord is talking about how the 1,000 birds are up to distribution of their drugs, and they will be set for life. And the boss is also going to the workshop, but he wonders why he is not back. Aso is immediately distracted by a pair of melons, but the light goes out and everyone freezes as their boss's corpse falls on the stage with a strange mark on its head. Everyone gets ready, and the man starts tweaking and killing everyone. Only the dancer is left, who pleads with the entity not to kill her. She is poor as hell, broke as beans, her mom's at the bed, and her aunt is kinda homeless, and her granny was hit by a bazooka. A dark shade blooms behind her, telling her that everyone who is involved in drug dealing should die, and maybe she might get a chance to live, based on her final judgment. It starts raining heavily, and the district director's assistant gets out of her cab with a toast in her mouth. The driver spots something, and the assistant covers her mouth, because the whole building is covered by a red symbol, and all members of the drug gang are hanging from the building. A news reporter covers the scoop that the leaders were found hanging, and it looks like the number 7 city hero, the Night Master, was behind it. Public execution of the drug law is believed to be a direct mockery of the district council's failure to stop the drug ring. She keeps talking on and on about corrupt officials, and how people should turn into vigilantes, and they should look for the cruel angel who hides in the dark and delivers judgment to all. The Night Master is aura farming like a pro, his back to the moon and his cape billowing majestically. He whispers that the city belongs to the Ernie Lord family, and until he returns, he won't let a single insect defile it. Meanwhile, all members of the Thousand Bird are in suspended animation. Cheese tells Silver not to worry, they'll definitely make it. But first up, she needs to give up her identity and sense of self if he wants their help. She clenches her fist and accepts. Cheese smiles and tells her to clean herself up. He's got a new set of clothes for her. She immediately goes to the room, takes a shower, and laughs at herself for swearing never to serve a man again, only to end up working for a rat. At least in one way, she still kept her wow. She then looks at the stocking laid out for her. That's some premium stuff worth 5,000 gold bars. Iso, on the other hand, is about to give Cheese the Tom and Jerry treatment for buying something so expensive without consulting him. Cheese just tells Iso that they're millionaires. It shouldn't matter. She gets ready, and once she puts on the restraint collar, her mind and body will be monitored by the company. If there's any doubt in her mind, a needle will inject her with toxins, and she'll become a mindless puppet for the rest of her life. She puts on the collar and strides forward purposefully. Cheese looks around, telling her that the fit is amazing and custom-made. Iso realizes that Cheese has negative riz, and instead of being slick, he's being a creep, so he drags him away. When Silver wants to help, Iso tells her their resurrection bioalchemy is a classified science in their family, but she insists on being there for her girls. She's already put on the collar and the uniform, and she swears her life to the family. Iso smiles and promotes her to second assistant, and also tells her not to call him master. From now on, she and the others he revived will refer to him as his lordship. She immediately complies and bows with proper etiquette. After telling Silver that he is supposed to be referred to as his lordship, he moves to the experimental prep area. He puts on the gown and tells Cheese to examine what they are supposed to do and all the materials they'll need for the revival project before they start. He looks at the file and gasps in surprise. Weren't they just supposed to slap them with a spinal injection of their family's immortality juice? Instead, why is he trying to put them through different ways to reach immortality? Iso raises an eyebrow. Since when did he tell them he would be using his precious elixir? Does he really have cheese for brains, or has he forgotten how precious it is? It takes 100 tons of gold to make the alchemy elixir, and that only requires 40 milliliters. For the final Calamity project, they exhausted all of the elixir left by his mom and also burned through thousands of tons of gold. Even though they have 4,200 tons of gold from the dog pit keeper, the elixir is very time-consuming to create, so he's not going to use it on a bunch of OF models named after birds. It's supposed to be a backup for Cole and Lucille. Cheese realizes his bro is right, but still, the 3 experiments are way too unsafe. He's never tested it on actual humans, and something might go wrong. Iso just smiles. He has reviewed all the experimental files late at night, and knows how to make them work, something he's going to regret later on. He smiles because once the experiment succeeds, he'll have more high-risk test subjects. Cheese laughs, telling Iso he knows the type of woman he's into by the test subject he keeps on creating. At this point, he should be named the Alchemy Womanizer. First up, they're going to use it on Raven. Raven is in a hyperbolic revive chamber. Silver looks at Raven and Iso tells him not to worry. At the core of the theory, he's going to use his mom's research on necromancy to bring her back. Cole isn't here, and neither is Lucille. Silver wonders if it's even possible. Iso tells her that first up, the necromancer family started bringing back people from the dead, but they became zombies that only wanted to eat meat. The second generation his mom created could bring back a human, but they would still be kind of demonic and sus and would forget all their memories. The one he has created can bring back the soul and keep their memories, and since Raven has soul magic, she can retain her memories, and he's certain. He starts pumping her full of soul elixir. A bright light shines in front of him, and he pushes a button. Silver asks if she can help, but Iso tells her to sit tight. He needs her help in the next experiment. A green mist circles around Raven, pumping into her body through the chest hole. She slowly regains consciousness as Silver is moved to tears. Iso tells Silver that she needs to stay in the tank for 14 days, and only then will she return as a mortal and young assassin. Next up, they're going to go treat Falcon, aka the Gym Mommy. Falcon is in a red chamber. Cheese can't believe Iso is considering using the first werewolf genes, impure blood, to turn her into an undying werewolf. He's also putting in a bunch of other stuff to grant her limited degraded powers of a sun god. But most important is he's adding Emerald Monarch Butterfly's fluid that will make her stay a lolly. Iso just smiles, telling his bro that he hates large dogs. He's using all the ingredients to ensure that she is a short-haired werewolf that won't become a problem and won't shed over all of his furniture. Cheese argues that if he hates dogs so much, why is he going through the trouble of making her one? Iso reveals the mind-blowing reason, because his mom made it a tradition that every president of the Purity Society needed to have a werewolf pet. And besides, he's not going to repeat an experiment over and over again. He wants to do something new. Cheese is still considering calling the cops on his bro, since he's planning on turning a sub-muscle mommy into a lowly furry. He tries to ask Silver if she's just going to stand by and let it happen. Silver just bows. She's just glad Falcon is coming back to life. Iso is glad that Silver is so obedient and wishes that Lily and Lucille, his troubled girls, were the same. Cheese asks what about him. Iso explains that the third experiment is tricky. They need the wedding dress of a ghoul. It's in the forbidden room, and they need to put it in a soul-weakening field to ensure there's no ghost in it. Cheese shoots towards the wall in a split second, yelling that he's not going to get some dead girl's wedding dress. It's way too freaky. Iso tells him to stop whining, or the dress will end up in his closet while he sleeps. He yells that Iso's been treating him like cold soup ever since Lily came about. Silver looks at Iso working on Falcon. She's amazed by how amazing his knowledge about alchemy is. She also finds a resemblance to her brother, who used to draw day in and day out and make her shoes so she could go to ballet. Falcon starts shrinking. A tail sprouts from a mysterious place and she gets cat ears. Iso is glad it's finally over, and Silver all of a sudden pats him on the cheek. Iso stutters, asking what the hell is going on. This wasn't part of the experiment or the tour. Silver says that this was his reward for reviving Raven and Falcon. She also apologizes. Iso tells her there's no big deal, but she needs to keep her mouth shut in the future, and he also needs to clear the air. He's not someone as kind as Homelander, who saves people without any motive. He's doing it to get more alchemy experiments. Silver still doesn't care and worries about his stamina, and if he's sweating. Iso feels bad about overtraining her. She's way too obedient. The next project is Katanori. Cheese retrieves the diabolical suit. There's no information on the suit whatsoever, just that it was worn by someone several centuries ago. Cheese creates a barrier that can weaken the soul. Iso tells the guy to pull out of the zone with the dress and leave the soul in there, or else he'll be mind-warped 3 times over. Cheese argues that even though she's dead, he can still see a pair of long ghostly legs in the dress. Iso yells at his bro for always thinking with his little brain in his pants. Cheese just laughs it off, and later they weaken the ghost and seal the matrix so that Katanori can put on the dress. He punches some controls, and the dress slowly lowers onto Katanori, merging with her flesh, but something goes wrong. A red burst of mist covers the entire area until nothing is visible. It doesn't clear even after an hour, and turns into a vortex. Iso just laughs. He decides to go in and check himself, but Silver refuses, offering to do it instead. He's already done enough helping her sister. Iso tells her it's no biggie. Does she really think he's going to mess up? He is the grand alchemy prodigy of this century. Silver is touched and finally decides to trust him, also wondering why her master looks cool and adorable at the same time. Iso enters the room and tries to get rid of the radiation and the red mist. All of a sudden, Cheese exclaims that there is heat rising all around him. Something's wrong. Silver wants to go save him, but Cheese refuses since Iso didn't ask for it. He must be prepared for the worst-case scenario, and if she goes in, she could ruin everything. And besides, Iso is a direct descendant of the Alchemy family. Nothing born in this century could kill him. To those who bear, the entity that's after Iso doesn't want to kill him. It's something else entirely. Iso wonders if he's suffocating. He looks at his monitor and something sticky clings to his clothes. In the next second, he's naked and looking at Katanori in her new wedding dress. She opens her eyes and focuses them on Iso. Meanwhile, Renai is currently dreaming about marrying Iso in front of a crowd. Too bad a big marshmallow pony witch has already beaten her to it. Iso gets on the knee and kisses her hand. It's so shocking that Cheese even takes a picture. Katanori creates a ring out of nothingness and tells Iso that he's going to be her husband. From now to the end of eternity, he's not allowed to betray her. Cheese tells his bro that he's so happy he got charmed by a baddie once again. He must have leveled 999 luck stats and Riz. Internally, he's fuming. If only he had gone out to check on Katanori. Silver is losing her mind. This was supposed to be a resurrection experiment, not a hostage wedding. And besides, he's a minor. The ring starts glowing with a crimson aura, and Iso finds himself wearing a wedding dress. Iso slowly gets up, and Katanori smiles. That's what a proper groom should look like. Now it's his turn to put a ring on her finger. Iso smiles and tells Cheese to go get the ring he prepared. Cheese wonders if Iso has lost his mind as well as his dignity. There was no wedding ring. Hell, there wasn't even supposed to be a wedding. But Iso tells him to shut his yap hole and get it out of storage box number 154. Cheese plays along, wondering if Iso is trying to pull something. On the other hand, Lucille is bored and wonders why Iso has locked her away in this luxury room. And to top it all off, the blonde bimbo is not here either. The only one she has in her company is the shameless elf mommy who's got her cake on display. Right now she's cooking beef stew, while Lucille is infuriated that the elf keeps going near Iso's bed. She wants to deal with her personally. Gerzie arrives asking Lucille if she would like some stew. Lucille rejects it but changes her mind when she smells how good it is. She grabs a bowl, sniffs it for poison even though she's immune to every poison known to mankind. That's when they notice Cheese acting strangely and walking past them. Lucille decides to tail him to see what's going on. Cheese walks up to Aso's mother's portrait and pushes a button present on a mysterious surface. A hidden door opens and leads to a storage vault. Cheese finds the box Aso referred to, goes for her eye scan. The AI confirms that it is Cheeseball, Aso's top assistant and a certified pervert and loser. But to confirm if it's really him, he needs to say a tongue twister. Aso tells the AI to stop being a clanker and move on. The AI decides to run a rat extermination program to teach it manners. Cheese immediately goes for the tongue twister. The next test is to perform a cat mating call. He does that as well, then juggling on top of a unicycle. And lastly, to tell the AI the 10 most embarrassing moments he had. Aso yells at the clanker to stop, but all of a sudden he gets a ring, and Aso's voice smiles, telling him that this was a pre-recorded message. He finally gets the ring to Aso, and Aso slips it on her finger and smirks mischievously. Cheese wonders why he is smiling. Has he finally realized how lucky he is, or could the ring be a trap? Kotonori looks at her ring and Lucille also follows Cheese back to the chamber. And when she sees Aso on his knee putting a ring on this bony witch's finger, she loses her mind and creates a cloud of plague dragons. Cheese tries to calm her down, but she's furious, livid, promising to devour everything in a 10-mile radius. Aso tells Lucille that he never planned to get married, the exact same thing my dad said when I asked him why he was going to get milk. He explains that their family doesn't waste time on something as ridiculous as marriage. They just lay the pipe and worry about child support later. The ring is actually a containment field designed to capture Kotonori. Since the last soul barrier could weaken the previous host's soul, it's only natural that this would work. He was just a little shaken when Kotonori took off his clothes. He decided to play along. Both Aso and Silver are surprised by how far-sighted he is. Lucille is still pissed off, but Aso smiles and tries to take off the ring. He fails miserably, and Cheese volunteers to help his bro by cutting off his finger. What a legend! Kotonori smiles. The ring has been forged with love. It is the power of friendship behind it, and no physical force can remove it. As long as it's on his ring finger, she will be his bride. Aso is pissed off. Kotonori tells Aso it won't work. The ring won't budge. The ring starts to burst with magic, and Lucille tries to reach out for Aso, telling Cheese to go in and get her man. All of a sudden, they are sitting on an altar, and Kotonori smiles. She's impressed with his alchemy matrix, but it can't stand before the power of love. Aso wonders why the hell he is in his pajamas. He's forcefully reaching towards her massive melon. Let me take bro's place, I can't let him be in danger. Lucille also tries to go in to get Aso, but Aso tells Kotonori that that's enough. No more wedding plays. After her flashy tricks and his alchemy restraint, the power should bear off and her transformation should be over. Sure enough, the dress dissipates as she falls unconscious. Aso just smirks. He would never lose to his own experiment. Lucille rushes towards Aso, covers his eyes and plugs his ears by squishing them between her marshmallows. Meanwhile, the chief of police is busy eating dried squid, and the cop wonders why she is going around doing anything but her duties. The chief tells him that he's been promoted to her assistant, and she'll call him whatever she wants from now on. He sighs and asks why he is her assistant. She laughs because she knows that he's the only V-card having a loser on the cop shop. So of course she's going to oversimulate him at every turn and alley. Meanwhile, a little kid asks his mother what a V-card is and if he can get it along with some Pokemon cards. His mother grumbles that kids these days are way too shameless. Lucille, on the other hand, is looking like an absolute treat. She goes to a fancy dinner, picks out a beautiful ring, and has the best night of her life, but is still sulking. Aso tells her to forget about the wedding. He has done everything he can to make it up to her, but she grumbles. Why is this blonde with them? Third-wheeling their date, Aso sighs. He can't leave them both alone since they have the collective IQ of -17. Back at the largest supermarket in Gordon City, Aso tells the girls that they can get whatever they want. He hands them 2 trolleys. There's only one rule they need to follow. Just one. Not to get into the cart. And of course, that's the first thing the girls do. Aso hears asking why he even bothers if they're just going to marry her. The cop is also going through the same problem. With the chief in charge, he's going around the market. The chiefs laugh, saying that sitting at her desk won't solve the crime. They know that the pervy brat and the dumb rat have stolen a lot of gold. So of course they're going to spend it. And what better place than the largest supermarket in the entire region? The cop still finds it weird, but they come face to face with Aso and his babe. The chiefs laugh, look like they'll be eating good tonight. She also starts repeating everything Aso is saying, as if she has some mind-reading ability. Aso looks at all the different cheeses but feels something hard poke him at the back of his head. He really hopes it's not Big Terry. He turns around and looks at the chief of police holding a red gun. Aso comes face to face with the worst nightmare of his life. The chief tells him that he is under arrest and he should keep his hands where she can see them. Aso raises his hands and the chief gloats, introducing herself as the new director of the safety bureau. Aso smiles, telling the chief she should be grateful he took care of Bullet Gentleman. He literally slimed him so she could take the job. But if she tries to handcuff him without consent, she will end up like a slime. The chief laughs, telling him he really knows how to charm a girl. She knows what the girls with him are capable of. One of them is probably responsible for the incident 4 years ago that paralyzed the city. Aso laughs, calling her a smart girl. If she doesn't back off, this supermarket is going to be another Twin Towers accident. He's still got a couple of discount coupons he wants to use here. The chief just laughs. For someone so dangerous, she has a certain weakness for claw machines. Turns out she had deliberately scattered coupons for a claw machine to distract the girls so she could get a one-on-one session with Aso. Right now, they're busy trying to win a cheap plushie while their master is going to get bodied by the chief. Sure enough, the girls are trying to win something in the coupon machine but failing miserably and fighting with each other for a turn. Aso tries to keep it cool. She might be mistaken because with the two out of the way, she'll get a fate worse than that. On the inside, Aso is bad-mouthing the two morons for wandering off by a dumb trick. He gently taps his finger and a hidden gas canister bursts in his sleeve, filling the air with spider venom. Aso asks the chief if she's feeling numb yet, but turns out she had already expected that and brought a chemical mask since all of his victims were paralyzed without warning. She handcuffs him. Now that he's cuffed, he's not going to go anywhere, and the handcuffs are also enchanted, and he starts to lose his mind. Meanwhile, the girls have finally caught something, but it slips out of the claw, making them lose their minds. Lucille has had enough of this machine making a fool out of her. She breaks the glass, and at the same time, Aso's pendant breaks the hypnosis. A voice on the intercom tells everyone to evacuate. Two girls are breaking a claw machine. Surprisingly, the chief lets him go, telling him to go stop his two troublemakers. She also notices a scorpion about to sting her throat. Aso calls the scorpion back and tells the chief that if she were 1 second slower in getting those handcuffs off, she would have been pumped full of scorpion venom. She just laughs and tells Aso to take care of his experiments, or else they're going to tear the claw machine apart. Aso is annoyed but knows that she's right. He storms off and tells her to mind her own business from now on. He runs towards the girls, brings them home, and instead of toasting those buns, tells them to stay in timeout. They won't be getting any sleep tonight either. Sadly, for a weak-hearted loser like our boy, it means exactly what it sounds like. Silver tells the young master that maybe it's too harsh not to let them sleep and keep them in timeout. Cheese just laughs, promising to teach them how to beat the claw machine next time. All of a sudden, a pink light glows in his coat. He fishes into his coat and finds a pink canister. It bursts, filling the air with a weird pink gas. The girls are ready to give their master mouth-to-mouth resuscitation, but the smoke's not toxic. Meanwhile, the cop is being harassed by the chief again. She tells him to put her clothes on the nightstand while she takes a shower. At the nightstand, he looks at a picture of the first mayor of the city on her desk. Meanwhile, the chief is having a sponge bath and knows that Aso has the power to change the world. And she also knows that he has an uncle's hand. If she can turn him into an upstanding citizen from a delinquent, he can help the city turn into a battle version of itself. The girls ask the master if he's okay, and he's as healthy as a horse. They look at a phone number being spelled out by the mist. Aso notices that it's an ultra-frequency radio channel. The girl must have slipped the canister into his pocket to give him her digits. It means that they can hear her conversation with all the top officials. Aso tells his bro that he's a player for begging the chief of police as well. But Aso didn't do anything, and he's pissed that she slipped it into his pocket without him noticing. He can wrap his head around the crazy girl, and Cheese wants to try out the channel, but it could be a trap and they could lose their location by tuning in. 5 seconds later, Aso brings out the best jammer he has, and then tunes into the radio. But before he can do it and complete his even plan, someone shoves a slice of kiwi into his mouth. Elf Mummy is here, ready to stop him from starving himself. Before he can complain, a piece of melon goes right into his yelp hole. Garcia tells Aso that she saw how important fruit is for growing men. He needs to eat his veggies to make his woody big and strong. Aso tells her to get out, and he'll eat his fruit. He calls it a burden. Cheese and the girls are ready to relieve him of the burden by stuffing their faces full of fruit. Aso's idea of punishing the girl is to have them go into birthing position for the entire day without food and water. They're still satisfied for some odd reason. He then tunes into the radio frequency, and a kindergarten poem starts ringing through it. The chief laughs, asking if the pests are already here. Cheese yells how dare they call themselves pests. They should be called super pests. Aso realizes his bro has negative rays and brain cells. He grabs the phone and tells the chief he doesn't want to argue. The chief laughs while rubbing her tushy. She just wants to go out on a little date. This ticks off Lucille, and she promises to tear her limb from limb and curse her with a brain-eating virus if she doesn't knock it off. Cool drags away Lucille, who promises to kill the pink bimbo. She gets straight to the point. She knows that he's after the noble family, and she can help him complete his objective. Later, they decide to meet alone, and the cop is against it. After all, Aso is a high-level criminal with 100 charges. She doesn't care, though, and calls him a pest. She also tells the cop that under the right conditions, even pests can be turned into beneficial insects. For example, a flea can be used to get rid of an annoying neighbor's dog. Shorty is really hell-bent on fixing him, but our boy is the baddest to the core. She is asked to meet him at Uncle Tom's Burger Joint, the best burger spotter in a 10-mile radius, and Cheese is impressed by her research skills. Aso wants Silver to accompany him. Silver is surprised. She didn't expect to be by his side, and it's an honor, but she's not strong enough. Aso smiles and leads her to a large frozen can. He brings out an absolute blade of cryo silver that he made through alchemy. He then tells her to lift her skirt. Silver looks at him in surprise. This is not how you lay the pipe. She starts bluffing, but Aso reminds her that she's going to be headmaid someday and she needs to be stronger. Silver closes her eyes and decides to go with the flow, but she'll also explain that it's not right to ask a girl to lift her skirt. Aso all of a sudden tells her what the hell is she doing? Why is she lifting her skirt? He just wanted to see the phoenix feather blades around the hem of her skirt. He looks at the feathers and easily crushes one of them with his cryo-silver blade. Looks like she's going to get a massive weapon upgrade. Iso looks at the feather blades on the inner side of her skirt and brings out the silver blade he created. It instantly shatters her Temu knives. She can't believe it. Iso explains the composition of the blade. It's an S-tier weapon and nothing stands a chance in front of his frost silver, because it can corrode any metal weapon. Silver asks what happens if this metal touches human skin. Iso explains that any organic life form will feel like being hit by a higher tier ice spell. They'll turn into an instant popsicle. He learned that the hard way by using it on Tentacool. Silver wonders why his hand is alright. That's because his glove is special. It has anti-cold and anti-gooning properties. Silver is impressed, and he must have created it to find some insanely strong enemy. Iso turns away nervously. Of course he wanted to fight a lava dragon, but in reality he was just pissed that the ice cube diluted his drink and ruined the flavor. He wanted to create a metal that stayed cold forever, and that's how he created frost silver. The only side effect was that when Cheese drank the drink he was frozen solid. He wants to forge brand new phoenix feather blades for Silver, but to use them properly she needs to go through ice resistance training. Silver's mind fills up with a different kind of training that involves a lot of ice and nakedness. She shakes her head, but in reality her experiment involves a lot of popsicles. She's supposed to eat a metric ton of popsicles and ice cream. Since she's a regular human, she needs to drop her cold temperature and feel what it would feel like to be frozen from the inside out. Frost Silver is the same way, and she can resist it if she tries. While our boy is coming up with innovative ways to see his headmate suck on a popsicle, Katanori opens her eyes and starts crashing out. Silver has so many popsicles that she is facing a brain freeze. Iso tells her to keep going, but an alarm catches their attention. Something is going horribly wrong, and they move to the high containment unit. Iso looks at the canister holding the sparrow, and she's no longer there. They search the room, but she's nowhere to be seen. A good thing is that she still has the tracking ring he put on her hand. He looks at the tracker, and sure enough, she's sitting on top of the Dragon Lord as if it's a puppy. Katanori greets Iso, asking why he didn't tell her they already have an adorable pet. Cheese starts turning into a simp, talking about how the Dragon Lord is a descendant of the six-winged black flame dragon, and he raised the Dragon Lord as a hatchling. Iso is infuriated. He snaps his finger, and a purple barrier covers Katanori, forcing her to yield. Iso tells Katanori that his test subjects are not playthings, and that she needs to get something in her mind. He's no one's husband, and that's just a side effect of the wedding dress. Silver thinks that's way too harsh, but he did help the crowd. For some odd reason, Iso starts crying, and Cheese asks when he turned into a wuss. Iso doesn't know and keeps on crying. The ring on his finger starts glowing faintly, and he looks at it. Katanori explains that whenever he breaks her heart, she'll reflect the pain. Iso continues to cry and tells Katanori to get these feelings out of his head. They're leftover impulses from the Demon Queen's dress. She agrees she inherited a lot of the Demon Queen's memories, but the reason why she wants to be married to Iso is different. When he entered the Red Mist, he was completely fine, and that was a defense mechanism. Every Demon Lord has one, and unless a compatible soul enters the Demon Mist, they would be torn to shreds. She doesn't care about race, age, or even size. It doesn't matter. All she cares about is soul compatibility. Iso facepalms himself, and Cheese offers to make her behave on two conditions. First, he wants 5 million gold pounds to use however she wants, and second, he doesn't ask how he got her to behave. He whispers into her ear and she smiles, telling Iso that she'll be the maid on a condition. She wants to be a headmaid. Silver gasped in surprise. All her life she viewed men as her ultimate enemy, but never realized it was her sister all along. Lily Iso freezes after hearing the condition. Silver walks towards Kotonori. She was the one who pleaded with the master to bring them all back. And here she is waking up stronger and immediately deciding to be a homewrecker. Kotonori tells Big Sis that she's grateful for everything she has done, but it's only natural for the headmaid to be the strongest in the bio-made corpse. That's the only way people will accept it. Silver feels rage bursting in her chest, but she decides to let it go. She tells her to keep her word, lead the girls properly, and serve the master well. Katanori wasn't expecting that. She promises to fulfill her duties, and also teases Silver for being a well-behaved maid. Maybe the uniform really suits her. Silver swallows embarrassment. Master has done so much, and she's filled with gratitude and doesn't want to cause him any problems. She really is a keeper, and even Iso recognizes her and decides to set a date and arrange a formal match between Silver and Kotonori. The winner gets to be a headmaid. Cheese laughs. How about they make a battle royale? Once a Raven and Hayabusa also wake up. Kotonori just laughs. Looks like she'll have to teach everyone a lesson. Later, Iso wonders what the hell he is talking about. A maid ranking competition? Can he get his head out of the gutter for a single day? Cheese laughs. What's so wrong about looking at attractive maids having a chick fight? Iso asks if Kotonori would actually accept the results if she lost. but Cheese doesn't think she lost with a massive power boost from the Demon King's dress. How can Silver defeat the girl with an icy popsicle stick? Iso smiles. Of course it's possible once she masters Frost Silver. 3 days later, Hayabusa is having nightmares about being strangled by a Doberman and being called a good dog. She wakes up with a jolt, and her sisters are already here, telling her not to worry. Iso has committed a war crime by nerfing Muscle Mommy and her massive rack. Hayabusa remembers dreaming about a man who was trying to train her like a dog, and she hates that treatment. The girls look away comfortably. They don't have the heart to point out that her body has changed. She just smiles, gets up, and her fluffy tail wriggles. She promises no one will ever treat her like a dog. Kotonori laughs. Of course, no one will treat her like a dog because she is a dog now. Hayabusa looks at Kotonori and wonders when she got so sassy. She just whips out a mirror and hands it to Hayabusa, who screams in horror. After the commotion, everyone gets their official codename. Silver is Alpha, Kotonori is Beta, Raven is Pi because her pie is the biggest in the squad. A little Miss Loli is Gamma. Hayabusa can't even smile anymore. Her melons were always smaller than her sisters, but now they're the size of oranges. Iso tells her not to worry, but she really wants to punch the living cheese out of him. That's when the bell around her collar starts vibrating. If she doesn't apologize, a high-voltage shock will run through her body. She immediately apologizes. Iso calls him a pervy mouse, telling him that's enough. It's time to move on to business. Everyone will draw a ball and the match will be decided. But since Kotonori is feeling extra cocky today, she wants the three of them to come at her together. The girls can't believe that this is the same Sparrow they knew and loved. With a new shift in personality and power, she's gotten way too full of herself. Iso decides to let them do as they please, and the trio is ready to face off their former sister. Kotonori just creates a throne out of thin air and rests her tushy on it and tells them to come at her. Hayabusa can't stand it anymore. Her face looks a lot more punchable now that she's changed. She immediately drops on her paws and Iso smiles. Looks like she's embracing her werewolf persona, and he even calls her cute. Big mistake, as two massive marshmallows tackle him to the ground. Lucille has arrived and is using Venom Flame to make ears and a tail, and is promising to be the perfect little pup for him. Of course, Cole has to join Lucille in her idiotic adventures. She also starts pretending to be a dog. Lucille can believe that this idiot is fighting for the right to act like a dog. Iso picks up both of the naughty pups and throws them out of the room. He closes the door and sighs. Cheese, on the other hand, looks at Hayabusa being restrained by red threads. Raven has also been restrained, her mind completely trapped by the red threads. Iso finds it intriguing. Both of them have already lost, and based on his calculations, the head-on-head match should have lasted at least 11 minutes. Maybe they didn't have enough time to adapt. Both of the girls scream as Kotonori tells them to admit defeat. Cheese is not happy that he didn't attend the show he expected. Some jiggle physics here, some cake slapping there. Iso tells his brother-in-arms that the match is far from over. One of them hasn't even moved yet, and sure enough, the blazing arc cuts the red threads, holding them hostage, and Kotonori can barely react to an icy projectile zooming towards her. Silver arrives, grabbing her spear. Kotonori reminds her that this is not her phoenix blade. Just what in the world is this weapon? And why can't the red threads break it apart? Silver tells her sister that she's not the only one who got stronger. 3 days earlier, she was trying to convince Iso that she didn't need to be the head maid, but Iso disagreed. She needed to become the captain of the Biomaid squad. While Silver was happy that he chose her as the head maid, she just couldn't go toe-to-toe with her sister after her massive power-up. Iso just smiled. He's glad that she thinks so highly of him, but he doesn't like being forced into decisions, especially by his test subjects. So if he can rebuild Kotonori, he can definitely make Silver stronger, and that's how Silver can go toe-to-toe with a baddie enhanced by a Demon Queen's hand-me-downs. Numerous other blades zoom towards Kotonori, and one of them actually hits her forehead. She quickly retreats and retorts to her bony form. Is she really going to be pushed to her final form? Silver also has a trump card up her sleeve. She nails deeply, and 3 huge icicles of silver material emerge from her body. The other maids wonder if they are still considered human. One of them has a whole light show of red threads going on behind her, and the other is commanding 3 huge chunks of indestructible icy metal. Cheese laughs, telling Iso to pick who's going to win as a bet. Of course, Iso picks Silver and Cheese picks Kotonori, with 5 million gold pounds riding on it. 2 days earlier, Iso had told Silver that the hardest material in the world is adamite. It can resonate with the wielder's mind and slice anything, and it also repels mana. The only drawback is that they needed to belong to the old Empire's royal bloodline to draw out power, or else only 5% of its power is applicable. The Frost Silver, on the other hand, has a natural affinity for women, and nothing can alter its atomic structure, so it's not reactive at all. The coal just robs the material of its energy and creates corrosion and necrosis. Since she doesn't have any magic, he can run it through an alchemy matrix and convert 14 tons of pure Frost Silver into a Philosopher's Stone. Then, whenever she wants, she can summon and shape the Silver Stone as she likes, but every summon will hurt like hell, and she'll be cold down to the marrow. And if she exceeds her limit, she might become an icy statue. No mom would want her kid to see. Iso told Silver that the choice is hers, and she immediately accepted. Iso smiled and pulled out a syringe. She's going to be his best subject, and he'll do everything to ease her into the cold with a root-level substance that can give her cold resistance. For 12 minutes after getting injected, she won't feel any chills, and she can also levitate as she sees sweat. The first battle is where she has summoned all 14 tons. Both of the girls are on thin ice. Silver wanted to show off in front of the master, and summoned every bit of frost silver inside her body, and now she can't move. Kotonori, on the other hand, burned every shred of mana she had to turn into her bone form, but she couldn't hold it anymore. The clock is ticking, and both of the bros are waiting for the battle to end. They rush towards each other, icicles against red threads, but both of them collapse, leaving Iso and Cheese dazed. Meanwhile, the chairwoman is enjoying a beach retreat, as an attendant tells her that most of the city's bridges have been destroyed by a dragon, and she didn't appear and prevent it, so her points have been reduced from 1400 to 400. If not for 0 casualties, this would have been one of the biggest disasters in history. The chairwoman doesn't care. Even if she's number 2, she can be on call all the time. Just who is this mysterious woman, and why is she so against getting deployed? The attendant says that she has a gold hero license. Of course she needs to be on call. The chairwoman tells her attendant that's enough, and she needs to head back. The chairwoman will find the culprits herself, because the city's criminals are trying to defy and defile the city her father built. She still insists that they know that both of the offenders belong to an alchemy family, so why haven't they acted? This isn't like the chairwoman. The chairwoman looks at her glass of champagne, explaining that the one leading them might well be her older brother. Her attendant gasps in surprise, asking what is she saying. She is Lord Gordon's eldest daughter. How can she have a brother? The chairwoman explains that her mother told her a long time ago that if someone with black hair started calling himself head of the alchemy family, she must never become his enemy, because he might be her older half-brother. Though she was displeased, her mother's words were absolute because that child shouldn't exist in this world. She also told the chairwoman that it's true she is her father's favorite, but she mustn't become a brat because half of the love she is receiving is on behalf of her father. But the attendant still insists that even if that criminal is her brother, she can't turn a blind eye. If they're really siblings, she should be the first one to set him straight and snitch on him. The chairwoman agrees that if she ever sees him in the Lighthouse District again, she will make sure he learns who his father loves the most. Meanwhile, at Uncle Tom's Burger, all the guys in a 10-mile radius are about to choke on their fries and their male egos. The women around are also burning with jealousy, the reason being that Silver is looking like an absolute snack and serving Iso a packet of ketchup. To make matters worse, the ketchup spills on her perfect melons, and that's enough to trigger a massive nosebleed epidemic. Iso tells her that he can eat his own fries, but she still insists that a maid needs to serve the food. After all, she failed to meet his expectations in the trial. Iso chuckles. He's not blaming her, but is impressed that she was able to summon all the frost silver from her body. She smiles and wants a reward to feed Master as an apology. That sight alone makes me want to beat up Iso, just like all the other dudes witnessing this. Iso is annoyed that the chief is keeping him waiting. Maybe it's a trap, or maybe he can take everyone here hostage and force her action. That's when the door shoots open, and the chief arrives with a criminal in handcuffs behind her, who is looking way too happy for someone who's going to drop the soap in prison. She laughs that she caught a man pickpocketing, and everyone turns their attention towards the chief. One of them even teases that he wants to commit a crime so that he can be tied up. She turns her attention towards the duo and suffocates them with each of her marshmallows until they admit that it's wrong to commit crimes. Only then can they go free. Iso looks at the chief closely. He deduces that she must not have a single cavity since her pants are flossing those cheeks. She finally sits after giving everyone an indecent show and teases Iso for being punctual. Iso cuts straight to the matter at hand while she helps herself to some fries and talks to Silver, asking why she's a maid. Of course, she knows about every crew on the turf. Iso asks what's in it for him. The chief replies that he wouldn't be sitting here waiting for her if he weren't desperate. Iso still wants to hear what she has in mind. The chief asks if he knows the 4 unpardonable sins. Iso smiles. Of course, he knows the 4 greatest offenders. First up is the Black Emperor boss of the Hunter Realm. No one knows the guild's number, but he goes to nations and plunders them. Second up is the chief's idol, Crack of Hearts, a magical assassin, who will ask you if this is your card before murdering you with the same card. The third is Mindslayer, a terrifying monster in Gordon's history. And the last one is something no one has seen, only a glimpse here and there. The Venom Archbishop is the deadliest mass murderer in the city. Their favorite game is to plant toxic bioweapons and shoot them out. What does Iso know why? None of their powerhouses has ever attacked the world nobles. Iso just laughs. There's a first time for everyone. He also gives them a proper lesson on who is a true villain and who is not. Meanwhile, Renai wakes up and walks around trying to find her mother, but her mother is lying in a pool of her blood, and her father is stroking them in the back. She gets a nightmare and wakes up. Renai looks around and the demoness asks if she is okay. Renai woke up because the blanket was so heavy, or some bullfish. The demoness offers a lighter one, but she doesn't like it and wants to talk to her friend. She tells the demoness to share the bed with her. The demoness is overcome by emotions. Renai curtly tells the demoness to stop asking questions, and she immediately takes off her clothes and changes into her nightgown, and immediately lies next to her mistress. She has never been this close to her ladyship, and finds her cute. Renai asks how long she has been in her guard, It has been 7 years since they have been together. Renai asks the demoness if she would fight the family head for her. She freezes, asking what kind of question is that. Back at the hideout, Raven is giving Cheese a massage. Finally, Cheese is getting some action for a change. They see Iso and Silver arrive with a bag full of burgers. They ask him how the meeting went and if he got the super burger combo Cheese asked for. Cheese rummages through the bag, checking everything, and his eyes are overcome with emotion because Iso got him everything he wanted. Silver tells Raven that their master got burgers for her and Hayabusa as well. A voice tells them to keep it down or else they will get in trouble. Iso wonders what the trouble and massive trouble just walking behind him is. Garcia tells Iso that she has already cooked for everyone. She grabs the burgers. There is not going to be any junk food in this household. Cheese quickly tries to get a bite in, but his burger is immediately snatched by Garcia. She reminds Cheese that as the top assistant of the family, he needs to take care of his health as well. With an elf model being like that, I would eat cardboard if she told me to. Cheese pleads with her to let him eat his burger in peace, but she refuses. He is later forced to eat a salad while Aso is offered a beef stew bowl. Cheese yells, why does Aso get beef and he doesn't? All the maids are lined up, looking at Cheese crying his eyes out. Aso explains that he keeps the burgers dry while he just stuffs his mouth full of cheese and booze. In reality, he is so stuffed, he can't even take a bite. But if he doesn't eat now, Garcia is going to cry. He asks Garcia why Cole and Lucille are not here. Lucille has already stuffed herself full of snacks and is asleep, and Cal was waiting for him and refuses, since he promised to bring her a burger. Iso feels bad that they are both out cold and he can't eat anymore. He needs a plan to escape. He tries to come up with an excuse that his head hurts. Immediately, Iso's harem squad comes to his aid. Garcia, Silver, and Kotonori ask if he is okay. They are also wondering why Garcia called him drowling. He quickly tells her that they misunderstood that he is a patriarch and doesn't need to report to anyone. As Garcia leaves with Iso, Iso tells Cheese to hurry and pull the burger out of the trash can and to send one to Cole. If she gets too sad, they are not sure what will happen. Silver knocks him straight out of Cole's room, which has a stupid picture of her smiling. She is woken up and something feels wrong. Silver freezes, remembering the last encounter she had with Cole. She delivers the burger, and Cole happily accepts. Silver also apologizes for what she did on the street. She hands Cole the blade, telling her to take revenge wherever she wants. But instead of having a blade stuffed into her dress, she finds a chicken leg hovering in front of his mouth. Cole tells her not to worry and just eat the chicken. Silver is touched that Cole is so forgiving and hugs her. Meanwhile, Iso is busy doing something in his lab. He has created a small vial of golden fluid. He drinks it without thinking and smiles, but all of a sudden, his body starts to spasm. Lucille, on the other hand, is walking through the hideout, regretting going to sleep on an empty stomach. All of a sudden, she feels something is off. A mysterious and handsome man with purple eyes asks if Lucille can't even recognize her own master. No way is this beefcake the same scrawny Iso we all know and love and envy. Lucille slides over the rails and creates a wave of plague poison. She grabs the man's arm and tells him to stop it. Iso isn't this huge, and his body doesn't carry the plague virus that she uses to create infections. The man just smirks, thinking about the violent supergrowth hormone that deactivated the dark plague lying in him. The man just laughs, telling Lucille to reinfect him with the dark plague to verify. She viciously tells the man to get ready. She is going to slash a fingertip into his face to inject the virus. But the man just grabs her hand, shoves her closer until she is on his lap. Lucille yells at the bastard to let her go. The other man wonders why he never noticed that Lucille was this tempting and this hot. He locks lips and the plague virus cells immediately cross the threshold, confirming that this really is Iso. Lucille can't believe that she had her first professional kiss today, and that too with Iso. She decides to seize this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. They finally part lips and Lucille wonders why he is bigger. Iso smiles, telling Lucille that he is bigger everywhere. He is to assassinate the head of the world's noble family. He must hide his true identity and age, so he developed a short-term human growth catalyst. He then tells Lucille to get off, but she still wants to stay here. He coldly asks if Lucille is going to disobey him. She stutters that today is Sunday, and he either has a gun in his pants or he is glad to see her. Aso realizes that his twig is not a twig anymore, but a woody under the hoodie. He hears someone coming and tells Lucille to go away. Cull is walking around with a grumbling stomach. Aso asks Cole what she is looking at so late in the night. Cull is surprised and curious about why her master is bigger. She climbs on his lap and starts licking him over and over again while Lucille is on the verge of losing her mind. She keeps on wriggling and feels as if there is a sausage stuffed in his clothes. Is that for her? She grabs his Thor's hammer, and Eso gasps in surprise. He didn't expect in a million years that someone would be playing with his pogo stick. Eso reverts to his old size, and both of the girls look at their master, asking if he is okay. But he is more than okay in that post-nut clarity. Later, he throws his clothes into the dryer, and Cheese wonders why. Today is not laundry night. Cheese asks how the growth serum is going. Isur has already finished it, but there is a flaw. The effect wears off early if the host is overstimulated. Cheese still wants to discuss the pink-haired chief. Isuru doesn't want to reveal the plan ahead of time since Cheese is unreliable as hell. He was the one who drank some soul extract liquid when Q was being created, so he will tell Cheese on a need-to-know basis. First off, they needed a luxury sedan that was worthy of him. They immediately start working on their own version of the Batmobile. Cheese wonders why they don't just buy one since they are loaded, but Iso wants to get his hands dirty. Iso just reasons that their flagship getaway vehicle should be something they design themselves. If Cheese is the master of design, he wants to put a pool and a fridge full of booze inside, so that the ladies who accompany him can have a luxurious and comfortable ride. All of a sudden, Iso goes to the morgue and tells Raven to do a soul search on the dog keeper. Now she can directly talk with the dead and strike living souls. Raven understands and immediately shows them a panoramic view of those plump hills. Cheese is glad that he picked out those uniforms, and Iso tells Cheese to get his head out of the gutter. Cheese really wants to know every juicy detail about the dog keeper and if Garcia is actually a flower untouched by men. Essos already knows that she is untouched, since nature and jade elves lose their ability to hypnotize and create demons once they have the ritual. The dog keeper probably just wanted to torture him and use her gift from the start. It didn't even care about Garcia. Cheese raises his eyebrow, wondering why he is so soft on Garcia. She gets on the bed schedule even though she is not a high-risk subject. Esso gets ready to strangle the smart-ass mouth. Later, Raven activates her energy and, surprisingly, sees a little girl standing in a pile of bodies. This is the warehouse for Pete Rainey Pitt. The dog keeper told everyone that it looks like the 41st generation is getting ready. Now all they need to do is Yorkshire was the final one to go against the girl. Meanwhile, Iso and Cheese are waiting for results after the soul-searching operation. With the current probability, it should take no time. They start worrying about Raven since an hour has passed and 8 days must have passed in the dream sequence. Yahello looks at Raven and starts worrying. He remembers his mother's words that a soul is like a labyrinth. The strongest ones survive. Cheese wants to break the link, but Yahello tells him that this isn't the Matrix. She needs to snap the link herself, or else there will be trouble. He volunteers to go into the Matrix and save her with his own hands. Yahello tells his brother not to worry. He is going to be fine, but Cheese insists. Maybe Izo should tell them the vault password, so that if something happens, Cheese can still keep the family running. Izo starts choking him. A bright purple light flashes in his mind and he is teleported to the scene the Raven is looking at. A little girl trembles in fear as Cool, a kid, walks towards her. Izo notices them and realizes that this is the Hellhound training ground. Raven has already died 8 times, but is still nowhere near her level. The dog keeper calls them the strongest pups in the generation. That's when Aries arrives and shoots the old man with his gun, turning him into a slimy mess. Raven asks why he is here. He stomps on the slime and tells Raven that she's been hiding a lot from him. She asks for his forgiveness, but he tells her that she'll pay for it later. But now she needs to explain everything. The owners of these memories are already dead, so the memories shouldn't proceed. Since Cheese had used the best cutting-edge technology in soul science, the souls were also stabilized and moving, and he can even rewrite the rules of this resonance. In other words, he is a living god over here and can control everything. He looks at Cull and decides to learn about her whole past. Meanwhile, it is almost gone. He hopes that others are close to finishing. Meanwhile, Cheese has decided to give Raven's legs a thorough inspection, while she puts him in a headlock even though she is unconscious. She cutely snaps out of it and apologizes because her body reacted on instinct. Aso found nothing about the world over in those memories, not even how Garcia ended up with the old man. It's as if someone went out of their way to erase everything. He asks if it's really like that. Calling Raven a former warhound can cause death. Without her help, Yorkshire would never have grown into a true hellhound, and now he has thought of something even better. He is going to use his haters as fuel for his ultimate calamity plan. Later, Cole will belong to him. Cheese tells his bro to stop striking poses and acting cold. Aso then tells Raven that she is going to go to the punishment chamber to receive her punishment. Turns out Raven was an orphan who was forced to live in an underground cellar and chained like a little puppy. The kennel master would ask her to murder people, and she would happily agree. Doberman told her that she does not need to kill anyone. She needs to become best friends with Yorkshire. She was surprised since hellhounds never became friends. She noticed 3 kids playing together and beat the living stuffing out of them. She then grabbed a ball of dough and handed it to Yorkshire, telling her to eat or else she would starve to death. When a kid tried to take away her teddy bear, Yorkshire ended his bloodline with a kick to his family jewels. She would stand up for her so-called best friend, slowly gaining her trust and telling her that if she needs to live, she needs to be ruthless. She didn't care about living, and at her lowest point that sounded like a luxury, but Raven disagreed. She needed to live no matter how much it hurt because only the living can shake off misfortune. Those words deeply touched Yorkshire. A night fell, and the kids she had beaten up for Yorkshire banded up with each other against her. Yorkshire slowly woke up and looked at her new best friend being bullied by 3 guys. They were ready to snap her fingers, and they even started doing that. The pain makes Raven remember those days. Right now, she's being punished by being strapped to a satellite, and sunlight is being concentrated all over her body. Either she's going to burn out, or she's going to have the perfect tan for a summer body. It's been 2 hours, but Iso still wants to keep it going. She needs to be honest with her master, and there's also a UV emitter that has it on the lowest output, so of course it's not going to be a problem for her. The light finally shuts off, and Raven is on the verge of collapsing. Iso tells Cole to go look after Raven, who looks like she's hurt. Raven looks at Cole struggling to open her restraints. She remembers the day she was Yorkshire and beat the kids for her. Doberman had arranged that survival test and they were paired as a unit to join the 42nd class. They were supposed to train together and surpass them with the power of friendship. They were even given a shabby room with broken furniture. But to the girls who had nothing, it was a luxury. Raven, on the other hand, couldn't wrap her mind around why Yorkshire was acting this way. Wasn't she from a rich family? She answered that she was only living under the family staircase. She was given the Harry Potter treatment. Doberman told them the training will start tomorrow. The girls climbed a stack of tables and looked at the moon shining over the beautiful waves. Raven's parents were miners, and she lived in the shafts since she was a kid, and never saw the sky. But she heard that across the sea there's a wonderful city called Golden City, and people don't have to be trapped underground and can live free. She really wants to go here and ask Yorkshire to promise her that they will visit that city once they get rid of this life. Presently, Quoch is helping her up, and Iso is crying his eyes out since Quoch used the Ash Angel arm to destroy his satellite. He was trying to get the chicken, but lost everything. Raven looks at Cole, apologizing, but Cole doesn't know why. It's because she betrayed the best friend she ever had. They were a unit, and she handed Yorkshire a can of water. But as soon as she took a sip, her body froze. It was poisoned as hell, and Raven was the one who betrayed her, because they were never friends to begin with. She just wanted an easy-to-control teammate, and now that the team match was over, Yorkshire no longer had any use for her. In reality, 3 days earlier, Doberman had told Raven to prove her loyalty and become the strongest pup to survive this hell pit. She needed to become stronger, and to do that, she had to kill her best friend. Since hellhounds are forbidden from having friends, he had arranged for her to become close to Yorkshire and use her as a stepping stone. If she wanted to leave the underground life behind, she would have to do exactly that. So she accepted the offer and turned her back on the only girl who believed in her. Doberman walked up to Yorkshire, saying that this is what humanity really is. She also needed to get rid of her emotions and gain true freedom. That's when Yorkshire walked up to Raven, made quick work of her, and made her realize that she was the stepping stone for Yorkshire's growth. Doberman complimented Yorkshire, telling her to kill her friend. Yorkshire didn't want to do it. Instead, she asked if she could take Raven to the cliff above the pit and let her die while looking at the sky. She figured a trash bag like her didn't deserve anything more. Raven still didn't feel guilty, and her only regret was not killing Yorkshire in time. Yorkshire told her to look at the sky one last time before she stabbed her and threw her into the sea. Raven now knows that Yorkshire never intended to kill her. She was avoiding her vital organs the entire time and had even coated the dagger with a healing solution. She was an idiot who truly believed in the power of friendship. And today, Raven will atone for everything by stabbing her own heart with frost silver. Before the icy shard can go in, she'll have to do it again. Yorkshire appears instead of Cole and tells Raven that if she wanted to die, she should have done it ages ago. Iso smiles, the chief guest is finally here. He tells Yorkshire to call him master, but Yorkshire walks right past him. She asks to visit the old container yard first. After that, she will support Aso and become his slave. Aso agrees and swears on it. Pinky promise. He also tells Raven that her performance was Oscar-worthy. Every expression was on point, and she'll be getting extra chicken legs later. Previously, Renai noticed Aso and the crew pulling up from a luxury sea-dam. Near the Grand Theater, a certain donut truck was also parked. The cop wondered why the man and woman were the center of attention for all the reporters, instead of the celebrities who were really coming in today. Why doesn't Lord Haku have any bodyguards? The chief explains that the world government already has a hitman force behind its back. There's the G4 organization. Aso can't see a single guard near Lord Haku. The chief smiles. She tells the cop to imagine every member of the G4 squad as Cheesewick. They're a super secret service that can protect anyone, and even stop attacks before they happen. The attacker is reduced to a pile of ash before anyone can notice the attack. She fishes out 2 tickets for a play that cost 5 million gold pounds each. She tells the cop to enjoy his time. Meanwhile, Iso, in his adult form, is the center of attention, while Cole clings to his arm. Everyone wonders who the hell they are and why they look so refined. Everyone is only looking at them. Previously, in Uncle Tom's Burger Joint, the chief had revealed a list of reporters who would be covering Lord Haku's appearance at the theater. The reason she gave him the list was to refine his plan. Instead of sneaking in like an assassin and using his fancy alchemy, he should just walk in boldly and normally, or else he will trigger the G4 surveillance. Even Iso didn't know what the G4 was. She explained that he'll have to work hard for some answers. If he buys her a Supreme Burger combo, she'll tell her. The Supreme Burger combo is a hell of expensive, and the chief promises to make it worthwhile if he uses that dough. Iso tries to guilt trip her. Doesn't she feel bad about asking for a bribe, but she just laughs. Maybe he can turn himself in, and she'll have a good conscience and a free meal. A waiter brings out a burger bigger than my dreams. She then reveals the reality about the G4 squad. They're top hitmen, and no one knows their identity or powers. When the nobles settled in the city, assassins from the old continent tried to take them out, but none of them ever survived because of the G4 squad. Even Iso's mother didn't reveal anything about the squad, so how does it make sense? The chief explains that the G4 squad prevents attacks from happening. They will use a variety of tech to create a field and see any abnormality in the said field. After scanning everyone and observing data, if anyone is trying to be slick by using invisibility or teleportation, there's a disturbance in the force, and the G4 quietly take them out. if he even thinks about assassinating Lord Haku. A fly is buzzing around her neck, and she grabs it with chopsticks, something that's even more amazing than teleportation or finding a job after majoring in arts. Ikko realizes that the G4 likes to restrain people just like his anti-riot alchemy callers, but what if he erases his malice? The chief, while juggling a huge burger in one hand and 2 massive melons in the other, tells Ikko that he is the descendant of a great family, so of course he can, but she has heard that there will be a meeting before the play, and Lord Haku will pick out the best guests to watch the performance inside the noble box. Ikko realizes that it will be his window to take down Lord Haku. Even though she is supposed to be the chief of police, she has some high-level intel. Does she plan to raise him as an elite figure so that all the reporters would flock around him? Whatever they do, they are standing next to a world noble, so of course the reporters would prefer the noble. Even if he forces the media heads to interview him, that will just raise suspicions. The chief laughs, telling Ikko that he switches identity and introduces himself as Chief Gordon's bastard. Ikko is so shocked, he spits out his soda on an innocent bystander. Does she really want him to be a love child of the founders of Gordon City? He is not going to call a stranger daddy. She just laughs. He should think about it as a secret identity, so that Haku picks him. Everything she is saying does make sense, but he doesn't want to call a stranger daddy. If they want to spread the news, they need to use the White Queen. The White Queen, who is reclining on an icy throne and fishing in a lake reflecting the sky. Someone waddles towards the president, asking her if she is free, because some guy showed up claiming to be Lord Gordon's love child. The entire press is all over Ikko, asking if it is true that he is related to Lord Gordon, and did he receive anything in the will, and what proof does he have that he is related to him? Ikko looks at them with disgust. He is not sure who leaked his identity, but he won't make any comments. Green Eye is pissed. He was supposed to move like a cool assassin, and he's posing as Gordon's kid. And to top it all off, he made himself into an adult without asking her. But she still has a massive crush on him. Lord Haku tells the little girl there is time to go, but Green Eye tries to take Haku, turn his attention towards Ikko. Haku doesn't care. He could be Gordon for how much he cares. Even Ikko realizes Haku won't be fooled so easily. He tells everyone that the interview is over. He claps his hands and a cage of red thread separates him from the peasants. 4 circles blaze around him, each one having a lovely maid. The maid squad has arrived, sending a shockwave of envy in every man's heart. Everyone is talking about the maids, and Ikko has another idea to get rid of the paparazzi. He picks out a gold coin and promises to do an exclusive interview with whoever gets the coin. He throws the coin and runs away, but is stopped by a couple of guards. Ikko told the guards that he didn't care about Lord Haku and his reception. He needs to go through. The guard just smirks, asking if he should teach him a lesson. Hayabusa arrives and makes quick work of both of those idiots. Ikko tells them to mind their manners. All of a sudden, a swarm of shinobi arrives, and Francis, second son of a jewelry tycoon, arrives. He even tells Ikko that walking around with a beauty doesn't make him a noble. Ikko squints his eyes as if imagining all of the creative ways he can make this idiot pay. Goldilocks still teases Ikko that Gordon's era is long over. Ikko is about to show him just what it means to be on his bad side. The scorpion is already in his hand, but an icy fist beats him to take down the idiot. He looks at the icy queen, revealing herself in a stunning black dress. The paparazzi go wild. A mysterious figure greets her warmly. Looking at the dress and the eyes covering her massive melons, there is no doubt that they are pointy. She furiously asks if Lord Haku thinks she won't step into the Golden District and tear down the shabby Haku Towers. The butler apologizes, as the Haku family doesn't have any issues with Gordon. The White Queen turns to leave. She is not here for Haku. She is here for Ikko. They stand face to face and she calls him Big Brother, but he is not into family reunions. Also, he didn't release the fake Gordon DNA in his blood, so why is she calling him brother already? He tells Kotonori that since the reception hall is off limits, how about they throw a bigger one in the main lobby? She just smiles and creates an intricate web of red threads. Meanwhile, in the reception area, Lord Haku is sitting by himself, and the butler says that Gordon's bastard has thrown a bigger party, and even the White Queen is attending. He slaps her for no reason. Renai tells him that the Gordon here is probably true, and maybe they should swallow their pride and join them, or sit here and dine alone. In reality, 5 days earlier, at the permanent hope of the world's nobles, there is endless wealth. Every map that's printed in Gordon City has a missing location that the world governors use, and everyone knows that there is an unnamed vast land at the city center. At the edge is a sky-high golden wall separating the commoners from the nobles. It's made from adamantium, so thick that nothing can break inside. Anyone who tries to enter will sigh, or so the legend says. The chief says dramatically while stealing Iso's fries. Iso asks what her backup plan is since she couldn't find Gordon's DNA. While stuffing her face full of fries, she tells Iso he needs to practice being patient. They can fool the world nobles since they use mysterious investments to talk to each other. Even Gordon used special investment to get them to invest in the country. He created the Golden District at the center for the 13 families that supported him. But after many years, many of the families have lost their awe for Gordon, and some of them even ridicule him. Even if he poses as Gordon's love rat and the White Queen acknowledges him, Haku might ignore him. so the only way is to outswagger a world nobler who is bored, becoming bolder, cooler, and faster. She makes a dramatic pause to stuff her face full of fries. Iso fumes that is his fries, and she just inhaled a burger the size of a tower. Presently, Katanori creates dining tables, cutlery, and everything that's needed to throw a sick party out of thin air. She tells her master that everything is ready, and Aso dismisses her. Some guys are trying to get on the White Queen's good side, but the glasses crack a warning that if they don't move away, their family jewels will crack next. Aso is also being surrounded by women, and the attendant asks the chairwoman if Aso is really Gordon's son. He is way too arrogant to play the part, and he might be here to fight for an inheritance. The girl tells her attendant that if he is responsible for robbing the bank and blowing up the bridge, he is not here to watch a play. He must be working on something diabolical. All they need to do is get a biological sample from Aso and run a DNA test. Calling him Big Brother was just to lower his guard. She knows that she can't take Aso seriously. After all, a maid just created a whole dining line from thin air. She wants data on his abilities and his motives. Later, Iso is even handing out Rolexes as if they're candy. The girl smiles, and Iso tells her there's a small token of courtesy. In reality, he had forced the watchmaker to work day in and day out, and if he couldn't deliver his spicy affair tape, it would be mailed to his wife. And for some extra motivation, he promised to turn him into a slime if he failed. One of them asked Aso if he had a date. If he didn't, maybe they could order a nightcap at her manor. Aso smiles. With the premium cake he's been eating, this type of pastry doesn't even faze him anymore. Speaking of premium cake, Cole is nowhere to be seen. Aso is ticked off that she's run away and is embarrassing him by loading her plate full of food. She loads her plate so high that everyone gasps. Meanwhile, Cheese and Lucille are on stakeout duty. Cheese is nervous and Lucille is pissed that she wasn't chosen to be Aso's date, and Lucille even threatens to use her poison dragons to fight this discrimination. Cheese nervously reminds her that she's full of malice and attitude. The G4 squad would have spotted her in the blink of an eye. She still says that it's not fair. She even whined to Aso, trying to get on his good side, but since she couldn't pass the malice test, she was rejected. She whispered in his ear that the idiot blonde can't play the part, and he needs someone capable. A voice wonders why she is bad-mouthing people behind their backs. Lucille whirs around and sees Yorkshire. Lucille wasn't expecting Yorkshire instead of the blondie. Yorkshire immediately grabs her throat, and Lucille threatens her with corrosion. Whoever tries to choke her without consent gets to die a horrible death thanks to her parasites. Will Cole really bite the dust because she couldn't control her powers, or will Lucille remember that they were supposed to be sisters? Lucille yells that she tried to hit Iso, so she deserves death, but Cole just grabs her throat and her hand starts to corrode. But she manifests the Ash Angel arm effortlessly. Lucille immediately starts reevaluating her life choices. She calls out to Iso, turning into a damsel in distress from a strong and independent plague girl. Iso tells Cole to back off. She immediately lets her go and Lucille hides behind Iso. Cole looks at her hand and tells them she wasn't going to kill anyone. She just wanted to scare her a little. Lucille doesn't buy it. After all, her throat is scorched. She was avenging her idiot persona. Iso flicks her on the forehead, telling her to remember not to bully anyone. Presently, Cheese asks where she is going. She wants a fresh breath of air to clear her mind. If she's in a bad mood, the plague might go out of control, and the car might turn into something he doesn't want to stay in. Gia says that her outfit is way too flashy, but she just changes her threads into something classy, and is ready to roll out to show Iso that she's more capable than that blonde harlot and that purple brute. 5 days earlier, Lucille was busy making her claim on Iso by stuffing him into her rack and giving everyone who got close the bird. She told Cole that she could warm Iso's bed, bathe him, and even go to the bathroom together. She was trying to show off how capable she was, but Cole didn't mind. She just stuffed her face full of food. Presently, Cole is doing the same, and Iso has to drag her away and scold her for eating like a barbarian. The other girls laugh at her, asking if she skipped lunch or something. Iso tells Silver to go touch her makeup. She immediately freshens Cole's makeup. While the girls continue to badmouth Iso's date, they are forced to eat their words when they see how stunning Cole is. Exotic beauty with emerald eyes and gold hair. They don't even have any more words to say. Lord Haku arrives, telling Iso that it is expected of Gordon's son to get a woman as beautiful as the moon. He comes face to face with Haku, wanting to share the venue since his theater was empty. Iso smiles, wondering if it is his father's theater, and if so, can't he tell Lord Haku to get lost? Everyone holds their breath. No one in a century has ever talked to a world noble this way, but Iso immediately switches up, apologizing for badmouthing. But it was only a prank. He wanted to see if anyone could live after badmouthing someone from the noble family. Green Eye smiles to herself. Looks like Iso is being an arrogant prick. The lights start to dim, and music flows through the halls. Iso tells Lord Haku that they should talk somewhere else. Maybe they should enjoy the moment for now. Lord Haku tells the butler to take off her clothes. Just what kind of party is this? But turns out she was wearing a beautiful dress under her trench coat. Just as the chief had predicted, rich and powerful people want something flashy and exciting. That's why money isn't everything they're after. They want to pass the time, and something that they hold dear is the dream dance. It's the most beautiful and exotic partner dance, and if he wants to beat Haku, he needs to master it. Iso could sure create a bioweapon from scratch. create a plague virus strong enough to start coronavirus version 2. But learning the dream dance in 5 days and teaching it to Kaal, who has the brain cells of a praying mantis, is beyond impossible. Presently, he reaches out for Kaal. Are they going to show them the dance, or are they going to show them how to move their limbs at an awkward angle? After that dinner with the chief 6 days before the theater, Cheese was telling Iso that he didn't need to stress. Maybe the chief was making up stories about needing to dance to assassinate the world noble, but Iso doesn't care if it's true or false. Right now, he wants to steal the spotlight and crush the flashiest world noble there is. Cheese asks his bro if they were just supposed to kill the dude. Why do they also have to kill him at a dance battle? Cheese tells Iso to reconsider, but Iso claps back. That killing Haku is just a tiny victory. His true aim is to make the entire city realize that the Alchemy family is the greatest superpower, higher than the world nobles. And after all, he's a genius, so he can learn the dance. The difficult part is teaching it to someone who has the brain and personality of a golden retriever and the appetite of a husky, so he had to have Kaal fly into Yorkshire using a crow. As soon as Yorkshire arrived, Lucille started boasting about how she gets to warm Iso's bed, bathe him, and go to the bathroom together. Yorkshire tells Lucille that she's not a nanny. Seeing the comeback skills of a 5-year-old, she yells at Yorkshire that she's a nanny and her whole family is a nanny. Iso tells both of them to shut it. They're out of time and need to learn the dance. Can Yorkshire do it? She'll need to learn it in 5 days. Yorkshire can't believe it if he's serious, but Iso stands in his comfort zone and tells her he's dead serious. Yorkshire wonders how a kid can dance with her. She doesn't want the FBI on her ass. Iso tells her not to worry about it and also to call him master. Yorkshire refuses, and Iso throws a tantrum that he fetched whatever she wanted from the container yard. She promised with a pinky swear. Yorkshire tells Iso that that proves that he's just a kid. She's an adult and can't admit that he is her master. She will think that he is, but won't call him master. Cheese whispers that she's playing him, and even though Iso knows that he's being played like a guitar, he still caves in and walks up to Yorkshire. Even though he can see eye to eye with her melons, he claims that he's not a kid and should be called master. He brings out a vial of golden liquid and chugs it in one go, ready to show them that he's not a kid. His heart starts beating faster, and he yells at them to take off his shirt or else it's going to rip. They all rush towards Iso, wondering if he's going to turn into the Incredible Hulk. Even Yorkshire is worried about what he drank, but all of a sudden his body gets buffered. He starts growing at an abnormal rate and he just smiles, asking Yorkshire if she still thinks he's a kid. Yorkshire realizes her mistake and promises to call him master. Meanwhile, everyone is amazed by another part of his growth spurt. His little twig just turned into Thor's hammer. Take my inheritance, take my life, but someone give me that vial of golden goo so that I can get my girlfriend back. Lucille yells at everyone to look away, and so he snatched back his clothes and turned into his adult form. Silver volunteered to teach them how to dance. Though they were a little skeptical when she revealed that she was taught by the world's famous choreographer, they immediately agreed. She leans closer and Iso hugs her for practice. That's when Lucille and the others start teasing him for coping a feel. She immediately steps back and apologizes because she can't do this with everyone watching. Iso immediately throws everyone except Kaal and Silver out of the room. Silver still thinks that he can't learn the dance in 5 days, and she didn't want the others to see that. Iso is glad that she is looking out for him, but it doesn't matter if it's 5 days. He can turn it into 5 months. He whips out another hourglass thingy, a time delay hourglass. At this point, it wouldn't be a surprise if our boy could pull out a black hole from his pants. The maid trio is bad-mouthing Silver for trying to turn their master into a world-class dancer in 5 days. They never knew that she was an expert at dancing. They spot Lucille guarding the door like an abandoned puppy made of poison ivy. She tells them to go tell Silver not to get any funny ideas while teaching their master to dance, or else she is dead. Hayabusa yells at Lucille. They are maids but not errand machines, and she doesn't get to act so high and mighty. Katenori also reveals the finger that has the ring on it. She provokes Lucille that Katenori is the biggest threat to her romance. This infuriates her, but Raven intervenes, bows apologetically, asks for her pardon, and goes on her merry way. The girls wonder why she is acting like a coward, but she tells them that Lucille is unhinged. She once exterminated every living person in a 10-mile radius in a building. They don't need to provoke a psycho unless it's important. Meanwhile, the girls look at the hourglass in amazement. He really is the greatest genius of the century to be able to stop time. Iso laughs, but internally he is panicking because he is running out of the precious elixir that he needs to keep it running. They can only activate it in a spherical space, and usually he just uses it to study and research material. But right now he has turned this studio into a ballroom using illusion technology. Sure enough, the small gray container turns into a beautiful hall. Everything is ready, and they need to start. They ask Yorkshire to study hard. 3 days later, our boy is still trying to get his footwork right, but accidentally eats a fistful of dirt on his first try. He curses for not being able to learn the dance, and Yorkshire comments that it looks easy. He tells Silver to teach her first. He'll see how she likes it when she falls. Surprisingly, 5 minutes later, Kaal is effortlessly dancing with Silver. Their marshmallows are colliding beautifully. When asked if she knew the dance before, she refused because as a hellhound, she never danced. She only killed. Silver tells Iso that her footwork and her dance are perfect. The reason why this dance is so difficult is that only partners who spend every moment together can execute it in sync. Every spin and touch needs to be precise. Hence, the nobles pride themselves in the dance. Kal's steps were indeed fluid, but they were too mechanical, and there was no warmth. Iso laughs, asking if she's as bad as him, but Silver apologetically says that she's a one-in-a-million dance prodigy. That hurts him more than anything could. But now that Yorkshire knows the dance, they can finally breeze through the celebration and assassinate that flamboyant bastard. Kal smiles, piping 50% successful, but she doesn't know that her plan is now only 5% successful, as she is reverted. Iso pleads with Kal to go back to her purple form, or else they are screwed. Presently, Haku is dancing with his butler, and everyone has their eyes glued on them. Some of them wonder why Iso isn't moving. Two hags also wonder why Iso is wasting his time with Kal when he can do so much better. Silver appears behind them and tells them to run off. They can only run their mouths. Even the butler is getting distracted by the lack of Iso's movement. Iso just looks at Kal and reaches his hand out. She sways with the music, twirls with the flick of her wrist, and executes each step beautifully. To everyone's surprise, Iso and Kal have finally earned everyone's admiration. They are amazed by how perfect they are in sync. It just shows that he is not just a rich kid trying to get daddy's favor, but a true noble. Even the White Queen is impressed and is reluctant to get rid of him once she finds out he is fake. Silver is glad that her star students are doing so well, but how in the world did he get to teach Kal? Turns out, after Kal reverted to her personality, Iso tried to use Raven to get her back to Yorkshire. He told Raven to commit an act of offing herself with a knife so that Yorkshire would come back. Raven was against it. Does he really want to have her stab herself when he wants to talk with Yorkshire? He argues that she is an undead, and with those massive airbags on her chest, a little stab won't do her any harm. 1 hour later, in a chest full of knives later, Kal was still the blonde idiot we all know and love. Iso told Raven to go back, and before leaving, Raven asked why he was not teaching Kal. Iso realizes that he assumes she can't learn it because of her clumsiness, but she is the strongest in the house. He has decided to teach Kal and apologizes for doubting her. Of course, she can learn the dance. 1 hour later, his feet are full of bruises and his eyes are full of disappointment. Silver wants to try bringing back Yorkshire. Iso doubts that it will work. He still doesn't blame Kal. He knew that she wasn't good at it and forced her. He even doubts whether the assassination is a good idea. At least both of Kal's personalities have accepted him as their master. He gets up and pats Kal's head, telling her to go play by herself. Well, that came out wrong. Later, while he was sleeping and dreaming about killing Haku, Kal shook him awake and led him to the living room. He was surprised to see Kal watching two people kissing on TV. Iso was furious. She is way too young to look at such filth and wants to teach Cheese a lesson for leaving these movies out in the open. But Kal insists that mouth-to-mouth makes them dance better. Iso facepalms himself in terms of the TV. He told Kal to go back to bed and not to mess around, but she refused to go and grab the door frame for support. With tears in her eyes, she told Iso she didn't want him to be sad. Iso was immensely touched. He gently kissed her on the forehead, and he didn't expect Kal to dance even better than Yorkshire. He has realized that Kal performs well on positive reinforcement. Presently, they are dancing beautifully, and the butler doesn't want her master to be embarrassed, so she brings out 3 needles, and while dancing close to Kal, swipes them at her back and smiles. Kal immediately spasms, and Iso asks what's wrong. She stutters that her back hurts. Silver tells Iso through his intercom that the redhead made 3 silver flashes when she brushed against Kal. Iso checks her back, and sure enough, there are 3 small puncture marks. In 3 seconds, she will lose control of her body like a puppet. She starts counting down, but surprisingly, Kal keeps on dancing. The poor girl didn't know that she was dealing with a super alchemist. All of a sudden, her stomach starts growling, and her face turns pale. She feels something heading towards her rear end. Haku wonders what's wrong. The butler whispers that she is fine, but immediately rips a huge cloud of toxins. Iso tells Mr. Haku that it looks like his companion farted like a truck driver in the middle of his midlife crisis. In reality, he had used his hidden scorpion to inject her full of toxins, then made her a farty boy. Mr. Haku decides to leave since everyone's joy has been ruined. He tells Iso to enjoy the celebration. The demoness can't help but laugh. She burst out laughing because this is the first time she has seen the redhead butler be so embarrassed. She always acted high and mighty, but now she is just low and farty. Renai tells her to stop. She smiles, telling the demoness that it's time to dance with Iso. They both look at something that can't be explained. Iso and Cool are smiling genuinely while looking into each other's eyes. Iso compliments Cool for her amazing job, and Cool blushes. Her lips look so inviting, and Iso gulps audibly and decides to kiss. With this kiss, he is going to remove every limit the Alchemy family had between test subject and master. They gently pack their lips, but all of a sudden Cole's eyes turn red. The demoness freezes, and Renai is about to teach Cole a lesson for kissing Iso. But she doesn't get to do that as Iso quickly retreats and covers his mouth. His lower lip is bleeding heavily. Cole wipes her mouth and looks at him in disgust. Iso realizes that she is now in Yorkshire. To ensure that the switching process wouldn't trigger the security squad, he had coated her hair with an extra layer of golden dye. The maids are surprised, and even the White Queen gloats. Looks like he was bitten by his own date. Renai is glad that an experimental subject taught him a lesson. Everyone starts snapping pictures of his date biting him on the lip. Just as humiliating as Haku, Iso realizes that he is a laughingstock. He feels resentment bubbling in his chest as Call strides closer. Iso wonders if this girl is going to stab him in the middle of the ball for trying to kiss her. Her squad gets ready to roll in if she tries something funny. They stare into each other's eyes, and Iso tries to explain that it was part of the plan. But out of the blue, she grabs his tie, pulls him close, and kisses him violently. She then parts her lips and tells Iso she is going to touch up her makeup. Meanwhile, the cop is having a hard time keeping the chief of police under control, who for some reason wants to smuggle lobster tails back to their donor truck. Renai has decided that it's her time for a dance, but before she can move, she comes face to face with the White Queen. The Winter Princess tells Renai to play with dolls. This dance is too much for her. A ring of ice separates everyone from them. Iso asks what she wants, and she leans closer, grabs a dab of his blood and puts it in a DNA testing kit. Soon enough, they'll know if he's the real deal or if he'll spend his life as an ice sculpture in her bathroom. If he confesses right now, she might consider letting him off the hook, but he just melts, telling her to go ahead. The DNA sample beeps and the White Queen gasps in surprise. Kal is busy freshening up her makeup. She stares at her reflection and remembers the kiss she shared with Iso, both as Kal and Yorkshire. Her mechanical heart starts beating erratically, something that shouldn't be possible. The two girls who have their eyes on Iso start teasing her from the door, wondering if she has a fat heart under all of those big Yorkshire. Quickly goes to the bathroom and shuts the door. The girls giggle, stand in front of the doorframe and chuck wine bottles over the door. They burst out laughing as the wine bottles crash, but when they open the door, Yorkshire is nowhere to be seen. Poor girls thought that they could bully an elite assassin as if she were a nerdy schoolgirl from a Netflix show. She peers behind the girls and grabs their wrists and slowly closes the door to the bathroom. They are going to learn what happens in prison when one drops the soap, even though they haven't dropped it. A couple of minutes later, Silver and Raven walk up to the girls' bathroom to see why Call is taking so long. Silver is also ticked off that Raven never told the girls that she was part of Hellhounds and hid her identity and true strength all those years. Raven apologized, but everyone had a secret. No one knew that she danced under a neon phoenix, so now they're even. They keep talking about their feelings, resolving issues when Call arrives, walks past them coldly and tells them to take care of the 2 trash bags she left in the bathroom stall. Silver wonders if that's code for not flushing, but Raven knows better. Silver wonders why Yorkshire's personality is so unpleasant, even though Raven knows that she's behind her personality shift. They quickly open the bathroom and something straight out of 50 Shades of Grey greets them. The girls are amazed by Cull's creativity and decide to take care of them. Meanwhile, Iso is gloating. He's sure that the White Queen won't cause any problems now that he has proven himself to be Gordon's son. He also calls her little sister and asks for a proper greeting. Instead of a proper greeting, the White Queen hugs him and starts crying, calling him Papa. Iso looks around in horror. He did not sign up for child support. Meanwhile, the demoness is trying to break the ring of ice surrounding them. Renai tries to eavesdrop while the White Queen is crying her eyes out, asking why he suddenly left to get milk, and why he never comes back. She just wants to be his favorite baby. Renai just hears what baby and immediately jumps to the conclusion that they're having a sweet home Alabama relationship. She completely collapses and Iso asks what she found in the DNA tester. Nine Chao slowly pulls away and shows him the DNA kit. The kit claims that Iso is White Queen's biological father. Iso wonders if the kit is broken. No way is he the dad. Looking at the hope in her eyes, he tries to play along. The icy beauty with daddy issues asks Iso if he disappeared because of a great crisis and now has appeared in a younger body to resolve it, and she wouldn't have humiliated him if she had known. No wonder he stood in front of a world noble, but he doesn't need to worry anymore. She will support him with everything she's got. Iso is in a daze. Every accident leads him to gain a busty family member. Even if he was the father, this reaction is way too sussable. The cop looks at the icy ring and tells the chief that they should do something, but the chief tells him to just kick back and enjoy the lobsters. 6 days ago, Iso was trying to get his hands on a DNA sample, and the chief brought him a shirt stained with Gordon's blood. Though Iso was surprised, he still decided to play along. Right now, he tells Ning Chao that he is going to be her half-brother. She needs to behave like a half-sister, or else daddy will get angry. Ning Chao immediately agrees and apologizes. He wants to be treated like a half-brother, and she needs to give him a hard time. In reality, after obtaining a fragment of the dried blood, he was busy using alchemy to extract the blood and combine it with a few other factors for a fake DNA sample. The original plan was to stab his finger with a lobster's shell and have Ning Chao notice it so that she could swipe a blood sample and run the test. The first wave of sea lobsters was destroyed by Cole. Luckily, when Yorkshire emerged and bit his lip, he found the perfect opportunity to drench his fingers with the fake blood and swipe it on his lip. But things have turned too ridiculous, and now he has a daughter older and prettier than him. She is also the second highest ranking superhero of the city. Ning Chao is convinced that this man is her father because his face also resembles Gordon's, and his aura is also astounding. She remembers the days of happiness she spent with her father when he was there for her swimming competition, when they took beach walks. She dissolves the Ring of Five and starts arguing with him that if he is a bastard, he is not going to be acknowledged and won't get a coin from their inheritance. When Rinai realizes that they don't have anything going on, she immediately gets up. The White Queen is about to freeze Iso, but Cool arrives and grabs her finger, ready to snap it off. The crowd goes wild. The cop asks if they should do something, but the chief tells him not to bother. They'll intervene if something happens. The cop still wants to do something before something happens, or else innocent people will get hurt. The chief just smiles. They can't arrest them for threatening city safety. Heroes always use their power unchecked. Meanwhile, Renai grabs Iso's arm and drags him away. The maid squad tries to stop her, but Iso tells them to stand down. They arrive in a secluded spot, and Renai tells him that it is amazing he can turn himself into an adult. Iso gets a big head and calls himself the greatest alchemist of the century. She also wants to try the adult drug. Iso tells her that he only works on his body, but he promises to make some changes in the future. Right now, moving to the matter at hand, her dad probably doesn't want him around, but she disagrees, even though he hates Iso. Now that he is Gordon's bastard, they need a different approach to get him to meet with him. Later, the butler looks at Lord Haku, handing him a slip containing the guests who want to join him. Haku is not in the mood after what happened, but something makes him change his mind. Iso is carrying around Renai, telling everyone that she was playing and fell asleep. And he's lucky to meet Renai. Haku really is lucky to have a cute daughter like her, and maybe he should make her his goddaughter. The demon has gasped in surprise, and Ning Chao is about to bring down the third ice age. Iso quietly walks up to Haku's private quarters. Her assistant tells the patriarch that Iso is arriving, carrying the young lady. Everyone is furious, and the butler wants to blast him away, even though the only thing she could blast away is a toilet. Haku tells her to cool her jets. She has done enough blasting away for one day. She needs to go to the carriage and not come out. In the main hall, Iso is a little nervous and is using Rennie's cheeks as a stress ball. She pouts and he finds it amazing, like two slimes that can harden. He finally arrives in the quarters. The mayors are also a few steps behind. It's dangerous for the young master to go alone, but thanks to Kotonori's ring, they'll know if something bad happens. Silver is also confident that only a Prodigy or Goku could kill their master. Later, Iso is served an exotic tea that looks like brake fluid. He's not happy with the tea, but Haku starts glazing it as if it's nectar strapped from Olympus. It's supposed to taste like spring breeze, melt like autumn snow, and crisp like dried leaves. As he's going on and on about how amazing the tea is, Iso just grabs open a soda can and chugs it in one go. Uncle Iro would have had a stroke seeing him disrespect tea like that, and Renai looks at him and wants to try it as well. Iso apologizes. He doesn't think the tea is his cup of tea. Haku tells him that he's a peasant, but Renai really wants to try the soda. Iso throws a can towards Haku, telling him to try it. He shouldn't knock it before he tries it. He just hands the cola to her attendant and tells her to throw it away. Iso tells the young master that he shouldn't be so hard on her daughter. Kids like to try new things. That's when two demons appear behind him with one blade on each side of his neck. Haku tells Iso that he should keep watching the performance and keep his mouth shut if he wants to leave in one piece. Iso just laughs. If he doesn't want to talk to Iso, then maybe Iso can bring his girlfriend here. Haku refuses. The only one who's been permitted to enter these chambers is Iso, and if he really wants female company, then the two demonesses behind him will suffice. They take off their masks and immediately start massaging Iso's shoulders, while Rena looks like she's about to have a seizure. In the backstage hall, the cruel auntie is walking with her daughter, ready to see her husband's performance. The little girl is glad that she gets to see her daddy dressed as a hero. That's when she comes face to face with a latex beauty. The latex baddie walks past the little girl, but of course the little girl doesn't ignore her and calls her big sister and says how her outfit is so cool. She also wants to see the sword. The woman tells her to be careful. The sword is sharp. She reaches for the sword and is amazed by how sharp it is. The woman asks if she is Mir's daughter. She agrees and asks if the girl is her daddy's fan. She just smiles. She is part of the crew and admires Mr. Mir as well. And she heard that Mr. Mir has two daughters, so why is the other one not here? The auntie looks like she is about to pass out. The little girl innocently says that her father only has one daughter, and it's her, Milo. The woman reaches for a hidden dagger by her side, and auntie senses something is wrong. She drags Milo away, but Milo refuses. She only touched the sword for a second. She resists against her mother and rushes towards the woman, bowing politely and digging into her purse until she finds a finger puppet she made that looks like her father. She gives it to the woman as a gift since she feels very kind. This act probably saved both of their lives. The woman looks at the puppet and is unsure how to move. Back in the stage room, Mir is getting his makeup redone. He is dressed like a king. All of a sudden, he gets a letter that might change everything. Later, everyone is looking at Lucille being as stealthy as a Discord mod. In a crowd of upstanding citizens, 5 days ago, Iso had finally created the Malice Eater virus, something that could take care of anyone's hatred. The whole crowd was excited, and Cheese teased Iso that he couldn't see anything. Lucille laughed. There is a virus. Of course he is not supposed to see it. Iso whipped out a microscope and Cheese looked at a bacteriophage-like creature. It can eat anyone's bad thoughts before they happen. Iso smiles and puts one on Cheese, and Cheese immediately starts crashing out. Iso tells him not to worry. He will just spend the rest of his rice as a nice guy who never gets any action or temper tantrums. Cheese then looks at Iso, breaks a CDI. That was his limited collection, corn. That's enough to send Cheese over the edge, but right now he is just sulking and crying. Everyone thinks that he is reaching for a gun, but it is tissue. He starts sobbing uncontrollably, and Iso hands him a copy. This was only a test, and if Cheese were normal, he would have started shooting Iso. But now he is just a big crybaby. Lucille was very excited to try the Malice Eater. Malice Eater, someone infected my dad with this virus before I tell him I failed math again. Lucille challenges everyone to make her angry, but before anyone can get the chance, her collar starts beeping, and Iso can't believe that all of the Malice Eaters on her body are dead. He uses his entire supply of Malice Eater, but they die before they can even take a single step. They realize that Lucille is pure malice, and they can't do anything with that. He looks at the Malice virus getting the Thanos treatment. His entire stock has been wiped out, and Lucille is proud that no virus can work on her, but she doesn't know that everyone else gets to go on the mission while she gets to stay home and do nothing. She starts begging Iso to let her come with them. She begs during meals, she begs during TV time, even in his sleep, even when he is peeing. Naturally, Iso caves in, telling her to say she is sorry and stay discreet, and also stay the hell out of the bathroom, or else he will file a restraining order. She smiles and kisses him on the lips before running away. That's how she is roaming around the streets and lowering her malice to an extremely low level. She looks at a kitty rubbing against her leg and gets an idea. A strain of virus starts infecting the kitty. Meanwhile, a mysterious dancing car appears in a driveway, and a fatty is having the time of his life with a 10x10 baddie. That's when the guy noticed a cat sitting on his roof. He was about to snuff out his cigarette with a stare, but the cat didn't even move. It looked at them with demon eyes, and the fatty realized that he was crude. A few seconds later, they were reduced to a pile of bones. Lucille was piloting the cat to get close to Iso, but in the blink of an eye, she was shot by a mysterious entity. She couldn't believe that had happened. She was supposed to be untraceable. Two mysterious figures in robes grab the cat and cradle it. They got rid of the virus, but the cat is safe. One of them got infected, but managed to minimize the infection with their power. Next up, Lucille tries to use an infected rat, but fails. Then an infected mosquito bites, but fails again. Then an infected paramecium, and that fails as well. She can't believe that there is someone who can take care of her strongest ability without even showing themselves. The doer, on the other hand, wonders if they should alert the authorities that someone is trying to sneak into the theater. But one of them disagrees. Their job is not to alert anyone. Their job is to go down and eliminate the threat once and for all. Lucille doesn't realize the mess she has gotten herself stuck in. Will she be able to survive, or will she end up in a body bag by the dumpster? Mr. and Mrs. Chungus and Fungus are still arguing about what they should do with the little rat they caught. They decide that the style of the G4 unit isn't subjugation, it's eradication. A chill runs down Lucille's mind. She doesn't know what tiger she's just poached. Lucille is trying to run away, but both of the White Clan duo appear in front of her. She turns pale, realizing that G4 really exists. It wasn't a campfire story to make dangerous little experiment subjects behave. If Aso finds out that his plan went up in flames because of her, she's definitely getting her bottom spanked. She tries to run away, but her portal sends her right back to the space. She tries to run through the portal over and over again, and one of them laughs that this is a special teleportation spell. The space has been cut off from the dimension, and every citizen in the city has been evacuated within a 1-kilometer radius. The sage's death for her execution. A minute ago, Cheese was busy gooning in peace when a tiger arrived, and that's how he was teleported to a restaurant inside a dish. 11/10 Tiger Furry apologizes to keep the customers waiting, but that's when the big tiger is running after Cheese, yelling that his restaurant won't have a ratatouille situation. He is about to smack the living cheese out of Cheese. Lucille, on the other hand, is still full of herself. No way are two guys with zero dressing sense going to take her down. She activates her poison dragon, and the wave of poison is effortlessly deflected by a barrier. They even tease her for being ineffective, but she just smiles. She was just controlling the plague virus in a physical form. How about she disperses it in a thin stream around them so that their lungs burst into a million pieces? She is all full of herself, telling the duo that the virus must have already entered their bodies, but when they are standing around as healthy as an ox, she loses her confidence. Shellhead tells her that they are not affected by the weakness of flesh because they are not carbon-based organisms, and it's time that they also try putting some effort into the fight. Shellhead opens its mask and a wave of blood sprinkles all around and a huge cross blazes in the sky. Meanwhile, Koale is still munching on her sweets. The Ice Queen is furious that the girl has eaten 35 cheesecakes and 59 tarts. No wonder her cake is so huge. She keeps replenishing it. She starts worrying about Koale being her daddy's woman, and if she'll have to call Koale her auntie. Her attendant tells the Ice Queen to chill, and also wonders if Koale is expecting or is knocked up. That's enough to send the Ice Queen into a frenzy. No way is her daddy knocking up idiots. Silver tells Koale that it's time. Now that Koale has replenished calories enough to an army, they've decided to go into screening room number 2. Meanwhile, Iso is having the time of his life. His head is squished in 2 heavenly mountains, and his foot is squished in 2 divine melons. Iso smiles. That's so perfect, he might as well die, and his wish is about to be granted by his employer, who stomps on his family jewels and complains to her daddy. Why the assassins are serving him as if he is their husband. Iso curses the little kid for not knowing her own strength when the curtain starts to part. The show is finally beginning, and everyone is seated along with Chief. Chief keeps on rattling about how popcorn and cola are essential for watching a movie. She even teases him for not having any experience when it comes to girls, and maybe that's why he's a virgin. The officer suffers generational aura debt and coughs up a stream of blood. The movie starts rolling. It shows a man being jumped by 3 riders. They're about to execute him for a crime he didn't commit on behalf of the Imperial Guards. The man defiantly roared at them, and he was about to be executed. Then all of a sudden, the person playing the guard drops like a sack of potatoes in a pool of his own blood, and Yorkshire stands before him. His eyes widen and she asks if this is the scene he imagined playing. His lordship gasps, and Iso asks if he recognizes the actress. The lord agrees. That face looks like someone he once saw who tried to assassinate him. Little Miss recalls the assassin's costume in the promotion being completely different, almost the same, only it had leggings. The guy stutters, asking Yorkshire's name. The scene changes, and a trashy ant is standing in front of a little girl who looks like Yorkshire. The man also transforms into his present self. The scene is the same as all those years ago, and Crow laughs, helping herself to a script and keeping the ant's daughter as a hostage. All she needs to do is stick to the script or watch her daughter drift. The auntie is not acting that well, and Crow yells that if she doesn't stop with the second-rate acting, her daughters will get a free manicure, only she won't need one for the rest of her life. That's enough to ignite the fire in Auntie, and she yells at the little girl for playing with toys while mopping the floor. Next up on Crow's instructions, she stomps the teddy bear, and the little girl looks at her mother in her true form as she crushes the actor's teddy bear and stomps on the little girl. Mel yells that this is wrong. This is not the play that was supposed to happen. Yorkshire stutters, accusing her father of never stopping the crazy old bat from hurting her. The garbage director is still worrying about his play, and Iso intervenes. Here he is seeing his daughter being abused, and the first thing on his mind is whether the play is ruined. He never stood up for his daughter when she was treated worse than trash. Compared to her life, Harry Potter lived like a king. Auntie would starve her, use a needle to punish her, pour boiling water on her tiny little frame, while this ballless man just stood in the corner like a cuck and watched it all happen. And to top it all off, Yorkshire's mother left the freaking hellhounds for his sake. All those years he has even carried the photo, but his love is nothing but self-indulgence. Mel is starting to realize what a crappy life he has led. He still tries to come up with an excuse, but Aso smiles, telling Sleazeball that the Yorkshire he needs to talk with is his wife. The red-headed baddie squints her eyes and kicks Auntie in the neck. She stutters, asking who the hell she is. Her uniform starts to blaze, and a woman resembling Yorkshire grits her teeth. This is Yorkshire's mother, also named Yorkshire. Iso laughs as Mel is taken aback by the appearance of his dead wife. No way did she die and come back to life. Iso just laughs. One of the many delights of alchemy is making the impossible possible. Meanwhile, the girls servicing Iso start to turn dizzy, and the little miss is nowhere to be seen. The plot thickens as Iso has used his cola to put them to sleep. Silverhead tries to inform the family, but she is too far gone. Meanwhile, Tiger King is still trying to get a handle on his Ratatouille situation. Cheese is running around wondering when his life turned into Tom and Jerry from an alchemy mob boss. He's decided that he's had enough and stops in his tracks, surprising the tiger who accidentally trips and falls. Cheese tells the tiger that he'll pay for the damages, and it's only an accident. Little Bro really thinks that he can negotiate with a 1,300-pound killing machine with a bunch of fat stacks. The tiger doesn't care about his dirty sewer money. How dare the rat turn up in his kitchen? The rat still argues that he is holding back because he doesn't like fighting in restaurants he frequents. He's also a chef, so they should settle it. Chef to chef. Tiger Lord stutters. Cheese really plucked on his heartstrings, and Tiger Lord tells everyone to listen up. They are going to settle it, chef to chef. Cheese borrows a bun, takes a bite, and tells everyone that today's pork and green onion filling is a bit too greasy, so it looks like he didn't use white pepper. Tiger Lord stutters. He expected Ratatouille to be an expert in sewer ramen and toilet wine, but here he is listing the missing ingredient. Cheese still insists they should have a cooking contest if his buns are better than the tiger's. He wants a lifetime membership card. Green Wine Lucille is facing Ragnarok while Cheese is having a friendly neighborhood chef battle. She's come face to face with a blazing cross bathing the sky in blood. A shard impales her effortlessly to the ground and she tries to use her plague virus to regenerate, but her legs are restrained and a huge energy ball is forming over her head. It impales Lucille with a headshot, but Lucille laughs, telling them that physical attacks have nothing on her. Or so she thought as her hand started to disintegrate. She can't turn into viral particles. She is being sucked up by the arrows. The point of the arrow is about to enter a dungeon. It's not supposed to. The devil had explained that this is the inverted cross. It's used by perverts in churches to take down fallen king-class entities, and she should be honored. She tells Lucille to stand proud, for she is strong. Meanwhile, Doberman was trying to find something, even at the cost of his life. He told Yorkshire that the most prized possession he owns is in a locker somewhere out in the east. A few days before the theater assassination, Iso tried visiting the location. Cole managed to find the locker, and with a single strike broke the lock. But the lock was sturdier than my dreams and aspirations. There's only a scratch on it, but Iso doesn't care. The slime maker will dissolve any matter. He shoots the lock, dissolves the metal, and tells his ladyship to enter. As soon as she enters, she freezes because standing on a bed of ice is her mother. The cake doesn't fall far from the bakery, and something must be seriously wrong with her dad if she chose Auntie over this fat stack of pancakes. Rose is blooming on her chest. She is about to touch it, but Aso stops her. It's not that it's poisonous, it's a dust heart orchid. It's really toxic, and if someone plants it on the heart of a diseased person, it will stop decay. It blooms once every 11 years, and only 111 flowers have grown. The last one was used by Muzan for some demon experiment. Even if a single flower is plucked before it blooms, the body will turn to dust. They wonder what they should do and can't believe Doberman actually found that flower. In 111 days, the dead can be resurrected with this flower, but that will take too long. As a genius alchemist, he wants to accelerate the flower's growth, and that's how he managed to bring Yorkshire's mother back 1200 years early, a special gift for the family reunion. Yorkshire Sr. wants to do whatever she wants with the woman. She even calls Iso master surprisingly. That ticks off Yorkshire, and Iso stutters that while accelerating the growth of resurrection, the side effect might be memory loss. When she first woke up, her first instinct was to gouge his eyes out while blinding him with her breast. A way I hope I would die one day. He tried his best to explain that she had amnesia, and he had to show her the corpse of the Houndmaster, and that's when she pledged loyalty to Iso as her new master. Based on Hellhound rules, anyone who kills a master can become a master, and she wants to make things even with the people that tormented her daughter. Yorkshire realizes her mother has amnesia, but Iso tells her that the side effect will be resolved soon. Yorkshire doesn't want it. It's better this way. Once they have family, they have attachments, and attachments can lead to weakness or death. Yorkshire wants her mother to forget about her and live a fulfilling life. Iso chuckles. She's a mother, so of course she's going to do what she thinks is best, and it's useless to argue with moms. Yorkshire is about to turn into a tomato with embarrassment. She doesn't want her mommy calling Iso master while she calls it herself. Iso smiles. He just wanted a taste of the source code, and he has to respect her wishes. Yorkshire is inches away from ensuring his bloodline doesn't continue. Meanwhile, Auntie wheezes that a lot of people are looking at Yorkshire. If she kills her, there won't be an escape. Iso just laughs because he has hacked the Grand Theater illusion system. The audience is seeing the normal plot of the movie. Only his lordship is looking at the real deal. After all, he has a special execution ground for him as well. Yorkshire Sr. creates a blade of grass from a palm. This is the dusk heart orchid. The process of accelerating the growth is famous for causing amnesia, but her physical body has also become a seed soil. She can grow the flower whenever she wants from wherever she wants, and that can become her unique weapon. Once the flower has taken root in an enemy, it will drain the creature's life force and bloom beautifully, and also turn the unfortunate slob's body into wood. She keeps on kicking Auntie, and Auntie looks at the flower blooming in her chest as Yorkshire laughs. She promises to give Auntie a funeral worthy of her, dumping her ashes in the toilet and flushing it away. Iso has a bad feeling that his latest recruit has a few nuts loose. She even brings out a wood-eating worm that will burrow into her body once she is turning into wood. Auntie starts apologizing for everything she has done, but it's too late. Crow growls and laughs. This kind of method is what the Hellhound should use. She is instantly Yorkshire Sr.'s fan, while the hostage girl is crying her eyes out. Even if she was trashy, she was her mother. The little worm starts burrowing into her hand, and Yorkshire surprisingly asks her mother to stop. She doesn't care about the torture and the gut spilling. But torturing a mother in front of her daughter is too cold. She doesn't want revenge anymore. Her resurrection is enough for her. Yorkshire Sr. is touched by her daughter's kindness and plucks out the flower, promising a clean and quick end to the woman. The trashy Auntie still tries to pull a fast one, but is immediately given the Thanos treatment. She turns to dust, and Yorkshire Sr. walks away. The hostage girl feels her world shatter, and Mel is groveling on the ground like a spineless idiot. Yorkshire tells her husband that she can't be expected to forgive and forget. That's not how she works. She is more of a stomp on her victim's balls and leave them to suffer kind of girl. She stomps on his head, squishing it like a watermelon, and tells her daughter that it's better to kill her enemies and send them off to hell. Her blade is about to slit the stupid man's stupid mustache and neck, but Yorkshire stops her and gets impaled in the process. Mother is not happy with Yorkshire, but she just can't see her mother kill her father. Mr. covers his eyes. This is turning into a nightmare. Why the hell are mother and daughter at each other's throats? Yorkshire Sr. looks at the blood dripping from her daughter's hand and laughs sadistically, ready to test out what that Ash Angel arm can do and whether it's better than a regular one. The slave collar on her throat electrocutes the living daylights out of her. Iso tells Yorkshire Sr. that Call is an important part of their team, and she's pushing things too far. Meanwhile, Call is about to slit Iso's head for electrocuting her mother. Turns out Yorkshire Sr. is a bigger freak than her daughter and Lucille combined. She calls Iso master, telling him to punish that disobedient doggy to show that he's qualified to be a master. Iso feels something rising and is definitely not the shield hero, and Yorkshire Jr. is about to slit that little rise out of him. Meanwhile, Mel eyes the dagger next to him and is about to slash his throat, but Yorkshire Jr. stops him. As she said, his fate is to be decided by her. He trembles, apologizing for being so trashy and spineless. He wants them to live a fulfilling life, and wants to die to atone for his sins. He feels a handkerchief dab up the blood on his forehead. Yiso tells Uncle that he suffered a severe blow to the noggin. He needs to keep still and stop talking. Since he is Yorkshire's dad, he won't let anyone kill him. The old man is surprised, even after committing so many things. Yiso is giving him a second chance. Yiso smiles. He was touched by his plea for death and believes that the mother and daughter duo will forgive him when they can live like a happy family. Something is wrong. Kindness and second chances are not Yassel's brand. The old man apologizes and immediately starts talking about what a perfect performance he put on to create the ultimate tragedy. Auntie's death and now his daughter's death will help him reach the climax of the play. He quickly covers his mouth and Yorkshire is surprised. The old man tells her that he's lost too much blood and is speaking nonsense. The next moment he talks about an excuse to cover it up and quickly covers his mouth. He laughs, telling the old guy that his inner thoughts are spilling out because of a truth serum he dabbed on the handkerchief he used. He's made it clear that his entire life was a performance and he treats others like actors. He doesn't even care about love, hate, or grudges. He just wants to put on the perfect play. Hell, he doesn't even deserve to be a human. He tells Yorkshire Jr. she can do whatever she wants with him. Yorkshire has decided on the perfect punishment for her father, to delete him from all of her memories and to delete their memories from his mind as well. If he wants to be an actor, he can live like an actor and die like one. Iso smiles but refuses to alter Yorkshire's memories. Iso then tells Crow to take the little girl and head back to the base. He then tells Kotonori to get back to her regular form. The little girl playing Yorkshire as a kid is actually Kotonori. She immediately explodes into her voluptuous self. Meanwhile, Lucille is having a weird fight with a pair of delinquents. They keep on impaling her while putting her on a cross and capturing any plague particles they can. The final step is to impale her heart with a sacred holy spear. Lucille hopes that her massive chest shields can protect her heart, but the spear is way too sharp and blood gushes from everywhere. The last thing she sees before blacking out is Shellhead standing in front of the cross and looking away. Shellhead then takes off her helmet and is an absolute baddie. She is excited that they have taken out such a strong opponent. Her other entity also takes off her helmet, ready to protect world nobles at all costs. They have celebrated their victory too soon, as darkness creeps into her eyes and she starts to stagger. Cheese tries to aura farm, introducing himself as second in command of the Persilide family. He is not a rat who only knows clowning around, but a master of style and fashion. A picture with two hotties by his arms is enough to convince everyone that he has mad game. He then starts kneading the dough because he takes two things very seriously: beautiful women and gourmet food, although they are considered the same by many. He then looks at Tiger Lord not moving a muscle, and wonders what he is doing. Tiger Lord smirks, asking if he knows what makes a dim sum master prominent among his peers. Cheese wonders if it's aura farming and not moving a muscle during a competition. This ticks off Tiger Lord, its brute strength. He starts punching the dough as if it owes him money, telling Ratty Boy that with enough strength they can mix the flour and baking powder beautifully and expel air from the dough to make it smoother. And that's where Ratty Boy will never catch up to the Tiger Clan because they have amazing genetics. Cheese tells the Tiger Lord who cares about genetics when they have elite roids on hand. He pops a pill, takes off his shirt, and bows in front of the dough, apologizing for what he's about to do to it. He tells Tiger Lord that genetics can easily be conquered by roids. He immediately gets buff as hell, surprising Tiger Furry as well. He then starts beating the living hell out of the dough and breaks the table in the process, as well as rizzing up Tiger Batty. He apologizes for breaking the boards and asks Tiger Girl to go bring steel ones. She starts blushing that she doesn't have steel boards. He just smiles and hands her a thick wad of cash, telling her to go to the supermarket, buy one, and get herself something nice for her trouble. His risen mad game needs to be studied because Tiger Furry is immediately blushing like a tomato. Tiger Lord is about to chop his frickin' tail off for flirting with his daughter. His fellow tigers stop him from committing raticide. Cheese just laughs, asking Tiger Lord for a new condition. If he wins, he wants to go on a date with the Tiger Girl. No objections. Tiger Girl's eyes show that she really wants that Master Splinterwood, but Tiger Lord won't let her little girl be cracked by an overgrown rat straight from the Black Plague. If he wins, he is going to chop his tail and wood off. Cheese accepts the challenge, and they both start chopping away and making dim sums. Meanwhile, Butler is walking around the family ship, barely able to control her deadly gases. She has already destroyed the toilet 20 times, but she still keeps on stinking at the place like a redneck trucker who's had burritos for lunch. When she comes face to face with a demon so terrifying, no one would blame her for soiling her pants. She immediately launches away, but the demon grabs her and makes her bow in front of a mysterious figure who tells her to swallow and not mess up her floor. The three elders of the Moose clan are here. The butler stutters, asking what she has done to earn their presence. One of them reacts about the mirage planking and why they left the Golden Zone without permission. The butler stutters that Lord Yinsho had obtained the Three-Eye Seal, and that's why they activated the mirage planking to bring Miss Runai to the lighthouse zone to watch the play. The elders are not happy with the family head's decisions. They view him as incompetent. Even then, the butler is struggling to keep her insides from exploding. She makes a lewd expression and is about to stink up the chamber straight to Mars. The elders realize this and tell their shinobi to take out the toxins. All of the poison exits her body from every orifice she has. A mysterious shinobi tells her to keep herself clean. This shinobi is the access of Twilight, Milo. Outside the main hall, the demoness and the monk are waiting for their masters. But something is wrong. The whole building vibrates, and the ceiling has just burst open. The demoness bursts into the room, asking for the young lady, but only silence greets her. Yorkshire Sr. pleads that she wants to stay and join the fun, but Iso wants her to return to base. Keeping her with her daughter is getting too dangerous. She insists that she is having fun and even tries to sweeten the deal by giving Iso everything she has to offer. She then tells Cole and Kotonori to come to the next theater so that Lord Yen and Black Palace Ronai can finally meet with them. Cole has already changed back to her blonde golden retriever form. Iso's face turns pale. Why did she change back at such a critical point? Yorkshire insists that she takes Cole's place, since she is a useless little brat now. Iso has no choice but to agree. He tells Cole to head back to the base first, but she wants to be useful. She doesn't want to be the Sakura of this story. Iso smiles, telling her there will be cookies at the base and she can eat them and wait for her master like a good little girl. Kotonori asks how in the world did Iso teleport them from the theater to this rundown building. Turns out a few days ago, Iso and Cheese had infiltrated the theater as construction workers hired to repair some seats that were broken in the hall. They started taking down the chairs and seats and making a teleportation circle in a large area. They used specialized guns to lay down 5 barriers of teleportation that would lock onto specific biological targets. Even Cheese was surprised to see the alchemy magic formula. To counter all the variables present, the Black Palace, the G4 agency detection methods, and multiple layers of effects that provide energy, he needs to come up with a very complex formula. As soon as the play starts, it will trigger the teleportation circle, sending Iso, the Black Palace father and daughter, and Milo's family to the abandoned building. Iso has also placed a large number of instruments over there to replace the environment with the snowy day of the play scene. Later, the play will be used to cover up their tracks. The G4 agency shouldn't be able to track them down. They won't know what hit them when their target suddenly disappears. And while they are looking around for their precious little master, he will complete his grand debut as the #1 evil villain of the city. Meanwhile, at the lower level of the abandoned city, Ronai is getting a massage from Silver and a cola from Hayabusa. She spots Iso and immediately cheers up. She wonders what's taking so long. Hayabusa complains about waiting on master's orders, and why should they serve an arrogant little girl that doesn't even have shoes? Iso insists that they need to listen, and also, they don't need to serve Miss Ronai anymore. Hayabusa immediately takes the drink and chugs it, telling the little girl she doesn't have any servants anymore. The little girl pouts and hands them a picture of her mother. Looking at the picture, Iso hands it to Kotonori, telling her to do her thing. Immediately, her marshmallows get even bigger, and she turns it into a sluttier version of Roni's mother. Roni yells that her mother didn't have such big bazonkas. Kotonori just laughs. She insists that they should keep it big, but Iso tells Kotonori to listen to the girl. After a lot of modifications, she finally resembles her mother. Enough that the little girl calls her mommy, and she tries to reach for her, while secretly planning to kick her in the face. But Roni kicks her first and serves her spiraling, but Iso holds his head. Yui Shao looks around and realizes that this is an illusion. That's when he hears footsteps behind him. He whips out his sword and tells the other party they're courting death, but when he sees who it is, he freezes. It's his long-dead wife, the one who smiles, asking how he has been after he killed her. Yinsho sheaths his sword and smiles, looking at the sky and asking Iso if they expected him to run around in terror and regret after being reunited with his wife. And is this the execution ground Ronai has prepared for her father? Iso and Ronai look at him, taunting them through the screen. They're both mad that he didn't fall for their trick. Yinso just dips his sword in the puddle and leans against the tree, telling Ronai that that woman was nothing but a plaything. He got bored and disposed of it. Even the Black Beast family is someone else's toy. Meanwhile, Silver and Hayabusa are on lookout, wondering why things are so boring. Hayabusa teases that she is not going to be a submissive dog, but one that causes trouble for the owners. That's when a sudden gust of wind blows away their uniforms. They realize that something is above them, and something crashes a few feet away from their location. Hayabusa looks at the crater and realizes that something ominous is flying over her. Blades of wind tear through the concrete she's standing on. She leaps away and brings out her claws, ready to have a fun playtime. Too bad little Shorty doesn't know that she's out of her depth. The entity grabs her head, slams through the concrete, and stands over her triumphantly. The demon looks around, ready to bring justice to Iso, but the demon freezes when it looks at Yunsho standing in front of Iso, with a blade to his throat. He tells the ghost monk that he's already gained the upper hand. The demon tells Lord Yunsho that the elders are waiting for him at the pavilion, and Yunsho is ticked off that the ghost monk is not kneeling to him. As the head of the family, he deserves that much. The demon immediately kneels and something shoots out of the palm of his hand. Silver has arrived, using her frost silver blade to create a perfect decoy and armor over her body to tank the blow. Even the demon commends her for quick thinking, but Silver is not fishing for compliments, something rare for a beautiful girl. She's more interested in why he is not turning into ice already. The demon looks at his hand and inhales sharply. A burst of multicolored flames thaws his hand. The demon tells Silver that he belongs to the great Tengu clan of demigods. Immortal weapon can't scratch his nutsack. Yinsho smiles, telling everyone that the performance can end over here. With Yinsho in charge of the hostage situation, Silver doesn't have any right to move. It then tells the ghost monk to lean closer. The demon leans closer, and Yinsho surprisingly yanks his blade into the demon's eye. The demon yells at Yinsho, asking what the hell he is doing and why he can't move his body. Turns out this sword has been coated in dragon pearl toxin. Lord Yunsho then goes on a transblender gender adventure as his rock-hard pecs turn into massive marshmallows and he changes into Yorkshire Senior, calling herself a puppy belonging to Master. Our boy has the nerves of steel because I would have folded under zero pressure in his place. The crazy witch is talking about how she enjoys popping eyeballs, and she deserves a reward. Hayabusa is surprised that the woman is acting more like a dog than she who is genetically engineered to be one. Iso just laughs. His collection is missing a great Tengu species. He's sure that the ghost monk will find his high-security detention room really comfortable. In this economy, he will no longer have to worry about rent and food. By the looks of it, our boy has finally got his V-card stolen, and Runa's face says it all. She hates that he's filling up Kotonori's mana tank. She finally arrives with Iso in her arms. She tells everyone that the master created a bird monk and tiger soul sword for her. They used too much mana and has gone back to his usual form. 5 minutes before the Tengu attack, Iso was interested in knowing who held the reins to the Black Palace family. Iso explained that the family is the royal family of the world and everyone worships the head of the family as a living deity because they're supposed to be descendants of 3 great deities possessing the world of power. But in reality, those who truly inherited the blood of the 3 great deities and hold the reins of power are the Mu elders. Every family head is just a puppet selected by them. Their eating habits, drinking habits, and laying the pipe habits are all controlled by the elders. Iso can't believe that the elders actually select who the family head can crack. Even getting a child is chosen by them. Yusho then made things interesting by placing a bet. If they can survive the situation, they can get the rest of the story. He didn't get the elders' permission to take Ronai out of the Golden Zone and definitely not to use the Mirage Planking. They're probably going to be punished, and no matter where he goes, the Great Tengu will find them. Iso scoffs. No way can anyone find them with the teleportation software he's been running. But Yuisho disagrees. After all, his sword is made by the spine of a rebellious Tengu. It can unleash a wave of breeze that can summon the Tengu clan, kind of how a dead ant can attract a lot of other ants. After defeating the Great Tengu and replenishing Kotonori's mana, Iso changed back into his regular clothes. Hayabusa helps him dress up while Yorkshire is pissed off that Kotonori keeps on touching Master with that mouth. Kotonori just wants to show their master what that mouth can do. And if not for Miss Cole, she would have shown Yorkshire just who she is. Iso asks what the hell are they two whispering about. Bro doesn't even know the 2 cougars are fighting over him like he's the last bit of catnip. Rona really can't believe that they're going to pretend to be caught by her father and board the Great Mirage Plank Queen. Though her father is killed, this might be a trap. She doesn't want to believe in her father and definitely not all this mumbo-jumbo about the Mu elders. But Iso tells her not to get so short in their twist. Her father is telling the truth, but he can use the truth serum to find out. He asks if Kotonori has some lying around. While fishing into her robe, numerous vials drop from her dress. She starts panicking and Iso picks one up. He realizes that they are mana replenishment potions. Kotonori lied about using them all just so she could sneak some mouth-to-mouth action. She just starts laughing hysterically and changes the topic to the truth serum. Iso still wants to have a word with her after everything is over. The Tengu is already encased in ice, and Yinsho is ready to talk man-to-man. Iso agrees, and when Ronai protests, Kotonori quickly puts her in restraints. They both stare into each other's eyes behind the sunset. Iso whips out the truth serum. It can make anyone spill their guts and their inner secrets. It's made from a fallen earth creature, a brain leech that makes a person incapable of lying. Yuisho smiles, asking why he's going through so much trouble, but Iso wants to do it the old-school way. He wants to extract the information, and he also introduces himself as the greatest genius and alchemist in the world, something straight out of a manga. Yuisho just laughs. He didn't expect the evil mastermind to be a boy who just started getting wet dreams, though he's curious how he got the White Queen on board with his plan. She's not the type to care about anyone, not even world aristocrats. Iso just laughs. He's not going to reveal all of his magic tricks. Yuso wants to see Iso use the truth serum. 10 minutes later, they're finally on board with the plan. Ronai is cursing them for talking without her. Iso promises to get her what she wants and complete the mission, but things have changed, and she needs to go back to the base with Silver and Hayabusa. She strongly protests, even on the verge of throwing a tantrum, but our boy just hits her with a spray that makes her go night-night. Kotonori takes care of Ronai. Iso wants Yunsho to put on a tracker so that they can see where he's going. They also need Cheese to be on board while everyone is risking their life. Lucille is about to be destroyed by 2 delinquent monks. Iso just took down a world governor and got to resurrect a dead person with alchemy. Cheese is living his best life, having a cook-off with Tiger Lord. The air smells of dumplings, and Tiger Lord tells the rat peasant to stay in his lane. But the rat peasant is ready to show the world what these claws can do. As soon as he unveils his dish, a bright golden light shoots out from within. The Tiger Lord wonders why his buns are glowing. Cheese just laughs, coming up with a bullfish story that if someone is really good at cooking, the god of cooking will bless the food and it will glow. Maybe the opposite is true because whenever my girlfriend cooks, the god of chaos blesses the food and it will glow. The Lord Tiger stutters that he's not sure if that's true. In reality, Cheese just used a light grenade for a little party trick. Everyone is blinded by the dazzling light, but Tiger Lord doesn't believe that the buns are so perfect that the god of cooking blesses them. he just laughs, telling Tiger Lord not to be salty. When he wins, he is going to bless his daughter's buns. Speaking of Tiger Furry, she tells everyone to eat up. Everyone who eats the Tiger Lord's buns enjoys the flavor to the fullest. Then it's time for Cheese's buns. Everyone feels there is going to be grossness. After all, they are made by a rat. Tiger Girl yells at everyone not to be racist and just eat the buns before they are thrown out of the shop. As soon as they take a bite, they start hallucinating about resting over a massive goddess's marshmallows. The Tiger Lord can't believe that everyone is losing their mind after eating those buns. In reality, Cheese knew that the Tiger clan is unparalleled when it comes to dim sum. They have this recipe for the last 5,000 years, and they single-handedly created dim sum paradise, helping others live the dim sum life, so he had to make some improvements using a special sauce. He made the sauce from a legendary mushroom that grows under a lord-level creature from the back rooms. When it's used on a meat patty, it creates a hallucinogenic effect. That's why every customer in a 10-mile radius is tripping. Iso yells at Cheese, asking where the hell he is and why he is not in contact. Cheese tried to be discreet about it, but Iso yells at him to go pick up Lucille, get in the truck, and find him so that they can monitor the Mirage Plankton and shoot it down at the right moment. Meanwhile, Tiger Batty proclaims Cheese as the bun-competent winner. Shorty really can't wait for her salad to be tossed. Too bad Master Splinter has to go clean up Iso's mess. He's using the family seagull to teleport, but he still plans to cash in on the date he wants. Cheese arrives at the car and finally realizes that Lucille is nowhere to be seen. He tells Iso that Lucille might be in danger, but Iso is confident that an embodiment of syphilis and STDs, no one can take her down. He's still trying to get the choker she has and almost gets run over by a G-Wagon. Cheese just throws a grenade at the G-Wagon and drains it of all its aura and testosterone and turns it into a little toy car that's pink on top of it. He then later tells Iso that something's wrong with Lucille, but Iso decides not to worry. Nothing can take down Lucille. While Keys is teasing Iso about having some of Lucille's germs, he wonders that they're going to shoot the Mirage Plankton that will immortalize their names in history as the worst villains. But they'll also have a massive bullseye on their back. Cheese decides to support him till the end, and Iso laughs, ready to kill the Mu Elders and get the party on the road. Yinsho leads Tengu and Iso through the ship. Yuicho tells Iso that he should be more worried about what's going to happen to him, but Iso is more concerned about the ugly interior they have going in here. It's not the real Tengu that's holding Iso, but Kotonori in disguise. Meanwhile, a stranger fills the whole tomb. It's as if there's a massive sea under the ship, and more than 10,000 people have died on the ship. Yuicho is amazed by the Hellhound's sense of smell, but it's more than 10,000. The doors slowly creak open, and a green mist covers the area, probably something the butler is responsible for. As soon as they arrive, they see numerous women walking around with the same face as Runa's mother. Yinsho explains that for defying the elders, they have to undergo this punishment. Now, as a strong believer in domestic violence, Yinsho keeps on killing his dead wife's clones, wondering if this punishment was a test for him from the elders. Each slash takes down another phony. One of them even tries to put on an act by acting sentimental. Surprisingly, it works on Ronai. Yinsho is conflicted, but with tears in her eyes, she insists that his father doesn't need to slice her like that. Iso wonders if that acting is really good and tells Kotonori to take classes from these demons. It was enough to convince Ronai. Yinsho, on the other hand, tells the little troublemaker that her mother is already dead. These entities are not her mother, and sure enough, one of them grabs Ronai, ready to snap her pretty little neck. A necromancer emerges from the depths of the chamber, one who is well past his expiration date. He tells everyone there is time to destroy. Yinsho remembers the promise they made all those years ago. His wife would die so that his daughter could live as a member of the family. But the elder has no intention of honoring that promise. Yuisho can believe that this sack of bones is going to double-cross them. Turns out this isn't the necromancer's rodeo. A long time ago, they offered a fellow kingdom wealth and grain in exchange for being allies during a war. 50 nations surrounding the imperial army believe that, and during the war they exhausted their treasure and their army for the empire, only to be double-stabbed by his clan. Their whole legacy is based on hypocrisy and fraud. That's something not to boast about. Iso smiles, asking if he can use the same method, and then the old man shouldn't argue that it's unfair. The elder asks where the hell this brat is coming from. Which gutter did he come from? Iso smirks, telling the old man to mind his tongue. 2 crimson slashes make quick work of the zombies surrounding the old man, and the tip of a dagger erupts from within his mouth. The old man looks at the dagger in horror as Ronai has finally grown a pair and killed a family patriarch. That's what feminism is all about. She then swings the blade in a full arc, breaking his jaw and licking it like a freak. She even tells the old man that his blood tastes worse than Logan Paul's prime drink. The old man looks at his dislocated jaw, asking who the hell she is. Ronai immediately starts turning from flatbread into a 5-pound cake. Yorkshire smiles, ready to take down the enemies, but a series of red ribbons erupt from around them. Yuisho knows what's going to happen and quickly swings his sword, blinding the old guy. Even though it was impossible, the old guy is even uglier than before. Before the Mirage Planking, Yuisho had told everyone that they needed to avoid looking into the elder's eyes. They can't make eye contact. That's his ability. If they make eye contact, they will lose a portion of their memories. Iso smirks. No eyes to look into anymore, so they are safe. But Yorkshire is not happy about her kill being stolen, but the necromancer is still going on his monologue even though he is missing his jaw. The family had grabbed the sword ready to put the old man in a coffin where he belonged 50 years ago. As the blade is about to shatter his skull, a renegade from Timu erupts on his forehead. The green eye sends Yinsho flying and a gigantic female demon emerges. Yinsho realizes that his sword has been transformed into a Tengu. The Tengu is so fast that it slashes Yinsho's arm without him even noticing. Yorkshire, on the other hand, notices it and quickly leaps away while grabbing Yinsho. Iso just smiles as expected. This will grow to be a breezy fight. Kotonori tells Iso to look out on the other side as a horde of demon masks emerge from the toxic green gas cloud. Weird demons are emerging by the second, some of them even forming the lost part of his jaw. The necromancer laughs, telling them that if they want to kill him, they will have to go through every option they have. He also explains that the ghost masks used to be a person, which he slaughtered, and now the ghosts are those victims that are trapped in the walls of resentment. The necromancer starts laughing hysterically as numerous skulls sprout around him, but Iso smiles, the opposite reaction the necromancer was expecting. Well, because the necromancer is on live TV and everyone is looking at a face card so nerfed that goblins would look like Henry Cavill in front of him. He is responsible for tuning in to the latest agreements. Once the old man barks orders to Ghost Monk to kill the little brat, but Iso just makes it look like his IQ dropped along with his hair, because the one standing behind him isn't a tango, but his beloved wife and the family's maid. The old man asks what the hell they are doing meddling in the Black Palace family stuff. Iso puts on his mask and smiles because it's showtime. He is ready to announce who he is. The old man yells at Iso for enjoying himself, but Iso is in the zone. He tests the mic and tells everyone to listen up. A little kid is even scared looking at Iso's face pop up on his TV while he was busy looking at anime. The kids are not happy with Iso, and the news reporters are doing their best to take him down, but the signal cord can't be blocked because of a complex pattern. The necromancer doesn't care though. The old man doesn't care about the people at all, but Iso wants to be the world emperor. It's a hard time, there's a change, and there are also livestock trapped between the walls. The old man looks over his shoulder, but there's no one. Everyone wonders what kind of man Iso is for someone not to show a speckle of fear in such a surrounding. The elder can't hold back anymore and needs to kill this kid so that he can be the only one who aura farms. He tells the young boy that though his tongue is sharp, his wits are slow. He opens the eye and it sends a beacon. Something is zooming towards the elder, but the elder smiles, welcoming the challenge as he creates a scene straight out of hell. A huge vortex swirls around him and nearly freezes. He's ready to turn their pretty faces into masks in his wall of resentment. Kotonori wants to use her Demon King form to take down these brutes, but Iso tells her there's no need. If they can't beat them, they should join them. That's why he's going to take over as a boss. Even though he's about to get a one-way ticket to Pain Town, the old guy puts on a brave front that no one can take him down because he's killed a lot of people. He's the closest thing there is to God. Iso just raises his eyebrow, telling the old man that he's way past his expiry date. And besides, he'll be busy with the 100 Ghost Night Parade. He's going to control the swarm of curses. A gigantic arrow and chains form around the chamber, as his insignia clashes with the necromancer's. The necromancer has been rage-baited successfully, and as an old man, he should have known about the Persilade family, the family that feuded with the Kai Wang family in the Key Continent. Iso tells the old man that his family's history is rich in undead magic, and he can understand necromancy better than anyone on the planet. That's why he has a negative life seizure token. It can interfere with and seize control of the undead creature once the necromancer loses it. And that's how Iso managed to take down all of the enemies using nanotech. Iso laughs hysterically and plucks out the third eye the old man was rocking. Iso also has a special surprise for the old man as he tells all of the demons to go get their former master. The demons tear him apart, but Yinsho knows he won't die so easily. Iso has something else in mind. How about he locks his soul in a container with all the other souls he slaughtered? Sure enough, the old foggy is about to get his back blown by the entire village.